Hello and welcome to Sunday morning. It is the final day's racing here from the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship Round 2. And we're starting off with a bang. It's the Moto team class as they begin their first race of Round 2. As they all look to the lights, it looks as though we've had a jump start from one of the bikes at the back. That might be the 134 that had a little bit of a launch off the line. However, it's Jamie King that leads the way into turn 1. Jason Pugh on the number 8 bike just following him in behind, of course. Jamie King, who relinquished his bike to Chris Wells yesterday. Chris just couldn't quite snatch the win away from Jason Pugh. They had a crash.
Oh, and a big crash there for the number 119. That's Philip Joyce has gone down. Perhaps a bit of cold tyre syndrome there. Just locked the front going through there, so not exactly what he would have wanted to start the day here at Lydd.
No, absolutely not. But up at the front, it is still Jamie King from Jason Pugh. Ian Jackson trying to get involved in this fight for the lead as they go 3 down the back straight towards the final corner. Jason Pugh trying to line up Jamie King into the final corner, unable to get the move done just yet as we complete the first lap of the day here from the second round of the season of the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championship from Lydd. And it is Jamie King from Jason Pugh. And Ian Jackson in third as they all filter into position, and it looks as though the bike is back up and underway for Phil Joyce, but good to see, but still fighting away. Jason Pugh trying to find all the ways past Jamie King, but unfortunately Jamie just cutting his nose off every single apex, taking it tightly. This has been a great battle we've seen so far all throughout the weekend between Jamie King and Jason.
Jason Pugh's definitely had his coffee this morning because he's all over the rear wheel of the number 76. Jamie King is looking really racy, really hard on the brakes. He's lining him up for a move at the final corner. Has a little look. Can he make it stick? We're looking a little bit further back now. We might have had a change for the lead, and we have. It is Jason Pugh now up into the lead of this race on that baby blue number 8. And look at Will Howarth as well on the number 96. He's climbed up there also. Number 0, Bernie Hook. He's also in this race, also senior mini moto champion. But it is Jason Pugh now that leads this race ahead of Jamie King.
Yep, and a great move there from Jason Pugh leading this way. We spoke to Jamie yesterday, came into the commentary box and had a quick chat, and in fact, Will Howarth challenging for the lead, trying to go around the outside of James Pugh. He's made his way up into second. Can he sweep around the outside of Jason Pugh? This would be a sensational move. Not quite able to get it done, but he's going to line himself up down towards the final corner. And here comes Will Howarth challenging Jason Pugh into the final corner. He's going to have to wait there just because they're just coming past some lap traffic. Jason Pugh going to the outside. Will Howarth going to go to the inside, and he's get the move done, and he's up into the lead of this one. Absolutely brilliantly well done there. Will Howarth splitting the lap traffic and sweeping up the inside into turn 1, using that track to his advantage, taking the shorter line up into the lead.
Yeah, brilliant move there from your number 8 and the number 76, just really trying to see where he can make a move here on the number 8 of Jason Pugh. Change for the lead also at the front. Trying to go around the outside is Jamie King. Can't quite make that move stick. I think he just wants to be able to get past so we can see if he can chase down the number 96 of Will Howarth. Of course, Will missing all of round 1 due to some technical difficulties. Now is back out in this one and just showing the rest of the field what he can do. Yeah,
and we spoke to, like I said, we spoke to Jamie yesterday, and he was saying this. Of course, there's two classes in the Moto team class this season. He's running in one of them. Jason Pugh's running in the other, and the bikes have different. They fairly similar. However, that he was saying that almost like superbike looking one that Jason Pugh's on, the number 8. He is it's a little bit slower in the corners. He has to take a wide line in due to the fact that the bike is fundamentally quite a bit bigger. He's got a bit more power down the straight, so it's almost a tactical game for Jamie to try and get past.
Yeah, absolutely. With those bigger wheels, it is a little bit more of a difficult situation. But you can see Jamie King doing everything he can to try and get past Jason Pugh. Can't quite find his way through, and he's got to be careful here because if he takes a little bit too long, then Ian Jackson's going to have a look, and he does already at the final corner. So that is Ian Jackson up the inside of Jamie King. That is for third place, and he's going to be looking to see if he can take second away from Jason Pugh.
Yeah, great move there from Ian Jackson. Just caught Jamie unawares as he was looking to attack Jason Pugh for second position. Of course, Will Howarth has got to the front of this one. As you said, a couple of issues so far for his bike so far this weekend, but back on track and leading, which is exactly what we've seen from Will in the past in this Moto team class. Behind Jason Pugh, desperately trying to hold off 3 bikes. As you can see, they split around the outside of that lap traffic, but Jamie now back up ahead of Ian Jackson, once again using lap traffic to the advantage of the rider getting the inside line. He can now go back after Jason Pugh as they go down the back straight. Now Jason Pugh with a slight speed advantage down that back straight, but Jamie should close in as soon as they get to the corners.
Yeah, really nice stuff there from Jamie King, getting back ahead of Ian Jackson. Ian just dropping off the back of these guys now, so he just needs to be able to regroup and see if he can get back onto the rear wheel of these guys. This is the Jason Pugh, the number 8 in second place. The leader is number 96, Will Howarth, in first. He's cleared off at the front, so we're looking at the battle for second here as Jamie King is all over the rear wheel of the number 8. He gets good drive out of there, lines it up beautifully. Really nice move there from Jamie King. He set it up from the corner before. Looking now at your race leader, the number 96, cleared off at the front.
Yeah, and Will did a brilliant job fighting from the mid-pack, got a great launch off the line and has just got to the front and cleaned out. And like you said, cleared off, and well, he is clearing house at the moment because he's absolutely disappearing up the road, leaving Jason Pugh and Jamie King to have their own battle with Ian Jackson, now being joined by one of the other bikes as well. So they're making it a 4-car fight for second position in this race. However, of course, it will go down right down to the checkered flag, because you never quite know what's going to happen in Moto Team. These bikes do have a tendency just to fall apart at the last moment. We've seen last lap disasters, especially for Jason Pugh in the previous season in 2020. However, it is still Will Howarth on the 96 making his way down towards the final corner, and he's got a comfortable lead over Jamie King, who's breaking away a little bit from Jason Pugh. Jason just around about half a second behind Jamie now as they're going down towards the final corner.
Yeah, as we get a nice view of the start finish here, we can just see Jamie King is now breaking away ahead of the number 8, the baby blue Jason Pugh. Ian Jackson now right back with these guys and seeing if he can get himself up onto a podium position. Of course, Jason Pugh in third place, Ian Jackson in fourth. Jamie King running away with it a little bit in second now. It's just taken him a little bit too long to get past these guys, and that's meant Will Howarth has just managed to break away at the front, of course, taking nothing away from the number 96. A brilliant ride from him in this race as well, as Ian Jackson has a little look up the inside of Jason Pugh. Can't quite make a move stick there, just waiting to see where he can make a move stick on the number 8. Jamie King has a look behind. He's pulling away from these guys now, so he just needs to be focused on what's in front of him. Yeah,
absolutely so. And Will Howarth comes across the line to start a new lap. Jamie King follows with that just around about seconds advantage over Jason Pugh, who's desperately trying to hold on to a podium place on the overall standings ahead of Ian Jackson, who's trying to close in. Of course, Ian Jackson has done very well in this category before, expected to do well later on in this season. He's been there or thereabouts so far this weekend. Jamie King has very much been the ruler of the roost when it comes to this Moto Team class so far, apart from, of course, when he gave the reins to Chris Wells yesterday, and Jason Pugh was able to just about hold him off. But as they come up to lap Alistair Kinnaird on the 5, you can see Jason Pugh desperately still holding on to position up ahead of Ian Jackson, but Will Howarth absolutely clear up in front, and really enjoying this Sunday morning on that bike that's finally working. It's great to see, because we didn't see too much of Will last season, but when we did, he was often on top.
Yeah, he's come out. It's round 2 now. He's put round 1 behind him, and he's come out guns blazing here for round 2, showing these Moto Team riders who is boss there out there on that Metrikit GP50 machine. He comes across to the back straight one more time, but this battle between third now, it is down between Jason Pugh and Ian Jackson. One more lap left to go.
As they come on, Will Howarth starts his final lap with an absolutely monstrous lead. Jason Pugh behind, still trying to hold on to third place, but Will Howarth is absolutely disappearing off into the distance. Second place Jamie King has only just started his final lap now, and Will Howarth is already down the back end of the circuit, making his way around the long hairpin at turn 3, making his way through the sweeping turn 4, which is, of course, an overtaking position that we've seen used quite a lot so far this weekend. Maybe not so much into the final corner like we saw last season. Plenty into the final corner this time around. It looks as though the riders are looking for different positions. However, it doesn't make any difference for Will Howarth. He's rounding the final corner for the first race of the day, and Will Howarth back on top in the Moto Team class. He wins here today for the second round of the season, the first race for the Moto Team class at Lydd. Congratulations to Will. Behind, it looks as though it's going to go to Jamie King. He's going to take home the the class win for his category. And behind Jason Pugh, looks as though he's just going to hold on. Ian Jackson had to back off with some lap traffic in front of him, and Jason Pugh holds on to third overall and just about has Ian Jackson for company, and he looks up, puts a hand up to say that was a good fight. He had just about managed to hold him off all throughout that race. Jason Pugh will take a sigh of release after that one. It seemed to be involved in a battle race long.
Yeah, Will Howarth just trying to pop a couple of wheelies there on that MKGP 50 machine. He's delighted with that one. And yeah, absolutely, Jason Pugh rounding out the podium and just about fending off Ian Jackson. So a brilliant defensive ride from the number 8. He had to defend Jamie King earlier in the race. He managed it for most of the race until Jamie King did manage to eventually get past and consolidate his second place. Bit of a lonely second place at the end of it, but a pretty good weekend for Jamie King so far. Of course, putting Chris Wells in the seat yesterday, and Chris landing another podium for Jamie. Of course, Jamie bagging a couple of wins himself earlier on in the weekend as well. So it's looking really good for his championship campaign. Of course, Will Howarth missed a few races, so he's a bit far down in the championship.
Yeah, he's got some work to do. However, if there's anyone that can recover those points, it's Will Howarth. But next up, we move down to the mini motos and the AC40 Pro class. Of course, these are riders from as young as 6 years old that are making their first steps into motorcycle racing, and they are very much on their road to MotoGP to become the next British racing star. And well, the weekend so far has gone very well if your name is Archie, because both Archie O'Brien and Archie Gibbs have been up there, but Archie O'Brien currently on a fantastic winning streak in this AC40 Pro class. Archie Gibbs still there with him, and the number 3 bike, I'm sure, would have woken up this morning a bit more invigorated than yesterday after a couple of races. And you've got to think Archie Gibbs, he's going to be right up there at the front trying to challenge Archie O'Brien. Yeah, we've been saying it all weekend, and it is completely down to Archie Gibbs to stop the unstoppable force of the number 91, Archie O'Brien. You can see him there on the number 91 with the red helmet. You expect to see him out the front of this race, but will Archie Gibbs and any of the rest of the pack be able to go with him? We will have to wait and see. Of course, these guys head out on circuit. They will get 2 warm-up laps this morning. Of course, fresh in the morning. They need to warm themselves up before they get out there. Of course, they have had plenty of track time, but going out there first thing in the morning when everything's a bit cold, and just it does take time to just get out there, feel the circuit, feel where the grip is, and they do need it. Yeah, and especially with these bikes, of course, the tyre temperatures aren't as important, of course, as you see the MotoGP bikes on the big tracks. But what is it? Earlier in the morning, the track is, of course, at its coldest. The sun hasn't got onto it. So does the bike feel different as the day goes on? Yeah, for sure. I mean, you'll feel a lot more grip for a start. I mean, in the front end and in the rear, really. And I mean, that's the main thing. They will feel a difference in grip as the track warms up later in the day. I mean, we saw it catch out one of the Moto team riders earlier on. I think it was Phil Joyce, who went down first lap, cold tyre. So they just need to be a little bit wary of that, of course, making sure they're getting heat into both sides of the tyres. Pretty easy to do, to be fair, with these PMT tyres. They're pretty good at getting the heat into them. They're getting the heat pretty quickly, and then they maintain that level. So they're pretty good on these little mini bikes. So hopefully they can all get out there, get round the first corner, and we can enjoy some great racing. Yeah, but it will be the 91 of Archie O'Brien lining up on pole position for this one. Archie Gibbs in second place on the 3 machine, with Harrison Day, who had a really decent run yesterday, in third, with Byron Johnson in 4th. Travis Shaw is in 5th position, with Finley Polehill in 6th. Marco Holt 7th, with Austin Johnson 8th. Lewis Hull is in 9th, with Sam Gardner in 10th. Chloe Sewell 11th, and Callum Maxwell in 12th. And we hope that Callum has a little bit of a better day today, because unfortunately it looks as though he had a couple of issues with the bike yesterday. So I'm sure Callum on the 111 will hoping to get a little bit more running in today. So yeah, let's also, whilst we have a little bit of time during these 2 warm-up laps, as we see, there it is that Callum Maxwell once again, the 111, an issue with the bike. It's just not been his weekend at all, and just got a glimpse out of the commentary box window and just saw a bike stranded, and you've got to hate it. It was such a bad day for Callum yesterday. He just couldn't quite get the bike to work, and once again grinding to a halt first thing this morning, the last thing you want.
Yeah, that has been a sight we've seen a few times this weekend. Unfortunately, Callum Maxwell at the side of the circuit can't get that bike running and working this weekend. Really unfortunate for him, because of course they will have waited such a long time to get back out here and back racing here at Lydd to start their FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships here in 2021. And when you wait that long and then you come to the first round and you sort of haunted by technical difficulties, it really is a frustrating thing. But they will have to learn how to recompose themselves. Although it looks like he will be getting back running. Looks like they're taking that bike back, and he has got that bike back running. So hopefully he will be able to keep that bike up and running for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and he's making his way down the back straight towards the infield section. We've also got another rider making their way around the circuit now, coming up to the grid. But whilst we're waiting for that, just like to say a big happy birthday goes out to the man that's lining up fifth. It's Travis Shaw's birthday today, so happy birthday goes out to Travis. Hopefully you can celebrate with a podium today, perhaps even a win. We will find out. But yeah, great to see. And of course, guys, if you do have any birthdays in the paddock, let us know. Come over to the commentary box, or of course get in touch with Tristan or I on social media. You can go to @GT2_driving for me on Twitter, @Spagbog58 for Tristan, or of course over on Facebook. Or of course you can get in touch @FAB-Racing, @Motorsport Radio, and use the hashtag FAB-Racing to get in the conversation. Do all the good stuff we do on the social media, like, share, subscribe. If you're joining and you're new to FAB, welcome. This is the home of British motorsport when it comes to two wheels, and sometimes even three. They're on their road to MotoGP, and they're off for their two warm-up laps with Archie Gibbs looking to have a good run against Archie O'Brien, and Archie Gibbs getting straight to the front of this one, just trying to get in the head of Archie O'Brien a little bit.
Yeah, he will be. I mean, that's the only thing that he has to do really here, is try and get in the head of Archie O'Brien, see if he can upset his rhythm, upset his pace as they get this race started after their two warm-up laps. And Archie O'Brien really needs to come out, Archie Gibbs rather, needs to come out strong, guns blazing, and see if he can upset the sheer pace of the number 91 of Archie O'Brien. But he looks really racy this morning. He's on it, pushing right from the warm-up laps and making sure that he is ready to get this race started and underway. Harrison Day in there as well, the number 15. Watch out for him. He's been racking up the podiums, of course, third place man on the grid. But it is Archie O'Brien who will line up on your pole position at the end of these two warm-up laps, ahead of the other Archie Gibbs. Harrison Day lines up in third place on the grid on the number 15. We just mentioned him, ahead of Byron Johnson, the number 37. Birthday boy, 8 years old today, number 4, Travis Shaw. He lines up in fifth spot, ahead of the number 199, Finley Polehill, in sixth. The fourth row of the grid is fronted by the number 58, Marco Holt, just ahead of the number 27, Austin Johnson. Lewis Hull on the number 5. He lines up in ninth place, ahead of Sam Gardner in 10th. 101, Chloe Sewell. She is 11th on the grid, just ahead of the number 111, Callum Maxwell, in 12th, who we hope will be able to get back round to the grid to start his race.
Yeah, and just a note on yesterday, Archie O'Brien took the race lap record here for the Lydd circuit infield section, which is what the mini motos do. They get a couple of extra hairpin bends, which we've seen as the hot zone for overtaking. But yeah, congratulations goes to Archie O'Brien, who took the race lap record off of Mason Foster yesterday by 0.2 of a second. Mason's time was set in 2019 season, so it took over a season to beat. So congratulations goes out to Archie. He's going to want to come home with another win and add that to his race lap record here for FAB-Racing at the Lydd kart circuit in the southeast of England, nestled in the Kent-East Sussex border. But they're all finding their way into their grid slots. Archie O'Brien on the 91, Archie Gibbs on the 3. What can Harrison Day do from third on the grid? And Byron Johnson, who's been very fast starting so far this weekend, but they all get ready to look to the lights to kick off their second race of the weekend. And it's a good start from Archie Gibbs. Can he get the run? In fact, he's got a fantastic start up into the lead of this one. Archie O'Brien behind, couldn't quite get the bike started. You can see he was pedalling away, trying to get the movement in, but Archie Gibbs, fantastic start there from the 3.
Awesome start from Archie Gibbs. Exactly what he needed to do now. He just needs to see if he can back Archie O'Brien into the rest of the pack, just try and upset his rhythm, and that is the only way that he's going to be able to really get inside the head of Archie O'Brien. Of course, these two Archies battling it out all day yesterday Archie O'Brien taking all the wins that he could, and Archie Gibbs sitting there in second place, racking up those consistent podiums. So brilliant job from the both of them yesterday, but who is it going to be that's going to take the win today? Third place is the number 37 of Byron Johnson, just ahead of Harrison Day, and Travis Shaw up there in fifth place now. So that's a brilliant start from Travis, just maintaining his grid position on the number 4 machine. But Archie Gibbs now a tiny bit of breathing space over Archie O'Brien. He's just trying to make sure that he can keep and fend off the number 91. But I think Archie O'Brien's just making sure, just staying cool, calm and collected. There's no hurry for Archie. There's plenty of laps left to go in this race. And all he needs to do is stay calm, find his way past Archie Gibbs, and he's going to try and check out at the front if he does. But of course, Archie Gibbs is not going to let him do that.
Yeah, and Byron Johnson equally had a great start from 4th in the grid, getting past Harrison Day, and currently holds on to 3rd place in this one. As down the back straight, here comes Archie O'Brien making the move on Archie Gibbs into the first part of the infield section, and Archie O'Brien back up into the lead, of course starting on pole. Archie Gibbs with the better run off the line behind Byron Johnson, holds off an attack from Harrison Day, and then we've got 4 bikes in quick succession all fighting over 5th downwards. But Archie O'Brien back up into the lead this one. Lovely tidy little overtake, not pushing it too hard, no contact, and Archie O'Brien back up into the lead.
Yeah, so late on the brakes, Archie O'Brien. A brilliant move down into the infield section, but Archie Gibbs isn't letting him get away. He's all over the rear wheel of Archie O'Brien, and he's going to need to snap back as soon as he can to make sure Archie O'Brien doesn't get into a rhythm and doesn't pull away, because we've seen when Archie O'Brien is in the zone and when he does manage to get into that rhythm, he really is a force to be reckoned with. The number 3 doing everything he can to stay with the number 91 as they go down into the infield section. This is where Archie O'Brien made a move 1 lap ago for the lead. Archie Gibbs still very much in this race, still all over Archie O'Brien, but Archie just stretching out a little bit of breathing space now, so Gibbs just needs to try and make sure he can regroup and try and get back onto the back wheel of the number 91. They come over to complete another lap into turn 1. Brilliant lines there from the number 91. He really is so nice to watch, so smooth, hangs off the bike exactly how he should be doing, and just looks so at home on that LC40 machine. And
how important for riders this young is it to have that technique down? Because of course this will just carry him on through the rest of his racing career if he's already nailing, as you say, this smooth riding technique.
Yeah, to be nailing the fundamentals this early on is really what they need to be doing, so that they're making a habit of that, so when they move up onto the bigger bikes and up into classes further on, they keep that going, and they've already have the fundamentals down to a T, and that's exactly what they need to be doing in these early stages of their career, because if they start getting into habits that they need to get out of when they move up to higher level racing, then it really is it becomes a lot more difficult. So to be nailing doing all the right things now is perfectly what they need to be doing. Just looking at Travis Shaw there, the number 4, of course, birthday today, 8 years old today, from Barrow in Furness. Of course, father Danny Shaw. Best achievement last year, 3rd overall at Rowra in the AC40 Rookies 2020, and he's going to be looking to go out and see if he can pick up a podium here. He's just ahead of Marco Holt there, the number 58, and the number 199 just behind them of Finlay Polehill. So these guys all battling it out, and he's fighting with some big names there. Of course, Marco Holt, front runner over in the GP50s as well, as Marco Holt makes a beautiful move there, and you can see the experience behind the number 58. Got the drive, got a perfect move, and just ducked underneath him on the drive out of there.
Yeah, lovely under and over there. In fact, sweeping around the outside line, which isn't a move you often see too much. And behind this, still battles going on. Byron Johnson doing a brilliant job of holding off Harrison Day for 3rd position at the moment. And he's just about keeping him at arm's length. And Lewis Holt equally behind. Looks as though he's got Austin Johnson for company as they come into the infield section as well. So there's still all to play for in this AC40 Pro class, but it is still Archie O'Brien from Archie Gibbs, Byron Johnson and Harrison Day battling out for that final podium place.
Yeah, brilliant to see these guys battling out for these podium positions, and this will give them plenty of confidence as they go out in the rest of the season. Marco Holt now just fending off the number 4, Travis Shaw, and Finlay Polehill, who's just dropped off the back of these guys slightly since a lap ago, so he's going to have to look to try and regroup and get onto the back of these guys once again. You can see Travis Shaw looking really menacing there, all over the rear wheel of Marco Holt. Travis Shaw told us that his aspirations are to win a championship, so he's going to be looking to go out there, build up his confidence and try and get out and win some races. Just looks as if Chloe Sewell's crashed out of this race. She looks a little bit winded there, so really unfortunate for the number 101. Hopefully she'll be back out racing later on in the AC40 Pros. Of course, 2 more races to go after this one. This is race 1 for round 2 for the AC40 Pros.
Yeah, and plenty more racing left to come today throughout all classes and across the entirety of FAB, from the big bikes to the smaller bikes. But at the moment of the AC40 Pros, it is Archie O'Brien leading away from Archie Gibbs. What's great to see today, though, is Archie Gibbs staying with Archie O'Brien. He's obviously spent the evening learning where he needs to pick up the pace, where he was losing some time to Archie O'Brien, and he's only got about a second's gap, so it's good to see, because yesterday the gap was extending, and Archie was getting stronger and stronger as the race went on, and but this time around it looks as though he's learning to stay with him. Behind, there's been a change for 3rd position, as Harrison Day has now got past Byron Johnson for 3rd. So Byron Johnson dropping down from 3rd to 4th in the grid, but it is still Archie O'Brien from Archie Gibbs, now from Harrison Day. Byron Johnson now down to 4th.
Yeah, and Archie O'Brien has just checked out at the front like we've seen him do, but Archie Gibbs a lot closer this time, so he's going to be looking to go out in race 3 and see if he can get the better of Archie O'Brien. Of course, it's not over just yet. A few more laps to go of this AC40 Pro race. Looking so smooth out the front is the number 91, Archie O'Brien. Really good, really late on the brakes down into the infield section as well, and that's what allowed him to make that move earlier on Archie Gibbs. Archie Gibbs in a brilliant 2nd place. He's got that in the bag, consolidated. Nice lonely race for Archie Gibbs. Not what he would have wanted from an entertainment perspective, but he will be happy to be picking up another podium in this race with 1 more lap left to go. Just 1 lap for Archie O'Brien to come around this racetrack and pick up yet another win this weekend. So far in 2021, 100% win rate.
Yeah, clean sweep at the moment, but he's still going to make his way around the rest of this circuit. It's interesting to see Archie O'Brien. His bike is a lot more front happy. It's you can see Archie Gibbs behind, a lot more planted coming out of the high load fast turn 6 down towards the infield section. So Archie quite happy to run the bumps here, and in fact he's got a bit of lap traffic to make his way around, and behind Archie Gibbs trying to stay with him as they go down towards the infield section for the final time for this race of the AC40 Pros. It's Archie O'Brien once again. The man in form is sweeping around the final few corners. He's about to take the checkered flag and add another win to his name. Archie O'Brien, your winner in the AC40 Pros. What a result once again. Archie Gibbs comes home in 2nd position. However, much better from Archie Gibbs. I'm sure we'll see him getting a lot quicker later on in the day as he starts to get a little bit more warmed up. The battle behind is still going on between Harrison Day and Byron Johnson. It looks as though Harrison Day is going to take that one ahead of Byron Johnson. So Harrison Day, another podium for him, which I'm sure with Harrison, who has had a pretty solid weekend so far.
Yeah, Harrison's been absolutely flying this weekend. Of course, we saw loads of promise in him last year as well, and this year he's really come out swinging, getting on that podium, picking up those points and doing a really good job, and really consistent for the championship as well, of course. Very early days, but they're going to be thinking about the long game, and if he can be scoring points in this championship, he could be looking at a top 3.
Yeah, he could be indeed, but it is Archie O'Brien that takes another win here for the race in the AC40 Pros. And, well, 1 more race to go for the AC40 Pros. They'll be out later today. And, yeah, you wouldn't bet against Archie O'Brien making it a clean sweep and going 6-4-6. And, well, Archie Gibbs, what can he do? 2nd position, but looking very, very racy. But next up, we move down to the first rung of that ladder of the young racers' beginnings in their route to stardom, and it is the AC40 Rookies Championship. And this time around, Oliver Hall, well, he's had a fantastic fight with Finlay Bardell almost every single race so far. Oliver Hall probably didn't think that he was going to have so much pressure this week, but Finlay has been brilliant on that 99.
Yeah, Finlay picking up the first win of round 2 yesterday, with Oliver Hall unfortunately crashing out and then losing a couple of footrests on that bike, which meant that he couldn't stick around for the rest of the race. So Finley Bardell picking up the points there for the championship. So far, it's between those two for the wins of these races. But we'll expect to see, as this season goes on, the likes of Zach Pennegar, Rex Austin, Bethany Ashby, Chloe Gleason, all these riders improving as the season goes on, and they're going to be pushing for wins, pushing for podiums. Because if you remember back to last year, Oliver Hall started off well, he started off quick, but obviously as the season went on, he started picking up more podiums, more wins, and it was brilliant stuff from Oliver Hall. And now he's back here, ended the season last year with a hat-trick of wins, came back round one, another hat-trick of wins. Unfortunately, round two hasn't gone his way so far, but he's going to be looking to try and make amends to that here in round two, in race two for round two. So brilliant stuff from Oliver Hall. Finley Bardell, he's going to be looking to try and pick up another win. Of course, won the first race early on yesterday. That was the first race of round two.
It was, yes. We've fit so many races into the last few days. Tristan and I have completely lost count for what's happened. So you'll have to bear with us because, by the end of yesterday, we'd lost the ability to talk correctly. But Oliver Hall on pole position for this one. Finley Bardell in second. Rex Austin will line up on row 2 in third, with Speed Pennegar in fourth. Bethany Ashby and Chloe Gleason, 5th and 6th position on row 3, with row 4 being Ollie O'Gorman, of course, younger brother to Casey O'Gorman, British Talent Cup rider. Matthew Thomas in 8th, with Jensen Bishop 9th, with Annabelle McCarthy in 10th on row 5. Row 6 is Taylor Riley in 11th, with Seth Mason Hayward in 12th. Bradley Curtis in 13th, with Matthew Jennings 14th, and Aidan Belton rounding out the field. Row 8 in 15th position. And it's great to see 15 bikes all in this rookie category.
Yeah, loads of rookies coming and making their first step into their motorcycle racing careers. Of course, this is the bottom class here at FAB-Racing, where they start their careers. Of course, riders aged young as 6 years old in this category, starting out their racing careers, starting from the bottom and making their way all the way up to the top on the MKGP 70s. And this is where pretty much everything starts for them. I mean, you saw last year, Oliver Hall really doing a good job at the front, and now here, back again. He's going to be looking to do the exact same thing. Slightly less power than we were seeing earlier on in the AC40 Pros, of course. With these guys being the rookies, they've got a slightly more restricted 10mm restrictor plate fitted to these guys' exhausts, as opposed to the 14 that we're used to seeing over in the AC40 Pros. So that's something for them to look forward to as well. When they move up to that pro category, they can look forward to having a little bit more power underneath them as well.
Yeah, and who doesn't like to see to get a little bit more speed underneath the bike? But away for their opening warm-up laps of this one, like I said, Oliver Hall will line up on pole position with Finley Bardell. Of course, Finley looking very racy. The two of them with race laps that were only split by around about 1.5. So Oliver Hall has got his hands full of Finley Bardell. Rex Austin had a really strong run in the race at the end of yesterday. He managed to just about get involved in that battle with Zach Pennegar. And Zach Pennegar, who's really picked up the pace from last season and is moving his way now into that top 3 position. It's great to see Speed Pennegar just getting more confident, getting more racy, and picking up some decent results.
And that's exactly what we were just talking about how these guys, we see them improve rapidly as the seasons go on and as they get more and more races under their belt. And Zach Pennegar was a rider that was consistently sort of top 5 last year, getting a couple of top 5 finishes, whereas this year, he's really come out swinging, guns blazing, going out there, picking up podium positions, picking up the points, because this is now a championship once again. Of course, last year it was the AC40 Rookies Cup, where after they had a points cap, at which point they had to move up to the AC40 Pros. That's just to make sure that this does remain a Rookies Championship. But of course, this year it is now back as a championship. But the top, I believe it's the top 5 or 6 this year, will have to move up into the AC40 Pros next year to remain as a pure rookies class and not having too much experience in here. Oliver Hall, he did the Rookies Championship last year, but he's allowed to stay. That's mainly down to his age. Of course, 6 years old. He'll have to be 7 to move up into the AC40 Pros. But he's here and he's going to be looking to take a championship. And then wouldn't that look brilliant on his portfolio? Second year of racing and picking up a championship.
Yeah, and he's picked up multiple wins, multiple multiple podiums. There we go. There's a word in there somewhere. And it's perfect for him. He can just get some good seat time on these bikes, and as soon as he ends up in the pros, which I'm sure he will do in due course, he'll be in good stead with plenty of experience on these mini motos. The likes of Finley Bardell, I'm sure, will be feeling the same. Rex Austin, Zach Pennegar, and Bethany Ashby and Chloe Gleeson. They've had a pretty decent run so far this weekend. Bethany Ashby and Chloe Gleeson's a top 5 and top 6 start, and been running well in the top 6 in the races. Ollie O'Gorman's had a couple of good runs so far, so this Rookies Championship is going to be pretty tight for the... Oliver Hall is looking as though he's going to run with Finley Bardell, but behind, it could be anyone's. And it's great to see, of course, these rookies coming in for the first time. A lot of them, maybe their first race weekend completely, and still being involved in a couple of fights. And it's great to see as they learn a bit of racecraft, get used to what it's like to run on these circuits, because, of course, sometimes it might be the first time they've even appeared at them.
Yeah, and it helps it being a stacked grid, because there's plenty of competition out there. They'll be learning off each other the whole time as well. They'll be seeing where other riders might be a bit stronger, and then picking up off of the experience of perhaps Oliver Hall out the front, who's already done a season, and they'll be out there. And that's the beauty of having such a full grid for these guys, is that there's plenty of opportunities for battling it out, like you say, and plenty of opportunities for these guys to be learning and progressing in their careers. But now they're going to be looking to the lights for race 2 for the AC40 rookies. Yesterday went to Finley Bardell. Oliver Hall's going to be looking to change that. Who's it going to be as they look to the lights for the second time for round 2? And they are away. Oliver Hall has a pretty bad start there at the front. He looks as if maybe a problem there for Oliver Hall, because he's dropped right back through the pack. Oliver Hall now pretty much last, stone dead last, as he pulls to the side of the circuit. But it is Finley Bardell now who has a monstrous lead at the front.
Yeah, Oliver Hall's bike just coming to a screeching halt on the exit of turn 1, but it is finally Finley Bardell that's still holding on to this lead. In fact, he started to build that lead out down the rear end of the circuit as they sweep around turn 3. Behind, it's all to play for as everyone tries to filter into position as they make their way around this first lap of the weekend. But Oliver Hall now back underway in this one, and now he's on a complete recovery ride. Can Oliver close into anyone? We'll see if that bike can get started. It looks as though it's another issue. He pulls off to the side of the circuit. It's not going to plan for Oliver Hall, but up ahead it is going to plan if you're Finley Bardell, the 99, with an absolutely handsome lead coming around the final corner. It's worked out pretty nicely if you're Finley Bardell. He sweeps around the final corner, starts his second lap in the lead of this one.
And that's Speed Pennegar, who's now up into second place in this race. He's defending that second place just ahead of Bethany Ashby. So he's flying in this one is Speed Pennegar. But of course, Finley Bardell, your race leader, and flying away at the front. We saw him do it yesterday. He had a little bit of trouble from Oliver Hall. Of course, Oliver Hall, your championship leader. Zach Pennegar has gone down. That is Speed Pennegar. So commentator's curse.
Yeah, and that's Speed Pennegar going down at turn 2, it seems. It looks as though he's Marshall's over to make sure he's okay, but bike's out of the way. But it's so unfortunate for Speed, because he's had such a good run so far this weekend. We'll double check to make sure, but up ahead it is still Finley Bardell that is fighting for this win, extending that gap over everyone else on circuit. And behind, you've got the likes of Rex Austin, you've got Chloe Gleeson, Bethany Ashby, all still filtering into position. But now with Oliver Hall out of this one, the podium positions is available to one extra person.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, with Speed Pennegar out of this one as well, that's bumped everyone up a place, because of course Zach Pennegar was in second place in this race. But Finley Bardell out the front of this one, absolutely flying and just completely running away with it. But it's and I think we've got another rider down in the background there. We'll have to try and see if we can figure that one out a little bit too far. There is confirmation Oliver Hall is out of this race. So your championship leader not picking up any points today. So that's a big hit to the championship for him, because of course yesterday coming in after a crash with his footrests coming off the bike. Now this is going to be another 25 points going the way of Finley Bardell, and the tables are completely turning.
Oh, you don't want to put the commentator's curse on just yet. I'm sure he'll be wanting to circulate and get some few more laps in before he starts to think, I might have this one. But we've still got this AC40 Rookies Championship going on. Of course, it's their second race of round 2. One more race left to go later on this weekend. And around the sweeping bend goes the 114, and that's Taylor Riley as he lets the 113 gets down the inside into the infield section, and that's the 113 of Annabelle McCarthy getting a move up past Taylor Riley. She started in 10th position. Taylor Riley started in 11th, so Taylor just losing a position there. But Annabelle, good move into the infield section, just up the inside, no worries whatsoever. And now she can start fighting for a decent result in that top 10 as Taylor Riley tries to get back past in towards turn 1.
Yeah, and brilliant stuff there from all the young ladies in this race. It's brilliant to see a load of girls out there in the rookies class. The next generation of motorcycle races. You can just see there, that's Zach Penegar walking off to the side of the circuit. So unfortunate for Zach, unfortunate for Oliver Hall, but very fortunate for Finley Bardell out the front, with Rex Austin in second place, 8.6 seconds back from Finley Bardell. Bethany Ashby there in third place, going to be a maiden podium for her.
Yeah, she's currently got about a 1.5 seconds advantage over Ollie O'Gorman. Ollie O'Gorman is having a really good run. Started 7th on the grid, now finds himself in 4th place. Chloe Gleason back in 5th with Matthew Thomas in 6th place. Taylor Riley fighting up to 7th, having that battle with Annabelle McCarthy, and they were gapped by around about 1/10 of a second. In fact, Annabelle McCarthy trying to get the move done, and they're being joined by Bradley Curtis and by and Jensen Bishop in that battle as well. So they're all fighting over a decent top 8 result. But up at the front is still Finley Bardell, 10 seconds advantage over Rex Austin. Rex Austin, who picked up a podium in the end of day race yesterday, I'm sure will be absolutely delighted. Second place currently, Beth Ashby sitting behind, and Beth running in third place.
Yeah, and brilliant to see so many new names this year as well. Of course, the likes of Rex Austin, Chloe Gleason, Bethany Ashby, Ollie O'Gorman we've seen before, but it's brilliant to see him back and racing with us in the rookies. Annabelle McCarthy, Matthew Thomas, so many new names, and it's brilliant to see. And of course, Taylor Riley battling out there in 7th as well. But a new name, of course, Finley Bardell, because we didn't see him last year, and he's come and really showed us what he's capable of. Just sweeping the rest of the field, flying out the front, and is just completely checked out. We have to wait a good 15 seconds before we see any rider. 14.0 seconds across the line was the gap from Bardell to Austin. So Bardell out the front doing an absolutely brilliant job as we look at the battle for 7th place, as we see a change for the positions a bit further back there.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice move there into the infield section. Of course, all these riders learning where to get those overtakes done, perhaps just working out that racecraft. But up in front, Finley Bardell does not have to worry about that whatsoever. He can just circulate this Lydd track with that 14-second advantage over Rex Austin. Ollie O'Gorman now up into 3rd place. It looks as though Beth Ashby's had an issue. She's dropped down from 3rd into 6th place. Unfortunate for Beth there, dropping out of the podium. That's promoted Ollie O'Gorman up into what might be a debut podium.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant to see for Ollie O'Gorman, see him on the podium, obviously inspired by his brother Casey O'Gorman, who's had plenty of podiums, plenty of wins. So he's been shown how it's done here, has the number 46 of Ollie O'Gorman. Currently looking at the leader, Finley Bardell, the number 99. He has been a force to be reckoned with at the beginning of this race and the beginning of this round 2, as we just have the shot slightly blocked there. But it is the number 99, Finley Bardell, down into the back field of the section one more time, flying around this course. Looks really confident, looks really happy, comes in and pretty much completely focused when he crossed the line yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. It was almost like he wanted to do another lap. He was so happy with that one. But yeah, coming into the infield section of Finley Bardell, a little bit of lap traffic up ahead, but I'm sure that won't worry him too much as he's coming around, sweeping into the second to last corner. Of course, this penultimate corner here, a long right-hander as he leans down, taking the apex line, rolling onto the main straight to take the final lap board. So Finley Bardell taking that last lap. One more tour of this Lydd kart circuit, and Finley Bardell will be picking up his 2nd win on the season. Of course, unfortunate issues for Oliver Hall earlier off the start. Just couldn't quite get that bike working, but it's worked out perfectly if you're Finley Bardell, who's now leading this one by an absolute, country mile. and he's disappearing up the road. Rex Austin, however, 22 seconds behind, but still in that podium position. And of course, podiums for these young riders at this age, they will raise their confidence, it will keep them buzzing, and of course it keeps them riding.
Yeah, at the end of the day, they'll be picking up their medals, picking up their trophies, and like I say, that'll give them the confidence going forward to go out there and keep improving, keep getting closer and closer to the win. Of course, Finley Bardell in his debut weekend already picking up a win early on, looking comfortable to be picking up his second win of his career and his second win of the season here at the Lydd Kart Circuit. It is the round 2 for the AC40 rookies, and it is Finley Bardell that takes the second win of asking for the number 99. Brilliant victory for him. Cleared off at the front. A good 20-second lead as we just wait for Rex Austin to come across the line. He's going to be picking up second place, but he's just trying to defend that one.
Yeah, trying to defend from Matt Thomas. Ollie O'Gorman involved in a battle with Matt Thomas, but it's going to be Rex Austin coming and taking the checkered flag for second position. Congratulations goes out to Rex, Ollie O'Gorman and Matthew Thomas. Well, it's close across the line, but it is Ollie O'Gorman that takes home third place on the podium. Congratulations goes out to Ollie. He comes home with, I believe, his first podium being at FAB. It was ever so close. A tenth of a second gapped himself between himself and Matthew Thomas. Beth Ashby comes home in 5th with Taylor Riley in 6th. Then Bradley Curtis making his way from 13th to 7th. Lovely moves there from Bradley. Decent result to move up past a number of different bikes.
Yeah, an incredible result there from Curtis. Obviously, a couple of crashes in front, but not quite what they would have wanted. But of course, Curtis flying through the field and a brilliant ride from him, not to take anything away from him up in there in 7th place, and not to take anything away from Finley Bardell, the number 99. Incredible victory. 25.4 seconds was the lead across the line ahead of Rex Austin. Brilliant debut podium for Rex, and a brilliant debut podium also for Ollie O'Gorman.
Yeah, so Finley Bardell, your race winner for race 2 of the weekend, or for round 2, I should say, for the of the weekend for these guys here. Of course,
Plenty
2 rounds we are. Yes, so many races. 2 races we've completed here at Lydd Kart Circuit, or 2 rounds, I should say. 6 races across the weekend, and we are on the final day. And they will be back out for their final race of the weekend a little bit later on today. Next up, however, we move over to the seniors on their mini motos. And, well, the man of the weekend so far has been your reigning champion, Bernie Hook.
Yeah, Bernie Hook's been so strong out the front of this one, of course, on the gold number 0, last year's champion, like we said. It has been the 2 Birkins that have been really trying to get one ahead of Bernie Hook. They were trying to upset his rhythm yesterday, but there was no stopping him. He's a real dominant force here in the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships, and real dominant force here at Lydd. We saw as the season went on last year, he just struggled at a couple of the rounds, but he is back and stronger than ever here at the Lydd Kart Circuit. We saw last year one rider who was really strong here was Will Howarth. Of course, he joined a bit later in the weekend, so he's going to be starting right from the back of the grid. We have good fun seeing him carve through the field, but by the time he gets to the front, Bernie Hook's already completely checked out. Yeah,
and Bernie's had this run so far this weekend where he stays involved in a battle, and then at some point he's like, okay, I'm done now. I'm just going to go off and just have a 6-second advantage by the end of this one.
He's entertaining himself.
He is, yeah, just playing with his food, it seems.
Yeah.
So the 0 will be back out and he'll be lining up on pole position. The Birkins, Matt and Josh, will be lining up in 2nd and 3rd. Will Howarth, 4th place. So maybe a completely unknown in this one. Does Will Howarth have that run on the 3 ahead and get themselves involved in this battle? Of course, we saw him earlier on in the Moto team class, just checking out at the front. Is it going to perhaps just play in the mind of Bernie Hook and Matt and Josh Birkin that Will Howarth is a little bit closer to them this time?
Well, it's definitely going to have a different aspect to the race, of course. Without Will Howarth starting from the back, he's going to be able to battle with these guys from the front, and now he's had a little bit of track time to get used to, get himself back into the swing of things. Of course, this is their first weekend of racing back, even though it is round 2. They completed round 1 yesterday. Everything went to Bernie Hook, but these guys, the 2 Birkins, Will Howarth, the likes of Andy Weedon, Craig Ashell, All these guys are going to be seeing if they can stop the number 0 of Bernie Hook. They're going out to, they're starting their formation lap now. They'll line up on the grid, then there'll be 2 warm-up laps, and then we will be away and racing. So these guys, of course, this is the first track action they will have today, so getting themselves warmed up and ready for this race. Of course, race 2, they have one more race later on today, so with Bernie Hook taking all the spoils, it's going to be 2 chances for the rest of the riders to see if they can take it away from them.
No, we will have to find out, but the senior Minimotos, they are, well, quite happy to trade some paint in this one, unlike maybe some of the juniors on their Minimotos. We've got Bernie Hook lining up our position from Matt Birkin in second, Josh Birkin in third, with Will Howarth in fourth, Andy Whedon and Craig Ashall in fifth and sixth position, with Adam Ambrose and Holly Harris. Of course, Holly graduating out to the British Talent Cup this season, so it's great to see Holly making that jump up. Simon Huntingford in 9th position, Mark Payne in 10th, with Nick Bennett and Ashley Thompson 11th and 12th. Chris Yeomans in 13th, with Ross Michael 14th. Neil Skinner 15th, with Paul Nichols 16th. Alberto Venteo in 17th, with Keaton Payne 18th, and Reece Gentry 19th, and Richard Kinnaird rounding out your field on row 10 in 20th position. 20 senior Minimotos on the grid. Great to see. Of course, if you'd like to find out more about FAB, go to fab-racing.co.uk, where you can find out all about how to get involved and get yourself on the grid. And I'm sure a brilliant community feel here at FAB, and they'd love to see you coming and trying your mettle up against some of these champs here, the likes of Bernie Hook, the likes of Will Howarth, and equally up at the front of this one, Josh Birkin, Matt Birkin, plenty of time race winners last season as the seniors get ready for their 2 warm-up laps, and straight to the front goes Will Howarth, straight into the position I'm sure he's quite used to being in.
He means business, doesn't he? He's going out there and just showing these guys that he has the ability to get that perfect race start. He's flying off at the front of these warm-up laps. Maybe he doesn't realise that it is a warm-up lap, but yeah, getting the heat into his tyres, doing exactly what he needs to do. Some people, it's quite strange because some people like to do that. They like to go ahead, get a blistering start, go out all guns blazing on the warm-up laps and run like on the limit pace, whereas other riders you see that like to cruise round, they drop to the back of the grid, wait for everyone to wait for them on the grid, let the nerves build for everyone else. So it's interesting to see the 2 different styles of the way that people prepare.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the strategy comes into play. You definitely, even at all these ages, you see from all these riders all throughout the field, they just want to get in each other's heads. Of course, it's all competitive. It's all good fun. However, you always want to beat the rider in front of you and the rider behind you. So I'm sure every single one of these guys that's out here on this Lydd kart circuit is eyeing up a decent result today throughout the final 2 races. Of course, this is race 2 of 3 for them. They'll be back out later today for their final race of the weekend in this action-packed round 1 and round 2 opening season jaunt here from Lydd kart circuit. My name is Gareth Hall, joined in the commentary box by Tristan Finocchiaro, and we will be bringing you the entirety of this FAB Racing Minibike British Championships. We're off to South Wales, Llandau, for round 3 in a few short weeks' time. So make sure you join us for that over on motorsport.radio, as it looks as though we've got the number 4 bike of Josh Birkin just pulling to the side. Is he going to... Yeah, he's back on the pace, just having a look where everyone else is around him. I thought might have an issue for that, but no, he's pulled in behind brother Matt Birkin.
Doesn't want to be first on the grid.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't want to wait.
No, he's doing what we just said. He's letting everyone go on the grid so he can let all their nerves set, and then he gets there, will roll up last on the grid and just let them all wait for him.
As you can see, everyone's starting to make their way around the circuit in towards their allotted grid slots, and it will be Bernie Hook on pole position, Matt Birkin alongside him, with Josh Birkin just rolling into position now in the blue and orange leathers, and then Will Howarth on the 96 starting in 4th place. Now, who can get that run off the line into the fast sweeping chicane of turn 1? And, well, Bernie, he's had some pretty decent starts so far this weekend, so you can't bet against him.
Absolutely not. I mean, he's been the complete dominant force, 100% win rate for Bernie Hook, but who's going to be able to take it away from him as they get underway down into the first corner for the first time? Good start from Will Howarth. He took the inside line into turn 1. He's in 3rd place in this race, but it's Bernie Hook that leads ahead of Matt Birkin and Will Howarth. Will Howarth having a little look up the inside, can't make a move stick there, but it is Birkin all over the rear wheel of Bernie Hook. All these guys going to be looking to dethrone the champion.
Yeah, as they they go through turn 2 into turn 3, and Bernie Hook still holding off the battle at the front. And behind, Matt Birkin, Will Howarth up into third place, managed to get a good run off the line against Josh Birkin as they sweep onto the back straight for the first time. It's Bernie Hook from Will Howarth. Josh Birkin goes down the inside of Matt Birkin into the infield section. A trade of positions there. Matt Birkin's found himself from 2nd to 4th in 1 lap. However, it's Will Howarth already on the rear tyre of Bernie Hook as they come around to complete their first lap here of the Senior Mini Motos. Round 2, race 2. It's Bernie Hook, Will Howarth, Josh Birkin, Matt Birkin, and behind in 5th position, just by a fraction of a second, is Andy Whedon, and he's bringing Adam Ambrose and Craig Ashall for company as well.
Yeah, you can see Will Howarth now really looking to see if he can find a way around Bernie Hook. He looks really, really confident in this one, and that's a big coming together between Matt Birkin and the number 7 of Andy Whedon. So we'll have to wait and see what happened there, but that was a big, big moment between the two of them that just came together. Not quite sure how it happens. I can't quite call it. Probably a racing incident.
Yeah, we'll call it a racing incident, but yeah, so it's Matt Birkin who hadn't had the greatest of starts. Well, it's got even worse for him. Of course, Matt, a multi-time winner last season, but up at the front, Will Howarth has got to the front and he's passed Bernie Hook for the lead of this one, and this is exactly what we thought would happen. As soon as Will managed to get himself on the front end of the grid, he'd be able to challenge for wins. Oh, a big wiggle coming around the final corner. Completely lost the back end, but he's managed to get back on the pace. But Bernie Hook is now right on his tail as they go through the first chicane, sweeping around. Now, can Bernie do anything about Will Howarth as he comes and takes a slightly wider line coming into turn 2 as they sweep around the second chicane, almost a mirror image of the first 2 corners and down towards the back end of the circuit. But it looks as though Will's just extending that gap a little bit out to Bernie Hook. Bernie just staying with him, but has he got enough pace? Because at the moment behind it's Adam Ambrose, Simon Huntingford from 9th on the field up to 4th place. Great start from Simon.
Yeah, brilliant start from Simon Huntingford, really flying in this one up into 4th place. But Will is really, really flying as well. Bernie Hook doing everything he can to try and stay with him. You can see a real big contrast in lines there. Bernie Hook going really quite far out wide, but you can just see the tighter line worked for Will Howarth because he's just managed to eke out that gap. Of course, big moment for him round that corner, 1 lap ago, but he's back and he is in his groove. He is 0.4 of a second ahead of Bernie Hook. Will he be the first person to dethrone the champion in the 2021 season? He means business. He was so quick round here last year. Plenty more laps to go, only 3 laps down in this race, and he's got a pretty sizable gap now. So Will Howarth dominating out the front now. He's just dropping Bernie Hook, so that could be curtains for the number 0, but never count him out.
No, absolutely not. I think we've lost Josh Birkin from the race. I saw a flash of leathers as the leaders went through, and it looks as though we've lost Holly Harris as well. She's making her way back to the pit lane, so not a great start for some of these race winners from last season, but it's still Will Howarth leading away from Bernie Hooks, Adam Ambrose and Simon Huntingford. Craig Ashall now into the top 5. Nick Bennett and Andy Whedon, after that contact with Matt Birkin, is down to 7th. Mark Payne's made his way into 8th position. Ashley Thompson in 9th from 12th on the grid, so it's a good move so far for Ashley. Matt Birkin down to 10th place, just ahead of Chris Yeomans. They were split by 0.8 of a second across the line, but it's Will Howarth with the fastest lap of the race, a 54.923, is 0.3 of a second faster than your reigning champion Bernie Hook. Bernie now 0.7 of a second behind Will, staying with him, but they've got an absolutely huge advantage, 9.7 seconds over anyone else as we've got a rider down into the infield section.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see if we can catch the number there, and that's a second crash for that rider, so not quite what they will have wanted. Trying to get that bike restarted, perhaps some issue there. They're looking towards the front wheel, so perhaps some brake issue or something. We'll have to wait and see what that one is. See if we can catch a number on the front. Not quite, but it is these guys still battling for the podium. 47 now is on that podium position. That is Simon Huntingford that's overtaken Adam Ambrose. Adam Ambrose now back to the back of this group, so Craig Ashall in there as well. So Adam Ambrose dropping down to 5th place now, with Simon Huntingford up into 3rd and Craig Ashall up into 4th.
Yeah, Simon Huntingford, who was punching the air with a 4th place finish yesterday, will be absolutely delighted at the moment, currently running in 3rd. Of course, Simon, the dad of Charlie Huntingford, of course the runner-up in the LC40 Elite class last season, so well versed on these mini motos, and Simon currently with that 3rd place, just about ahead of Craig Ashall, but Adam Ambrose going with them as well, so we've got that 3-way fight for 3rd position. The gap now at the front is down to 0.4 of a second as Bernie's starting to turn the screw, closing in on Will Howard. Last time around took 0.4 of a second out of him. Still without the fastest lap, however, it is coming down every single lap. They're on 4 laps left to go, about to become 3 as Will Howard crosses the line and puts in a decent lap of 55.265, and this time around extends that gap out by an absolute margin and a half to Bernie Hook. 1.6 seconds. He absolutely smashed that lap, almost a second faster than Bernie.
Yeah, he showed us what he is capable of, didn't he? Bernie Hook thought he had a little bit of a chance, closed the gap down a little bit, but Will Howarth managed to just absolutely extend that gap over a second quicker. Within 1 lap, he is showing his dominance. Fastest lap of the race early on to Will Howarth. Dominant force here last year, and just showing Bernie Hook who is boss round this Lydd kart circuit. As you see, Bernie Hook just coming up to a little bit of traffic there. Oh no, sorry, that's Adam Ambrose battling it out with the number 81 of Craig Ashall. These guys a little bit spread out now. You can see Holly Harris in the background. She's managed to rejoin the race, but still some technical problems for her, so not exactly what she will have wanted at all. Yes, Holly Harris pulling to the side of the track. You can just see in the corner of the picture there, but that is now Adam Ambrose, who is now leading this battle, is he not?
Bernie Hook is now 7.2 seconds off the back of Will Howard. Something must have happened. Bernie Hook, he did a 1:01.1 on that last lap. He was 5 seconds slower, and that's Holly Harris off to the side of the infield section. A couple of issues with that bike this morning, but Bernie clearly with an issue on that last lap. He's now 7.2 seconds behind Will Howard. Will Howard comfortably in the lead this one. Bernie in still a relatively comfortable second place. He's still 7 seconds ahead of Simon Huntingford, who will be absolutely delighted with this if it comes to fruition. 2 laps left to go, and Will Howard is making his way around, about to take the last lap board in a minute, and he'll be looking at picking up his first win on the season. But Bernie Hook looks as though he's just perhaps a little bit slow through the infield section, maybe not quite happy with that bike.
Yeah, I think some sort of issues going on there, because his lap times have dropped off massively. I mean, he was doing 55s earlier and he's now doing 101s, 59.2 on that last lap, so that's still quite a way off what he's capable of doing. So he's going to have to be careful here, because if he's running too slow, considerably slower than the rest, he could have Simon Huntingford coming and catching him. He's a good bit of a margin, a good 6.7 seconds ahead of him at the moment, so he's pretty safe considering there's only half a lap to go for Will Howard. As he comes up to some back markers, he'll make light work of them through the infield, but he doesn't even have to. He's got such an incredible advantage, 9.5 seconds, that he can just cruise his way around this final few corners, and the win will be his. He's just trying to make light work of those back markers, but he doesn't even need to. Cruises around the final corner for the final time of asking. Will Howard comes across the line to take the victory here for race 2 for the senior mini motos.
Yeah, fantastic result there for Will Howard. He takes the checkered flag and the fastest lap along with it. Bernie Hook is coming around to try and take second place. Perhaps a couple of issues with that bike. However, he does manage to hold on to second. Simon Huntingford, is he going to take a podium? He is. He takes it by half a second. Congratulations, Simon Huntingford on the 47. He takes third place ahead of Craig Ashall and Andy Whedon in 4th and 5th position. Adam Ambrose will come home in 6th, with Mark Payne making his way into 7th place from 10th on the grid. Matt Birkin's going to recover after that fall earlier on. He's currently in 8th place, so still not losing out too many points to Bernie Hook, who's in 2nd position, of course, and that's the championship fight we're probably expect to see. Well, I say that unless Will Howard has got anything to say about it.
Yeah, Will Howard, if he sticks around for the full season, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Of course, last year, missed a handful of rounds last year due to probably other commitments, but if he's around for the full season this year, he will definitely be one to watch. Of course, didn't join the weekend until a little bit later on, so we saw him yesterday starting from the back of the grid, but now he's got that 4th place grid spot. He really is a force to be reckoned with, but still, solid points for Bernie. If he's not winning, he's 2nd, and that's exactly the way you win a championship.
Absolutely, consistency is key in any form of sport, but yeah, great win for Will Howard with the fastest lap, 54.923. I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted with his morning's work so far. A win in the Moto team class and a win in the senior mini motos, so on the big bikes and on the smaller bikes. Bernie Hook, reigning champion, 2nd place. Simon Huntingford, a podium here at Lydd, which I'm sure he'll be absolutely elated with. However, as they make their way back into the paddock, we stay on the mini bikes. However, we move over to the LC40 Elites and the final step of the mini motos before they head up to the bigger bikes. And it will be once again Archie O'Brien versus Archie Gibbs off the line on this one. Archie O'Brien looking at extending that win streak now out to, a unfathomable amount at the moment, because he's enjoying his weekend here at Lydd. Archie Gibbs, however, surely a little bit buoyed after his result this morning, where he was just able to stay in touch with Archie O'Brien.
So close it was earlier on in the AC40 Pros. Archie Gibbs getting really close to Archie O'Brien, so he's going to be trying to go out and get that one better, trying to get that first place victory here in the LC40 Elites. He will be, like you say, excited after that ride earlier on. He's got a lot closer than he has been all weekend, so he's just going to be looking to make that final step and see if he can stick with the number 91, who's been such a dominant force in both the LC40 Elites and the AC40 Pros. Of course, now on these liquid-cooled bikes, quite a bit more power underneath them, so it's a completely different beast that they're going to be reckoning with here around this Lydd kart circuit. 40cc two-strokes, just like the AC40 Pros, but a little bit more power underneath them, so they're going to be enjoying this one. Of course, some of these riders are riding their air-cooled bikes because that gives them a little bit more track time. They can take their restrictor plates off, but obviously some of them only running one bike, they won't be able to take those restrictor plates off because they need to keep it the same for the AC40 Pro race as well. But the riders out the front, the likes of Archie O'Brien, Archie Gibbs, they are on liquid-cooled machinery, and it shows because they just fly off at the front.
They do, and often put on a good show as well. Archie O'Brien, who's been hitting his mark, as Archie Gibbs has been going with him. But Luke Fitchett's had a decent weekend so far, and he'll be pretty happy with his points haul behind Austin Johnson, lining up in 4th position on the grid. I'm sure he'll be happy with that qualifying result for this one on the 27 machine. But we welcome everyone that is watching both in the paddock and online, or of course you can be listening on motorsport.radio, and hopefully you are having a lovely sunny morning wherever you are around the world. This is FAB-Racing, the Minibike British Championship. You're listening to Gareth Hall and Tristan Finocchiaro, bringing you commentary wall to wall all throughout this Sunday as we bring in you final races of the second round of this bumper weekend, as we filled round 1 and round 2 into 3 days action here at Lydd down in the southeast of England. And we're now watching the LC40 Elite class, and it's going to be Archie O'Brien on the 91 versus Archie Gibbs on the 3, Luke Fitchett on the 7, Austin Johnson on the 27 in 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Row 3 is Harrison Day and Marco Holt in 5th and 6th, with row 4 being Ollie Sims and Byron Johnson in 7th and 8th. Row 5, Travis Shaw on his 8th birthday in 9th, with Finley Polehill in 10th position. Bailey Lawrence in 11th place on row 6 alongside Sam Gardner, with Noah Guillory and Callum Maxwell in 13th and 14th. And rounding out the field back in P15 is Josh Williams. Josh with a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, a strange one there from Josh. He didn't set a time yesterday, so I'm not sure if he's going to be going out in the LC40 Elite today. He is on the grid, so if he does want to go out, he can do. But I'm not sure if, because we've just been seeing him on the GP50s this weekend, so obviously a rider we're used to seeing at the front of the mini moto classes last year as well, so we wouldn't expect to be seeing him 15th place on the grid. But we very much expect to see Archie O'Brien on pole, because he's been so dominating this weekend. Obviously, the 10-year-old from Norfolk, riding in both classes, AC40 Pros and LC40 Elites, dominating them both. Completely perfect weekend for him so far. Don't want to jinx him, but he's looking very, very strong going into this race. Like we said, like we've been saying all weekend, though, it is all down to Archie Gibbs. Can he stop Archie O'Brien? The likes of Luke Fitchett and Austin Johnson, they will be looking to see if they can do anything about the two Archies out in front, because it's been a bit of a domination from the both of them. But obviously these guys at the back battling for podiums. We've seen Harrison Day pick up a few, Luke Fitchett, Austin Johnson, they've all been there battling out for that podium position. So as well as we have this rivalry at the front between the two Archies for the win, we also have a big battle at the back for 3rd place.
Absolutely so. And but if you are watching at home, and you're watching of course on social media on FAB-Racing's YouTube or on their Facebook page, make sure you get into the comments, let us know who you're supporting, who you're watching, and what you're expecting to see this sunny Sunday morning here from the second round of the season. Of course, get in touch with us on our socials at FAB-Racing on Twitter and on Instagram, FAB-Racing on YouTube and subscribe and ring the bell to be notified every time a new upload goes up. Of course, all highlights and streams will go up post this weekend for all races throughout the weekend here, the first 2 rounds, and this will be the LC40 Elites. Archie O'Brien versus Archie Gibbs off the line. Watch out for some fast starters behind. Byron Johnson's had some fast starts. He lines up in 8th place. Finley Polehill's had some good starts from 10th, so we'll see what they can do further down the field. However, it will be the 91 of Archie O'Brien looking to get a better run off the line than he did in the AC40 Pros, where Archie Gibbs was managing to get that run into T1. What can Archie do from 2nd position as they get ready to look to the lights and complete their 2nd race of round 2? Lights on, lights off as we send it down to turn 1. It's a perfect start for Archie O'Brien. He sweeps up. We go 3 wide into T1 between Byron and Austin Johnson. Byron Johnson having to back out of that one, but a great start once again from Byron, all the way down from 8th place. But it's Archie O'Brien from Archie Gibbs. Luke Fitchett holding on to 3rd place.
Perfect start from the 2 Archies, holding on to their grid positions. All these guys behind them trying to see if they can stick with the 2 dominant Archies out front. Luke Fitchett, brilliant start from him to maintain his place there on the number 7 machine. He's trying to go with these guys as a bit of a front 3 breakaway early on in this race, so the guys behind are going to have to see if they can catch the breakaway 3 out the front. Luke Fitchett doing really a good job to stay with the 2 Archies. Still very early days, of course, on this 9-lap race. We're only on the very first lap as they head into the final corner for the first time. You can see Ollie Sims in there as well. He's battling away for the top 5 positions a little bit further back, but Archie O'Brien already with a little bit of a lead. Yeah,
he's looking at taking a 5 already this weekend with 5 consistent wins in the LC40 Elites. And you can see he's got a decent advantage already. Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett still staying with him. They're starting to break away a little bit from Harrison Day in 4th place, but Luke Fitchett still on the back of Archie Gibbs, so he's not giving up on a decent result, chasing down Archie Gibbs. It looks like we've got a rider down to the side.
Marco Holt.
Yeah, it's Marco Holt being rolled to back to the paddock. Not the greatest way to start his race. He's only managed 1 lap of this LC40 Elite race 2 of round 2. Archie O'Brien last time around 56.908 was 0.3 of a second faster than Archie Gibbs and a little bit faster than Luke Fitchett in 3rd position. And you've got to think Archie, who's just making his way around the final corner, still being followed closely by Archie Gibbs. Archie Gibbs woken up this morning clearly a lot more confident, realising that he can go with Archie O'Brien. He just needed to believe a little bit more that he had that pace to do so.
Yeah, he's come out really trying hard, really seeing what he can do to stick with Archie O'Brien. Of course, just setting the fastest lap of the race, matching Archie O'Brien for pace. So it's not as if he's gone miles quicker than Archie O'Brien. Archie still pretty much completely on it there with 0.7 of a second lead over Gibbs, but Gibbs doing everything he can to stick with him, and he's made that extra step here today on the Sunday here at Lydd. He's just a little bit more, a little bit closer to Archie O'Brien and putting the pressure down on him just that little bit harder as they go down into the infield section. It does look like he's closing in a little bit. Is Archie Gibbs, who was pretty good on the brakes there, but we've seen how strong Archie O'Brien is on the brakes with that move earlier on in the AC40 Pros. But Archie Gibbs, he looks focused, doesn't he? He looks really strong on that bike.
Yeah, this is one thing I noted yesterday, is that you watch Archie Gibbs when he's following Archie O'Brien in these races, and he is laser focused on the back of Archie O'Brien. He does not want to let him get away. And equally, Luke Fitchett's doing a good job staying in touch with these guys. 3rd place currently for the 7 machine, behind the 91 and 3 of Archie O'Brien and Archie Gibbs. And Luke Fitchett with a lap time that's not too far off the pace as well, so he's still staying well in contention for a decent result. But Archie O'Brien snatching back the fastest lap of 54.620. It was 0.3 of a second faster than Archie Gibbs, and he's now extended that gap for the lead out to 1.1 seconds. And this is something we saw yesterday and through Friday as well, is that Archie O'Brien just gets more and more confident as the laps go on, just starts to eke out that gap. The problem for now is, can Archie Gibbs stay with him?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, Archie O'Brien has already responded with the fastest lap of the race, the only rider in the 54s on that last lap, and has extended that lead to over a second now. So as much as Archie O'Brien did give Archie Gibbs a little bit of a chance to try and reel him in, he responds with the fastest lap of the race, and pretty consistent back in the 54s again on that last lap, and extending the lead to nearly 2 seconds. So Archie O'Brien dominant out the front. Archie Gibbs doing everything he can to try and stick with him, but just quite not quite there just yet. He's so much closer on the Sunday than he was yesterday, but it's just so difficult to match someone when they're so consistent and so consistently fast.
Yeah, and Austin Johnson, an issue for the 27. He's dropped right down the order. A slow lap time last time around, a 1:05, was almost 10 seconds off the pace for Austin Johnson on the 27. His brother Byron Johnson in 8th position. After that fast start, has dropped back behind the likes of Travis Shaw, Ollie Sims and Finlay Polehill. Finlay, who's made some moves from 10th from the grid up to 7th. And following Ollie Sims pretty closely, only a 10th of a second split them across the line. Ollie Sims 1.3 off the back of Travis Shaw. Of course, Travis Shaw celebrating his birthday today, but there's been a change for the lead.
I think there might have been a problem there for Archie O'Brien, because I just saw him circulating with the likes of Harrison Day and Travis Shaw, so possibly something went wrong there for Archie O'Brien that we missed. That's Harrison Day off to the side of the circuit, so Harrison Day just suffering from a crash. He's going to try and get restarted and back into this race. Number 3 currently leading this race, and it's disaster for Archie O'Brien as he's dropping down the order.
Yeah, he's dropped down behind Luke Fitchett now into 3rd position. Is there a problem on the bike? A 1:09 for Archie O'Brien last time around, which meant that he's lost himself 15 seconds. He's now 7.9 off the back of Archie Gibbs. And with 4 laps left to go in this one, Archie Gibbs is now just going to keep it focused and keep it calm. And I'm sure he'll do just that. And he'll get his just desserts, because he's really deserved a decent result so far this weekend. He's had to follow Archie O'Brien almost every single time he's been out on circuit. At the moment now, he's got a clean track ahead of him.
Well, a perfect weekend so far for Archie O'Brien, and that's the first mistake we've seen him make in 2021. So really unfortunate for him, but he's still on the podium, so that just shows you how strong he is. He can have that off lap, comes back, sets the fastest lap of the race with a 54.4. He is focused and trying to regain those positions. I think it's a bit of a tall order for him to get the win, but possibly he might be able to take that second place away from Luke Fitchett if he keeps focused and gets his head down, but it's going to be a tall order for either of those results. But one rider that can just relax now, just bring it to the flag, is the number 3 of Archie Gibbs. Just a couple more laps to go and he can take this victory.
Yeah, Archie Gibbs coming around the final corner to start the penultimate lap of the race. Just 2 laps left to go if you're Archie Gibbs, and well, into turn 1 he sweeps in. And he's, as I said, absolutely focused on the job ahead. He knew exactly what he needed to do come into this one. He could sit behind Archie O'Brien if Archie was up front, and he knew if Archie made a mistake that he was there to pick up the pieces, and he's just going to make his way around this Lydd circuit for around about 1.5 more laps, and the 3 will be taking a well-deserved victory as he enters the long hairpin at the back end of the circuit, sweeping in towards turn 4, around the downhill section in towards turn 5 and turn 6, as he goes on towards the back straight toward into the infield section here. Of course, they bring in the infield section for the mini motors and just gives them a couple more overtaking places, and opens up the track a little bit more for these minis to have a little bit more fun as he goes into the penultimate corner. And Archie Gibbs is going to come on to the final lap with just a couple more corners left to go to pick up his first win on the season in this LC40 Elite class. Takes the last lap board. Archie Gibbs on his way to a win if he keeps on the black stuff.
Yeah, all he needs to do is get around this final lap. Looks really smooth around this Lydd circuit. Brilliant, consistent riding for the number 3 of Archie Gibbs. Of course, picking up consistent second places all the way through this season so far. Round 1, 3 second places. Race 1 for round 2 was also a second place, but he's looking like he's going to be going one better. Just half a lap remaining for the number 3 to take his maiden victory in the 2021 season. It's been dominated by Archie O'Brien so far, but will we see the other Archie Gibbs take his first win of the 2020 season? Just the infield section for him to navigate now as he heads down towards the final corner for the final time. The number 3 of Archie Gibbs with the St. George's Cross on the helmet comes through the final corner, comes to the line, the checkered flag is showing, and it is Archie Gibbs that takes his first win of the 2021 season ahead of Luke Fitchett, a close second, and Archie O'Brien doing everything he can to recover, but still a podium. You can see the frustration, but when you're frustrated with third, you're on form.
Yeah, absolutely. But there, Archie Gibbs, you can tell how excited he was to pick up that first win on the season. Both arms aloft as he crossed the line, as we've got a rider down
Byron
in the infield.
Johnson,
It's Byron that's not having both the Johnson brothers not having a great race. Bike restarted and back underway. Looks as though he might have not lost too many positions, but he will come across the line down the order. He's just come across the line, and we've got Archie Gibbs coming around with your win in this one. Archie O'Brien, fastest lap of 54.141. As soon as he got back from making that, we'll have to find out what happened, because it was...
That's a new lap record,
yeah,
is it
it absolutely smashed it, I think he has. On that last lap as well, you could see he was clearly chomping at the bit to close in on Luke Fitchett. But Luke Fitchett, we kind of slept on him during that race. Second place, he'll be absolutely delighted with that one.
Yeah, lonely second place for Luke Fitchett, but yeah, he'll be delighted with that one. A brilliant podium for him, he'll be happy with that one for sure. Perhaps something happened there with Harrison Day earlier on in the race, because he was running in the running for that second place and for a spot on the podium. Unfortunately, he crashed out. Didn't quite see what happened there, but a brilliant, well-deserved podium for the number 7 of Luke Fitchett.
And yeah, but I'm just checking my notes quickly. I think that Josh Bannister might just hold on to that race lap record for one more year with a 54 flat. So it's a good lap there from Josh.
Yeah. Very close though, very close.
Yeah, but Archie O'Brien, you could tell there, he made that mistake, straight back on the bike, and you've got to think, as you say, if third place and you're frustrated with that, you know you're having a good weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can see that he's on form, and I mean he recovered from it well as well. He went back out there, pushed like hell to try and get a second place, ended up with a third. That's still a good weekend. Loads of first places and 1 third. When third is your worst result of the season so far, you know you're on form. So brilliant stuff from Archie O'Brien. Unfortunately, we did see him make that mistake, but the very first mistake we've seen him make all season long so far. So good stuff from him. Archie Gibbs been incredibly consistent though, hasn't made one mistake, and that will help him out in the championship. But we move up to the pit bike 140s, the seniors. Plenty of British Talent Cup riders, BSB riders on this grid. An absolutely packed grid for the pit bike 140s. Expect to see action, expect to see bar bashing, expect to see probably some crashes as well. Don't want to curse anyone.
Well, we saw quite a frenetic race yesterday. A big hit involving Ollie Walker, where he went down in contact with one of the other riders and down into the in the wood chips on the final corner. Equally, Harrison Crosby's gone down in this one. But we've had a great race so far. The likes of Taylor Lawrence has had a really strong weekend. Chris Wells picking up the win yesterday from third on the grid. Chris Wells seemingly with an extra, a Saturn V rocket underneath that bike off the start, seemingly getting from third to first off the line every race so far. Yeah,
he's definitely got good reactions, Chris Wells, because he's just off the line, straight up into first every time. Brilliant starts from Chris Wells on the number 62. We also saw him make an appearance over in the Moto team. We thought he was Jamie King yesterday.
Yeah, we did, until Jamie just appeared in the commentary box and came for a chat, which was good to hear. But he said no, he relinquished the bike to Chris Wells, who he's known since they were very, very young, and he was quite happy with Chris's attempt at trying to get the win off Jason Pugh. It didn't quite work out, however, he did still get class win, which Jamie was elated with. But as they line up on the grid for this one, I will start rolling through the qualifying results for this one. Well, because it's 2 pages long, because there is a heap of bikes, and we love to see it. The pit bikes have put on some absolutely stonking races so far this weekend. But on P1, it will be the number 10 and multi-time race winner already this weekend, Taylor Lawrence. Taylor's had a fantastic Lydd so far in round 1 and round 2, and we'll see what he can do from pole position. Harrison Crosby has had a couple of good runs out on the 93. He lines up in second position. Chris Wells, of course, race winner yesterday, lines up alongside Rossi Banham on the 196 with the white helmet in 4th place. Evan Belford, of course, British Talent Cup rider, back in 5th alongside Ollie Walker. Lucas Brown, of course, last season MKGP 70 champion. He returns to FAB on the 129. He's on 7th position alongside reigning champion on the 76, Jamie King. Darren Anderson in 9th, Reese Peacock 10th. Ryan Hitchcock, of course, last season's LC40 elite champion, picking it up with 1 point victory on the final round of the season, is ahead of Marco Pandolfo. And Marco, who's having a pretty stellar weekend so far, he's in 12th position. Kevin Gritton in 13th with Jack Andrews 14th. Giorgio Scalata in 15th with Elliot Crosby 16th. Callum Wybrow 17th and Nick Shaw 18th position. Row 10 is Nathan Riggy and Adam Redding in 19th and 20th. Row 11 is Tom Stanford and James Curtis in 21st and 22nd, with Matt Lindley and Adam Sweeney, your row 12 riders. Row 13 goes to Max Perry and Andrew Graham in 25th and 26th, with Ian Jackson and Matt Edwards 27th and 28th. 29th is Aidan Katz and Roger Monks in 29th and 30th. 31st goes to Keaton Payne, Dave Glover in 32nd, Callum Foster in 33rd, and Aston Gilson in 34th. And final position on row 17 in this stacked field of pitbike 140s.
Takes a long time to get through that double page grid, doesn't it? But it is brilliant to see so many riders out there on these pitbike 140s. Of course, 40cc 4-stroke machines, if you couldn't already tell by the rumble that we're hearing out on circuit. All these bikes pretty much the same, all similar, and it makes for great racing because all these guys on the same machines, and we see all these guys. It's pretty much down to who rides it the fastest, who rides it the best, and it always produces great racing. Taylor Lawrence has been a dominant force in this one. Chris Wells has already picked up a win. Will he be able to do it again as these guys go round for their 2 warm-up laps? They'll cross the line and do 1 more warm-up lap. Of course, this is the first time they hit the circuit today. We've also got 2020 MKGP70 champion in there, Lucas Brown, and he's riding against some of the riders that he's going to be riding against over in the British Superbike paddock in the British Talent Cup, the likes of Evan Belford, Ollie Walker, Rossi Banham, Harrison Crosby, and also a couple of GP2 riders in there as well, with Charlie Nesbitt further back on the grid, and also his teammate.
I hope Charlie's not. He's meant to be in the extremes, is he not?
Well, I saw his leathers out there.
Oh,
so I think
maybe
he's out
so.
there.
Maybe so.
I might be seeing things, but I thought I saw him out there.
Well, maybe so. We will find out. If you do, you'll definitely notice, because he'll be the one, let's say, minimising the circuit and using the curbing on the inside and the apexes to...
I mean, if he's starting from the back of the grid, then we're definitely in for a spectacle.
Absolutely so. Well, we saw from him a couple of times last season. As you say, Lucas Brown, who was involved in a little bit of contact, I believe it was with Rossi Banham at the final corner yesterday. Lucas ending up in the dirt on his back. He will be back in from 7th on the grid. We'll see what the MKGP 70 champion from last season can do. Row 4, watch out for that. That's your MKGP 70 champion and your Pitbike 140 champion lining up alongside each other, so that's a tantalising prospect, as Jamie King's got a bit of work to do on this new bike. He said the setup's not quite there, but he's getting used to it now and pushing up through the order. So on the 76s, you're pointing out some riders down the back end of the field.
Yeah, and I can confirm that it's Charlie Nesbitt and Jake Archer that are starting from the back of the grid, so that's going to be fun to watch. But we're focused on these guys at the front as Taylor Lawrence gets a good start. Chris Wells gets his rocket start again up into 2nd place. Rossi Banham into 3rd as these guys navigate their way through the first corner. They're all through it okay. All managed to stay on 2 wheels, so that's a good thing. Number 10 leading the race, Taylor Lawrence.
Yeah, Taylor Lawrence, brilliant start for him. Harrison Crosby in 2nd. Chris Wells, as you say, another fast start in a decent 3rd position. He's trying to make a move on Harrison Crosby as they all filter around the back end of the circuit for the first time. Of course, these pit bikes, you can use them a little bit more aggressively, what we've seen from the mini motos as they go down the back straight for the first time. You can take the curb.
There's a change for the lead there as Chris Wells has gone up into the lead of this race. So yesterday's race winner showing the number 10 what he can do.
Yes, Rossi Banham has got company in 3rd position as well from Harrison Crosby. Harrison, who's dropping down the order a little bit after starting 2nd on the in the orders, now down to 4th place. Rossi Banham up to 3rd at that final corner. Last time around, Chris Wells for 45.904 is a pretty decent opening lap. As we've got Taylor Lawrence in 2nd, Rossi Banham 3rd, Harrison Crosby, Lucas Brown has made up some positions up to 5th place, Jamie King, and then Darren Anderson in 7th position. It looks as though we've got Reese Peacock and Ryan Hitchcock in 8th and 9th position. Marco Pandolfo, another solid top 10 run so far.
Yeah, another solid ride from Marco Pandolfo, really coming into his own in the 2021 season. Of course, against a lot of big names, a lot of profound riders in this category. The number 129, that is Lucas Brown all over the rear wheel of the number 23. That is 993, sorry, Harrison Crosby. You can see Rossi Banham looking really menacing there with the green flashes on the leathers. Some riders further back there, that was Giorgio Scarlatti we were just looking at. But now Rossi Banham having a little bit of a challenge, trying to take that lead away from the number 10, Taylor Lawrence. Rossi Banham now up into 2nd place. Has a look around the outside. That's not going to work around there, but it opens it up nicely for the rest of the sector.
Yeah, sweeping around turn 5 and into turn 6 onto the back straight is Taylor Taylor Lawrence with Rossi Banham, who's really on it. Rossi, who had a bit of an on-off day yesterday, didn't quite manage to switch it on for some of the races, but this time around looking very, very racy indeed. He's laser focused on the back end of Taylor Lawrence as they come across the line, split by less than a tenth of a second. Rossi Banham, fastest lap last time around, a 43.690, is a tenth of a second faster than Taylor Lawrence, who's leading this one. Taylor Lawrence, of course, took the opening few races of the weekend, but Rossi Banham trying to make the move down the inside, just gets closed off by Taylor Lawrence. But you can see Rossi clearly with the bit between his teeth wanting this victory. He's really starting to put the pressure on Taylor.
Yeah, Rossi's showing him a wheel there, just showing that he is around, trying to get into his peripheral vision as they go down the straight. A little bit of a back marker there, pulling to the side of the race, but he's looking up the inside into the final corner. Closes the door beautifully, does the number 10 of Taylor Lawrence. That was brilliant defensive riding from Taylor to go in defensive again into turn one. He knows Rossi is right there, and that is possibly a downside for Rossi showing him a wheel earlier in the lap.
Yeah, absolutely so, but I'm sure he'll get back on it as soon as possible. Chris Wells' fastest lap last time around, 43.444, is around about a tenth and half a tenth faster than the guys in front of him. So Chris Wells starting to get back involved in this battle. Harrison Crosby a little bit further back in fourth place, and Lucas Brown 8 tenths of a second back off of Harrison. So the gap between first and fifth now stands at around about 2.2 seconds. Darren Anderson's moved up ahead of Ryan Hitchcock into sixth position. Ryan Hitchcock making some moves from further down the order. He's now into seventh. We've now got this battle still going on. Rossi Banham trying to put the pressure on. You can see very defensive earlier on is Taylor Lawrence, covering off that inside line, not letting Rossi have a sniff of the inside.
Did you see him down the back straight? He was hugging the inside line, but Rossi Banham is making his way through. If there's no space, he will make space. So a brilliant change for the lead from Rossi Banham. He now leads this race, but Taylor Lawrence looking to come straight back at him, and he does. Really nicely executed move, but will Rossi Banham be able to get the cut on the exit? He has a go at it, but not quite able to make it stick on the inside, and the next one can't make it stick there. It is nip and tuck between these guys. Brilliant racing, and they're just pulling away from Chris Wells in third now. A little bit of back markers that they have to try and make their way around. Rossi Banham looking to the outside. That's not going to work, but he has to do that because the number 10 is so defensive. Look, straight to the inside of the circuit.
I was looking between my fingers on that last lap. Rossi Banham and Taylor Lawrence side by side through about 4 different corners, and brilliant overtaking from the both of them, and clearly showing some fantastic racecraft. And Rossi Banham back on the pace, trying to get the move done. Willie closing, going around the back end of the circuit, so we come back towards the second and third sector. Rossi Banham closing in on Taylor Lawrence. Chris Wells is still there, still staying with them. They're dropping Harrison Crosby now. It's 1.6 seconds back to Harrison in fourth position, so we've got a lead trio. You can see that's Jamie King. Jamie King with a hand up, not enjoying that bite, but down the inside comes Rossi Banham, not quite close enough this time around. Rossi really putting the pressure on. Taylor is going to cover the inside line again. Taylor Lawrence taking that defensive line, so Rossi can just take the normal racing line. Can he get a run around the outside and sweeping into the next corner? You can see he's going to try to go to the outside, taking a tighter line. This is a fantastic race once again from the pit bikes.
And where have these 7 laps gone? It doesn't feel like there's been 7 laps. These guys have been giving us so much entertainment. You can't take your eye off it for a second or you will miss something. A quick check on Charlie Nesbitt. He's just set the fastest lap of the race with a 42.9 and has made his way up into 10th place from the back of the grid, so carving through the field. He's the number 86 of Charlie Nesbitt, but we're focused on these 2 guys at the front. They're coming up to some back markers now. That decided the race yesterday, so how is it going to pan out this one? They're both going to have to get through it as quick as each other. That's Ian Jackson. They're just coming up to Lack, having a little look up the inside, and he manages to put a bike between him and Rossi Banham. So Taylor Lawrence using the back markers to his advantage. Rossi Banham trying to go around the outside. It's a yellow flag as well, but he makes his way through on the back markers.
Yeah, you can see Rossi just getting caught out by that lap traffic a little bit. He's cost himself around about 2 bikes length between himself and Taylor Lawrence, but Taylor, with about 3.5 laps left to go, is under severe pressure from the 196 of Rossi Banham. We've got a rider off at the final corner, just wheeling his bike back to pit lane. But Rossi Banham, you can see it's Taylor Lawrence on the edge of grip there. He tries to cover off. As you can see, Rossi Banham trying to find a way past. He turned to the inside, just tried to see if there was enough room to go down the inside of Taylor Lawrence, but Taylor this time around a little bit more careful. He takes the racing line, doesn't take too much of a defensive line, so that's going to help him on exit of this first chicane down towards the second chicane. Yellow flags out around this part of the circuit, so that's no overtaking. Rossi's going to have to compose himself wait for later on. We've got about 2.5 laps left to go. It's Taylor Lawrence versus Rossi Banham. Charlie Nesbitt, another fastest lap. He's making his way up the order. It's 8th position now for Charlie. He's way off the lead, so you don't need to worry about that. It's going to be Rossi Banham versus Taylor Lawrence. 0.2 of a second across the line. This is going to go anywhere. Is that Rossi now making the move? He is now up into the lead of this one. He's got past Taylor Lawrence, so Taylor Lawrence is going to come around to start going from being the hunted to the hunter. He's got the inside line. Rossi cuts across in front of him into T1. Rossi Banham, Taylor Lawrence, battle of the weekend so far.
Oh, and he has a look up the inside, but yellow flags through that sector, so no overtaking through here. He's going to have to stick behind the number 96 of Rossi Banham. He's just trying to see where he can make his move. He made a beautiful move here early on. They go down, and Rossi always gets good drive out of here. You can see him just pulling away slightly on the exit of there. Nice wide swooping lines from Rossi, and they just come up to a few more back markers here, so Rossi's going to have to be clever. Luckily, they're getting them on the straight, so they can try and just blast past them down this straight. He leaves the door open massively, swerving from left to right. Rossi Banham, but he's making sure he's covering his lines. There's no way through for Taylor Lawrence. This is the final lap. This is race 1 for the pit bike 140s.
Yeah, the pit bikes are really going at each other. It's going to be Rossi Banham versus Taylor Lawrence on this last lap. What can they do about this? What can Taylor Lawrence do about Rossi Banham? Taylor was leading so much of it. Rossi's managed to get up ahead. Here comes Taylor Lawrence down the inside. Can't quite get the move done. Is that going to hurt him on exit? It looks as though he's dropped back about 2 bikes lengths. Rossi Banham takes a wider line into turn 5, and they're going to come sweeping around onto the back straight. It's Taylor Lawrence versus Rossi Banham, and we're going to go down the back straight. Who's going to get this one? It's all going to be, it looks as though Rossi Banham's just about got the run on him as they come up to take the checkered flag. Rossi Banham, Taylor Lawrence, what a fight it's been. Checkered flag, Rossi, yeah, it's Taylor Lawrence.
It was Taylor
that gets the move on the final corner.
I mean, we just lost them on at the end of the shot there, but it was Taylor Lawrence that took the move. I'm assuming he made a move down into the final corner, so a brilliant end to the race for Taylor Lawrence. Was so defensive all race long. Charlie Nesbitt made his way up into 6th place with the fastest lap of the race earlier on, so a brilliant ride from him from 35th place on the grid up to 6th. Ryan Hitchcock in 7th, Reese Peacock in 8th, Darren Anderson just ahead of Marco Pandolfo, who rounded out your top 10. So Taylor Lawrence, defensive all race long, where he was strong earlier in the race, strong on the brakes. He made that work for him at the end, took that inside line, got past Rossi Banham, did a brilliant job.
Yeah, what a race. This is, we said this yesterday, the lean angle there from Lucas Brown going around the corner, almost with his shoulder on the ground. That was impressive, but popping some wheelies down the back straight, and as you can see, they're all having a quick chat as Taylor Lawrence just looks over at Harrison Crosby. Well, this might be the first time that Taylor has taken a breath in this race so far, because I imagine he would have been fully focused on Rossi Banham all the way through that one. What a race. The pit bikes once again putting on an absolute spectacle as into the shot rolls Jason and Leo Greenstreet on that 90 Mini F1 Sidecar, and the Sidecars we will see out very, very shortly as well. And they had a couple of bumping and bruising battles yesterday, did the 90 Mini F1 Sidecar, but yeah, the PB140s, once again, that has been the class to watch this weekend. They have been absolutely sensational.
Yeah, one of the first times we've seen a right last lap scrap for the win, and a last corner overtake to take the victory. So brilliant stuff, exactly what we want to be seeing from the pit bike 140s. We said it earlier in the race, the fact that they're all on those similar machinery, it means we always get such great racing from them. So many bikes out there, which meant back markers does play a part in the races.
Yeah, there's some P's in there
eventually. Yeah, too many P's.
It's been a long weekend, but it's been absolutely brilliant. Really enjoyed this. It's great to be back. We've been set free and, getting back into the swing of things, but enjoying it ever so much. And, this is another one we're going to enjoy. It is the MKGP 50s, the first taste of geared bikes for a lot of these riders that are making their move up from the mini motos. And, one man that has had a very strong weekend so far is the 146 Clayton Edmonds. He'll be delighted with his Lydd's weekend so far.
Yeah, he's been, absolute dominant force at the front of this one. And like we've seen in a few classes, that we've seen a few standout riders, and Clayton Edmonds has been one of them. Marco Holt is one of the riders trying to stand in his way, as well as Luke Schofield. Harry Payne also in there trying to get himself up onto the podium. Clayton Edmonds just getting his bike started in pit lane. Don't think there's any problems there, just making sure that his bike is started in and ready to go. So nothing to worry about there for the number 146. We can expect him to go out and dominate out the front. But of course, number 58, Marco Holt, will be trying his best to get ahead of the number 146. Of course, Clayton rode in the GP50s last year and also rider over in the GP70 category. Marco Holt, his rookie season in the GP50s, and he is impressing.
Yeah, he has, and had a really, really good weekend so far as the 58 of Marco Holt. Luke Schofield equally back in third position on this one on the 64. Luke has had a pretty strong weekend. I'm sure he'll be pretty delighted how his opening account for the MKGP 50s has gone. Harry Payne lining up in fourth place. This is a good qualifying result for Harry, lining up on that second row. That 11, possibly the smiliest lad in the paddock. Really, really enjoy every time we get a chance to have a chat with him. And he's got a fantastic story, of course. His backstory for how he got into racing. His dad isn't even doesn't have a bike license himself. He let Harry loose. Harry just fell in love with bikes, and a great place to come and fab and get on that bike, chasing it. Of course, sponsored by Glen Irwin as well.
Well, he said last year, he said that when he jumped up on the Metro kits last year, he wasn't expecting to, and it was just a bonus for him. Now this year, he's come here in the GP50s, looking strong, on the verge of podiums, and also riding in the Premier class in the GP70s as well. So, really taken to the bikes well. A really strong little rider who we can expect to see really improving and starting pushing wins at the end of the season. And I do expect to see that number 11 on the podium and fighting for wins towards the end of the season. But at the moment, it is Clayton Edmonds who is so strong out the front of this one, as we just wait for the inspection of the track at the moment. So we've just got a little bit of time to kill before we get started for this MKGP 50 race 2 for round 2 here at the card circuit. Of course, we have had a double weekend with rounds 1 and 2 crammed into this weekend. We've already had round 1. We're here ready for race 2 for round 2 for the GP50s. Riders aged 9 to 15 years old in this category, starting off their careers on Metrokit GP50 machinery. Of course, their first taste of gearbox bikes. Yeah, and doing a stellar job of it if you're the likes of Clayton Edmonds, Marco Holt, who have been fighting for that win all weekend long. But as you say, as we wait to a quick track inspection, just make sure all those pit bikes are out on circuit, bumping and enjoying their circuit. Maybe just a little bit of fluid down, just having a quick glance over. But the 50s will be out very, very shortly. But we welcome you all to this lovely Sunday morning here from Lydd Kart Circuit Down, nestled on the Kent and East Sussex border, just by the beach. It's very, very lovely down here if you ever get a chance to visit this part of the world. But my name is Gareth Hall, joined as always by Tristan Finocchiaro, and we welcome you, whether you're in the paddock, of course, whether you're watching at home or you're listening on the journey, of course, on motorsport.radio, the world's only dedicated motorsport 24-hour live streaming radio station. And we will be bringing you the rest of the action throughout the rest of the day for this second round of the season from Lydd, before we head to South Wales for round 3 in a few weeks' time over the Llandau. And, it's a circuit we didn't manage to visit last season due to unfortunate circumstances going on around the UK. I'm looking forward to that one. Not been there yet. Looking forward to trying a new circuit myself. These guys, I'm sure, the season out, a little bit rusty. Might be fun. Yeah, real shame that we didn't get to see Llandau on the calendar last year, of course, right towards the end of the season. That was down to lockdown restrictions in Wales, but it's a track that's always been on the calendar here at FAB-Racing, even when I started, however many years back. Back in black and white. That was a track that I always really enjoyed, and it's a brilliant circuit. It's got a little bit of everything and brings something extra to the FAB-Racing calendar as well. So something else that we get to see here on the FAB-Racing calendar this year. So really excited for that one, of course. And like you say, the riders might be a little bit rusty by the time they get there. They won't have ridden that for at least a season. So they'll be trying to go down there and get some practice before we do get down to Llandau in South Wales.
Yeah, and you'll be able to follow that all by, of course, going to FAB-Racing's YouTube and Facebook pages, where, of course, you can follow and share, subscribe where you will be notified every time Fab goes live with a new video. Go to FAB-Racing on Twitter, go to @Motorsport where you'll find out more about about Fab, and every time we are racing. FABRacing.co.uk is your place to go for all things Fab. And of course, if you'd like to get involved, we'd always like to see more members joining Fab and joining this wonderful community of riders around the paddock, from all things big bikes to small bikes to even some three-wheeled bikes. But if you're enjoying today's events, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff you do on the socials, and use the hashtag FABRacing on Twitter and Instagram to get in the conversation. And of course, if you'd like to get in touch with us, it's the best place to go. And dropping into the comments, let us know if you're enjoying yourself and who you are supporting. We always love to hear you all chatting away and sending in your best regards from all over the world. But we're getting ready for this MKGP 50 class here. Clayton Edmonds on pole position. He'll have Marco Holt making his debut in this category and really impressing.
Yeah, round one he was really impressive, consistently on the podium and consistently threatening the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds, who is really a dominant threat in this category. Of course, these guys still got 2 warm-up laps to contend with before they get going for their race 2 for the MKGP 50s. Of course, now this is round 2 for them. We've already had round 1 yesterday, and Marco Holt looking really racy there on this one as they get going for their warm-up laps. 2 warm-up laps and a new rider on the back of the grid there, the number 7, not on our grid or timing, so we'll have to find out. I think that possibly Luke Fitchett.
It possibly might be Luke Fitchett. It does look like the same sort of livery, but we will find out, I'm sure, very, very shortly. But it will be, however, Clayton Edmonds lining up on pole position. And do you want to know how close pole position was? It was 0.02 of a second split Clayton Edmonds and Marco Holt. So it shows you that a blink of an eye can be all the difference. So Clayton Edmonds on pole position, Marco Holt in second, with Luke Schofield in third place, Harry Payne in fourth, Josh Williams lines up in fifth, with Bill Harris, who had a pretty good run yesterday, in sixth place. Ollie Sims back in seventh, with Warwick Brady making his return to Fab after his injury last season in eighth. Isaiah Devine in ninth place, with some good progression so far from the 90, and Noah Guillory rounding out the field in the end of row 5, 10th position. However, we've got mystery number 7, which might be Luke Fitchett, and it is Luke Fitchett that joins us for the MKGP 50. So good to see Luke making his way onto the field. He'll be lining up in 11th position. Yeah, good to see a new rider joining this for round 2. Of course, Luke has been around this weekend over in the mini moto classes and now having a go at an MKGP 50. This will be his debut race in the GP50, so have a look out for him. Plenty of learning for him to do on these gearbox bikes. He'll line up just behind Noah Guillory in 11th spot, Noah Guillory on the number 41. Isaiah Devine representing Bermuda. We saw him do really, really well so far this weekend. Big improvements from him compared to last season, and we'll expect to see him continuing to improve as the season goes on. But at the front, it is down to Clayton Edmonds, Marco Holt, Luke Schofield and Harry Payne for those podium positions. The likes of Josh Williams and Bill Harris will be looking to try and make that next step, and that is Luke Fitchett, that's already having problems and already out of this race. So not the best of start to his MKGP 50 career. No, as the bike gets rolled back to pit lane at the moment, so that's going to delay the start a little bit as they just get it out of the way. But as we get ready to take the lights very, very shortly to begin this second race of round 2 for the MKGP 50s. It's Clayton Edmonds on pole position, Marco Holt in second, Luke Schofield will line up in third, with Harry Payne on the 11 in fourth position. Josh Williams fifth, Bill Harris in sixth. Watch out for Bill Harris on that 14. Had a very, very strong day yesterday, making some good moves on the riders around him, as you see the bike getting restarted, or attempted to be restarted, for Luke Fitchett, who was on that 7 machine. But Ollie Sims, who had a bit of a fall down on Friday, but we're getting ready to go for this one. Lights are on, getting ready, and there we go, lights off, and Clayton Edmonds, an absolute rocket of a start into turn 1, holds on to the lead of this one. Harry Payne has had a little bit of a poor start, dropped back behind a couple of riders. It looks as though Warwick Brady has had a monster of a start. Warwick Brady making up multiple positions off the line. Yeah, lightning off the start there from Warwick Brady. Really good reactions from the number 99 and just climbing up a few positions there. Harry Payne has dropped back a few positions.
And a good move there from Joshua Williams up the inside of Warwick Brady. So he's reclaiming that position there. You can see Ollie Sims just behind Harry Payne as well. He's trying to make up some positions at the same time. Good start from Isaiah Devine now. He's just managed to get up ahead of a couple of riders there as well. Just behind Isaiah Devine is Bill Harris. So Bill Harris has dropped back a few positions there from 6th spot on the grid. So he's going to be looking to try and regain those positions. Clayton Edmonds already cleared off at the front. And we've got a little bit of a battle for second here brewing between the number 58, Marco Holt, and the number 64 of Luke Schofield. Of course, Luke Schofield, a little bit of a gap between him and Marco Holt, so he's going to want to try and close that in. The gap at the front just stretching out a little bit between these guys. It's a second between Holt and Edmonds, and then another half a second back to Luke Schofield. So you can just see how hard that Edmonds is pushing at the front because he's stretching these riders out.
Yeah, he is indeed. And so Clayton, who was targeting the MKGP 50 Championship and a good run in the 70s this season, is off to a great start. Harry Payne, who after losing a couple of positions off the line has already passed Warwick Brady. Warwick's now losing a position unless he can sweep around the outside and just hold off from Ollie Sims' attack into the final corner. But Harry Payne now trying to get back past the 78 of Josh Williams as they come across the line. The gap was 0.2 of a second, and Harry trying to get the move done. Warwick Brady trying to hold off Ollie Sims, and Ollie trying to move up from 7th into 6th. Warwick Brady, of course, starting in 8th position, but now up to 6th place. So it was a good start from Warwick. He's lost a couple of positions, but it's good to see him back. That's Luke Fitchie off to the side of the circuit, trying to get it restarted. Looks as though he's going to be able to get some laps in on this GP50 bike, so that would be good if Luke can just get his eye in here on this bike. But up at the front, Clayton Edmonds still managing to hold off Marco Holt. However, Marco last time around, fastest lap of 44.6. He took half a second out of Clayton Edmonds, and the gap now is only half a second coming across the line as we start 7 laps left to go.
Pushing really, really hard is the number 58 of Marco Holt, trying to hang on to the coattails of Clayton Edmonds. Clayton going across the line the last time round with a 44.3, so that's the fastest lap of the race to Clayton Edmonds. Harry Payne all over the rear wheel of Joshua Williams. Now this is the battle for 4th, and we've got a train of riders here all fighting for that 4th place, and that is brilliant to see. The number 99 Warwick Brady in there, so he's just getting back on form after recovering from his injuries from last year. Number 73 Ollie Sims, he's in there as well. Of course, Ollie Sims, a rider that we saw last year in the MKGP50s as well, the 11-year-old competing in the GP50s and the LC40 Elites. He was 11th in GP50s last year as Harry Payne goes up the inside of the number 78, Josh Williams for 4th place. So that's a change of position for 4th. Harry Payne up 1.
Yeah, lovely move there from Harry Payne, getting up the inside of Josh Williams, back up into 4th position where he started last time around. Once again, Marco Holt with another fastest lap of 44.186, was 0.4 of a second faster than Clayton. So at the moment, Clayton and Marco are swapping fastest laps, almost lap for lap. Clayton taking about half a second, Marco takes back half a second. So the gap is sitting at 0.4 of a second at the moment, with 7 laps just about to become 6 as they cross the line left to go. So we're about 50% of the way through this race. Luke Schofield having a quiet race in 3rd, still eyeing up Marco Holt. He's only 1.6 seconds back, and we'll cross the line. It was only 1/10 of a second between Marco Holt. Marco now right on the tail of Clayton Edmonds as they go into the second chicane. And well, Clayton probably wasn't expecting this. Marco's clearly had his Weetabix this morning.
He really wants this win, doesn't he? He's really pushing hard for it. It's gone all Clayton's way so far this weekend, but Marco wants that debut win. It's his debut weekend. He's done his round 1, now into round 2, and he is looking to get that win and take it away from the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. Still plenty of laps to go in this race, so it could go either way, but he is pushing so hard to stick with Clayton Edmonds. Clayton's been so dominant over the past few races, and now it's down to the number 58 of Marco Holt. But just as I say that, Clayton Edmonds takes the fastest lap of the race, a 44 flat, but Marco Holt is still right on his rear wheel with a 44.1 on that last lap. So both riders setting their personal bests on that last lap. That just proves how hard they are pushing.
Yeah, Marco Holt just trying to see if he can get a better run on the exit down towards, or the off-camber downhill section, sweeping through turn 5 onto the back straight. Very tricky turn 6, taking almost full load, basically trusting the tyres to do their job around that corner, sending it down to the final corner. And Marco Holt, and Marco is really impressive because what he shows is that seamless transition from being able to be competitive in the LC40 Elites onto the MKGP50 bikes. He's made that jump up this season. It's great to see because he was running really well on the mini motos last season. Jumps up to the MKGP 50s and straight on the pace, straight on the back of the man that looks as though he is the one to beat for this championship, Clayton Edmonds, as they go back around the back end of the circuit in sector 2, sweeping around turn 3 and turn 4. And well, Clayton, he's got a lot of work to do. Marco looking very, very racy this morning. A 44 flat is the fastest lap, a 44.1 for Marco Holt. They're matching each other almost lap for lap.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's not an easy transition at all either. Marco will have had to put a lot of work into it over the winter, getting used to the gears, getting used to the different height, getting used to having his rear brake on his foot as opposed to the hand, getting used to having a clutch. There's so many different things to get used to, and then to be able to put it into practice in a race is a completely different thing. And having that extra little bit of experience will help Clayton Edmonds towards the end of this race. But Marco Holt really showing his own and really doing an incredible job as he looks towards the inside, just shows him a wheel, because doesn't make it stick this lap around, but he's still got a few more laps to try and make a move on Clayton.
Yeah, he has this with just about 2.5 laps left to go in this one. And if you're Marco there, is that just trying to get in the head of Clayton, just showing him the front wheel, just getting in the peripheral vision of Clayton going around a bend that he would have been able to see Marco if he just take a quick glance behind. He's just putting that wheel there, just telling him he's still there, he has to defend. But Clayton, to his credit, not taking defensive lines. He's taking that racing line. He's keeping that circuit to an exact premium that he wants, making sure that he takes all the lines he wants. If Marco's going to get past, he's going to have to do it the long way around.
Marco's trying everything to try and get past the number 146 of Clayton Edmonds. Like you say, it is a little bit of mind games. He's just trying to put pressure on and trying to show him that he is there, and also at the same time trying to find a way through and trying to figure out the best way to get past the number 146. So absolutely so, he's definitely going to be playing a little bit of mind, trying to get in his peripheral vision as well, just trying to make sure he's putting pressure on him. And it looks a little bit as if number 58 has something in the bag here, because he looks to be, he seems to be really comfortable behind him, and he looks to be really pushing on.
Yeah, as they come around to start their final lap, there's a little bit of lap traffic up ahead. Will that play into this final lap as they cross the line? Clayton Edmonds leading from Marco Holt by just under 0.2 of a second. Marco looking very racy. In fact, as they go into turn 2, takes a slightly different run into the corner and takes a tighter apex, and that's going to give him a run on exit. But Clayton with a good launch down the inside. Will he get caught out by this traffic? It looks as though they might just about get around it. Marco Holt looks as though he had a much more comfortable run through turn 3, and he's going to put the pressure on Clayton Edmonds as they go around the back end of the circuit, down to the last corner, turn 4 and turn 5. It's going to go down the back straight. Marco Holt, he has to make this move now if he's going to get the race win. They go down the back straight. Clayton Edmonds holds onto the line, takes the apex. He's going to hug that inside. Will it be a run to the line? It's going to be Clayton Edmonds. Marco Holt can't quite get in, but it is Clayton Edmonds, your race winner for the MKGP 50s. 1/10 of a second. What a race there from Marco Holt. Across the line, Luke Schofield comes home in a lonely third, but I'm sure he'll be very happy about that one. Harry Payne, after losing those positions off the line, is fighting his way to hold on to a 4th place finish, which would be a great result for Harry. He does take 4th place ahead of Josh Williams by half a second. Warwick Brady is trying to hold off Ollie Sims and just about manages to hold off Ollie, and behind them Bill Harris is back in 8th position. Isaiah Devine in 9th place and No Guillory back in 10th. What a result there. Clayton and Marco battling it out all the way to the finish.
Complete masterclass there from Clayton Edmonds. You saw into the last corner, he went real defensive and was so strong on the brakes, and that meant there was no way through for Marco Holt. The only thing he could do was go wide, try and get the cut back and try and get him on the line, but with the line being so close to the final corner, it is a really, really difficult thing to do at the Lydd kart circuit. We haven't seen anyone do it, in fact, in any of these races. No drags to the line round here. It is all down to who leads out of that final corner, and it was Clayton that did it. He rode a brilliant race, stayed calm, set the fastest lap of the race, matched Marco for pace completely. Brilliant ride from Holt, though, it has to be said. I mean, he was pushing Clayton all the way, trying to put pressure on him, trying everything he could to find a way through. But in the end, it was Clayton that came out on top. So a brilliant ride from both of those guys. Another brilliant podium for Luke Schofield. Harry Payne picking up 4th there, just knocking on the door of a podium.
Yeah, and it's good to see from Harry as he dropped those positions off the line. Some good overtakes back up into 4th position where he started. However, it's Clayton Edmonds, another win in the MKGP 50s. I'm sure he'll be very happy with how his weekend has gone so far. They'll be back out for their final race of the weekend a little bit later on, so tune in later for that if you want to see Clayton, see if he can take another decent result in the 50s. Next up, however, we are over to the Extreme 200 category, and well, we've seen a battle this weekend between the likes of Harvey Claridge, Evan Belford, Harrison Crosby, Charlie Nesbitt is involved in it, even though he's been on a slightly slower bike. He's still right up at the front of this one. Steve Cornwall's had a couple of good results. He lines up in 5th. Rossi Banham, it's a who's who of decent riders in this one.
Yeah, Rossi Banham, we saw earlier on in the Pit Bike 140s, pushing Taylor Lawrence for the win. He's going to be pushing to get the best result he can in this one, but of course, running his Pit Bike 140 in with the Extreme 200s as number 86 there, Charlie Nesbitt, just does a stoppie and turns it around on its nose to get back out there on the grid. Also on a Pit Bike 140, so as fast as he is, we won't be able to see him challenging the Extreme 200 machines that we see at the front, the likes of Harvey Claridge, Evan Belford on those two-stroke 85cc KTMs as well. So plenty of these guys out there can very well win these races. Loads of British Talent Cup names, loads of BSB names, like we always see in the Extreme 200s, pretty much make up the grid. And it's brilliant for the likes of Steve Cornwall, Tim Cornwall, and some of the other guys on this grid to be surrounded by such a great calibre of riders.
Yeah, absolutely so. And I see everyone just pedalling their way into position as, well, this Extreme 200 has been a fun category so far this weekend. Rossi Banham, I'm sure, will be a little bit disappointed after losing that PB 140 race win earlier today. What can he do from lining up from 6th on the grid as he lifts the visor lid, just having a quick look around as everyone just chats around? Look, just paying attention as Charlie, here he comes, rolling into position on that 86. And, well, it's going to be Harvey Claridge on pole position. Evan Belford, second place, of course. Evan Belford, of course, done very nicely here. Previous MKGP 70 champion, Evan Belford. Harrison Crosby, 3rd position for him. Charlie Nesbitt lining up 4th with Steve Cornwall 5th. Rossi Banham 6th. Tim Cornwall in 7th with Ollie Walker 8th. Owen Mellor 9th with Jake Archer 10th. Cameron Horsman in 11th with Dylan Mellor 12th. Then you've got David Ferns and Jack Andrews in 13th and 14th. Callum Wybrow rounding out the field. 15th position down on row 8. And, well, like we see in the PB 140s, Tristan, you never quite know what you're going to see from this one. These guys always like to get their elbows out, a little bit of banging between the knees and the panels on side. And well, we've seen a couple of tumbles, a bit of contact. We can go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. It could go any way. We've seen Harvey Claridge, Harrison Crosby, Evan Belford all battling it out for this win, swapping paint as they go around this Lydd car circuit. They've started their 2 warm-up laps, and it's going to be brilliant to see who's going to take this one. Of course, Harvey Claridge worked so hard for it yesterday, didn't quite manage to make it stick. Of course, he did win that race earlier on as well, where Evan Belford didn't have his transponder working. So although Evan Belford did cross the line, was the first to cross the line, it was Harvey Claridge that took that victory due to no transponder on the number 52 of Evan Belford. Evan went out in the next race to prove a point. He went out there and won the race, and fair play to him.
Yeah, absolutely. So as they go around for their second and final warm-up lap before they kick off their first race of the day, the Extreme 200s, of course, they will have one more race later on this afternoon as they complete their first and second rounds of the season. Of course, a bumper, action-packed weekend that we will be completing on this sunny Sunday in the southeast of England here at Lydd Kart Circuit. And it's been a brilliant way to open the season. I'm sure everyone has been very happy that the weather has stayed firm. Of course, if you remember this time last year, round 2 was almost a monsoon and we were underwater here, but this time around the blue skies are out, we're enjoying a lovely sea breeze, and Harvey Claridge, well, he'll be lining up in pole position. I'm sure he'll be wanting to come home with the gold coming the end of this one. The 4th, you can see Evan Belford just filtering into position now as everyone starts to build up the nerves, ready for this one. Yep, there may be a bit of training for some of these guys, however, they all want to win. Who's going to take this one away? Harrison Crosby back in 3rd position on the 93. What can he do back there from the second row as they get ready to look to the lights to kick off the second race of the day second race for the weekend for these guys as they sweep into turn 1. It's a great move there. Charlie Nesbitt getting the move done behind Rossi Banham, trying to get some overtakes done into the exit of turn 1. Behind, you can see, well, everyone just about making their way through turn 1. All fine, but up at the front, Harvey Claridge holding on to the lead.
Excellent execution there from Charlie Nesbitt on that first corner. Was blown away through by that move. Really, really good move from him. Evan Belford dropping back through the field there, so possibly on a pit by 140. They can't quite tell from here, but Evan Belford just dropping through the field, not what we expect to see from him. He's quite a bit further back. He's back there. I think that is the number 14. That is a pit by 140 that he is running from earlier on, that we saw him in the pit by 140s as well. So don't expect to see him challenging Harvey Claridge, because of course that extra bit of power, but you can see him battling it out with the number 86 Charlie Nesbitt. Both these guys on 140cc machinery. Steve Cornwall just behind is going to be looking to try and get through on these guys as well. Also the number 47 Jake Archer in there as well, so keep an eye out for him.
And for the uninitiated that maybe are turning on or listening for the first time, tell us the difference. Those guys are out there on the 140s, those are out there on those extreme 200 class bikes.
Well, pit bike 140s are essentially pit bikes, they're the Chinese bikes, 140cc 4-stroke engines. The extreme 200s, these are the types of bikes that you see. They are motocross bikes converted to be mini supermotos essentially. So like you'd see in like a normal supermoto category, where they convert 450 motocross bikes into supermotos. It's the same thing here. They're just converting a 150cc Honda CRF into a mini supermoto. Equally, the KTM 85cc's. You can see the 105cc's as well, but you tend not to see them as much.
I know there's a reason why we keep you around. This font of knowledge about bikes is always good to hear. But yep, that is the difference you see with some of these guys that might be falling off the back of the pack. However, they are still out there enjoying themselves. However, the man that is enjoying himself the most is Harvey Claridge. Not too much though, because Harrison Crosby is trying to stay with him. It's around about just dipping under a second's gap across the line last time around. What is it this time? It's gapped up to 1.13 of a second. Harrison Crosby back in second place. Steve Cornwall, another strong run from the 4 once again. He's up in third position. Charlie Nesbitt 1.7 seconds back. He's got Rossi Banham for company, who's just under a second behind him. The 196 running Rossi Banham. Jake Archer 6th position. Tim Cornwall 7th. As you said at the start, Evan Belford falling back a few positions off the front row. He's down in 8th position. Dylan Mellor and Jack Andrews round out your top 10.
Yeah, so brilliant stuff from them. Of course, Harvey Claridge now breaking away at the front, 1.1 second lead that he has over Harrison Crosby on that Metrokit machine. The number 16 just flying away at the front here, as you see a plethora of BSB riders on this grid. Jake Archer, the number 47 we're currently looking at, of course, RS Racing GP2 rider, teammate to Charlie Nesbitt over in the GP2 paddock in BSB. So plenty of BSB names on this grid, but it is Claridge, who is another GP2 rider, in fact, for the Nova Transmissions team, leading this one. So plenty of GP2s, plenty of British Talent Cup riders in this one. Crosby 1.2 seconds away from Harvey Claridge now. Harvey setting consistent lap times at the front. Consistent 41s, 41.5 and now a 41.7 as well on that last lap. Just crosses the line again and it's a 41.6. So all his lap times within 0.3 of a second, and that is what is bringing him this mammoth lead that he has out the front. 1.2 seconds. Crosby's giving it everything though. 41.6 on the last lap for Crosby as well. It actually did the exact same lap time on that last lap.
Yeah, that's impressive, down to the thousandths of a second. So let's see if we've got another digit after that one, because Harvey Claridge will want to be taking this one, because at the moment Harrison Crosby still sticking with him. 1.2 seconds, it's still within reach, but Harvey putting down some solid laps in this early phase of this one. And it's great to see these guys, as you say, that have graduated through to the BSB paddock, coming back and not only going out there and getting some seat time, but as we found out from Charlie Nesbitt last season, he works with the kids here, working with them and teaching them new skills and working on their technique. And it's great to see these guys that have worked their way through FAB coming back down and working with that next generation. Yeah,
whilst they're coming back here and having a little bit of fun, doing some training, it helps them for their season as well. And they're also coming back here, the likes of Charlie Nesbitt coming back here, helping out with some of the riders. We've seen him helping out with a lot of them, the likes of Warwick Brady, Josh Bannister, and a lot of the riders in some of the lower classes. And he's here helping them out, just giving them a few tips, showing them around. And it's brilliant to see. I mean, we saw earlier in the weekend as well, on the Friday, the likes of Rossi Banham, who we see in these classes, who's currently 5th in this race. He was taking a few of the younger riders for a track walk and just helping them out with their lines and picking their markers and stuff like that. So it is brilliant to see these guys coming back, helping out. FAB has helped them in their careers, and they're coming back and helping out FAB.
Yeah, absolutely so. And So the circle of life continues in FAB, and it does an absolute stellar job of not only producing some great talent, but producing some great teachers in the same stead. But out the front of this one, Harvey Claridge, that gap now is just about dropped to 0.8 of a second. So Harrison's starting to make a couple of inroads in on him. They're coming around to start 4 laps left to go. And Harrison just sniffing a little bit of blood here. Harvey Claridge getting a little bit closer. He's going to feel, as soon as, I mean, when you're in this position, you can feel yourself closing in. And across the line, it's now down to 0.4 of a second. So, I mean, as soon as you feel yourself closing in, and this translates across, 2 wheels to 4 wheels to 3 wheels, only as soon as you feel yourself, I feel a little bit faster than him, you just get quicker, and you start to get that confidence. And this is exactly what's happening to Harrison. Yeah,
Crosby is very much being the chaser here in this race, closing down on Harvey Claridge. You can see him just getting closer and closer, and that's exactly, I mean, it gives him a good peace of mind, gives him confidence whilst he's riding, and having someone to aim at does make things a lot easier. I mean, once he's got him, then the next thing is overtaking him, because of course, I mean, catching him is one thing, but if he can get past the number 16 of Harvey Claridge, because we've seen how strong Harvey can be in a battle, as well as they just make their way across a few back markers, just about managed it. So just about managed to make their way up through them, now back down into the back section of the circuit. Just a few more laps to go in this race. Who's it going to be? Will it be Claridge? Will it be the number 93 of Crosby? As Crosby gets, is that a problem for Claridge, because he's just pulled to the side of the circuit? That is now Harrison Crosby in the lead, but it looks as if some big problems there for Harvey Claridge, so we'll have to wait and see what happened there. There he is at the side of the circuit. So Harvey Claridge out of this race at the worst time possible.
Oh, from the lead of the race, Harvey Claridge, it all goes wrong. So that promotes Harrison Crosby up into the lead with just 2.5 laps left to go as he comes around to start the second to last lap. And Harrison Crosby, well, he's got to do 2 more laps of this, and he's going to go past the stricken Harvey Claridge. And Harvey Claridge now dropping down the order. Steve Cornwall is going to be promoted up into a podium position. Charlie Nesbitt is now up into third place now. Rossi Banham a little bit further back from them. So Charlie Nesbitt, even on that slower bike, is now in a comfortable 3rd place. But Harrison Crosby in a league of his own now, not having to worry whatsoever. He can just enjoy this ride around on that Extreme 200 bike in this lovely Sunday sun down on the beach down at Lydd. And well, it's unfortunately best case scenario for Harrison, worst case scenario for Harvey.
Yeah, it's exactly what Harrison would have wanted to see. I mean, Harrison was closing in anyway. Harrison looked as if he was going to try and make a move at some point anyway. He was already lining up that pass, and then perfect timing for him. Unfortunately for Harvey Claridge, he pulled it off to the side of the track. So now that is a 6.3 second lead that he has over Steve Cornwall, and he just needs to bring it round to the flag now with half a lap remaining in this race. Heads down into the twisty section for the final time, about to come up onto the back straight. He looks really confident, really smooth, really nice ride from him. He caught up Harvey Claridge, he just needed to get past him. He knows that he's on his own out there at the front, just cruises around the final corner for the final time, comes across the line, and it is Harrison Crosby who takes the win here in the Extreme 200s, race 2 for round 2.
Yeah, brilliant result there from Harrison, who has picked up a couple of wins so far this weekend. Up to the line, Steve Cornwall takes 2nd place. Charlie Nesbitt will hold on to 3rd ahead of Rossi Banham. Jake Archer and Tim Cornwall are currently circulating in 5th and 6th position. Evan Belford, after unfortunately a little bit of a slow race for Evan, he's dropped down to 7th place and running a bit of no man's land. But you can see Harvey Claridge just cruising his way back to pit road after that issue with the bike. But popping a wheelie down the back is Harrison Crosby, your race winner for the 2nd race of round 2 for the Extreme 200s. And Harrison, after going down on his own yesterday and looking up to the sky out of the lead, well, much better this time around. Pops another wheelie down the back straight as the 93. And, well, that will buoy him going into the final race of the weekend. And everyone wants to leave the final race of the weekend with that win, because, of course, that takes the confidence into the next round. It takes the confidence for these guys that are moving into BSB, knowing that, of course, they've beaten some guys that they'll be racing against.
Yeah, it does help having that one-up on your rivals here at FAB-Racing. Of course, Mind Games already playing for the British Talent Cup riders before they even get on the grid. So, yeah, I mean, it will give him a little bit of a peace of mind. It will give him some confidence knowing that he could catch down Harvey Claridge and get in front of him. Of course, he won't be racing against Harvey this year because Harvey's moving up from the British Talent Cup after some some brilliant rides last year, fighting for wins and podiums. Now moving up into the Nova Transmissions team in the GP2 category. So that's brilliant to see from him. But next up, it looks like it's going to be the Mini F1 sidecars.
It is going to be the Mini F1 sidecars, and well, there is the 26, the Red Bull livery, Mick Williams and Michael Elms. Claire Elms and Adrian Elms make their way out on circuit, equally the likes of the three of Dave and Iona Glover, the dad and daughter pairing, and Jason and Leo Greenstreet on the 90, John Hosker on the 127 making his way out, and well, We've seen a bit of a tussle between these guys on the Mini F1 sidecar so far this weekend. They've not been worried about trading some paint, and we've seen contact between the Greenstreets and the M's. We've seen contact between Dave and Iona Glover and the M's. It's all been elbows out, it seems, this weekend.
Yeah, we should rename this the bumper cars, because we've seen them, yeah, like you say, swapping paint, just getting underneath each other. Jason Greenstreet had a big moment. Just told us yesterday that he was focused on a few engine problems that he's been having. A bit of a weekend haunted by a few technical gremlins, so unfortunate for them, but it's given us some entertaining racing, though, him flying across the grass, taking out Adrian and Claire Ems as well. Adrian, Claire Ems taking it in their stride, turning around pretty much completely as it happened, getting straight back on, and fighting spirit from those guys, and always fighting spirit from all these guys on these bikes, because it really takes it to hang on to these sidecars. Take it from me, they are difficult to hang on to.
I've been warned not to reference the fact that Tristan's been a passenger on one of these bikes, but yeah, like I said, it takes nerves of steel to be well, the rider, they're pretty happy, they've got some handlebars to hold on to. The passenger, well, they're pretty much just relying on the riders to keep them pointing in the right direction. They'll be holding onto that bike, hoping to use their body weight and their momentum to help the rider make their way around this short circuit here at Lydd. Of course, about just over a kilometre here, and well, they get ready to look to the lights and start off their lap, and it's going to be Mick Williams and Michael Elms are going to go into T1 behind the 127 of John Hosker. Adrian and Claire Ems behind on the 76, filtering into third place. But off the line, well, the 26, this is are they taking it easy? Usually they have a huge advantage, but you can see everyone just filtering quite nicely here in this one.
Is this not?
I'm hoping this is the race. I'm hoping that it might be the race.
It would be nice if someone told us.
It would be, but down the back straight you can see Jason and Leo Greenstreet fighting over, or just holding on to position, but it looks as though they are going for it if this is the warm-up lap, because yeah, they are going for it, and it is. You can see, I could just tell by the way that this leading pair are working, because you can tell as soon as they get the green flag, the 26 absolutely go for it, and the leaning over, coming into the right, leaning in off the side of the bike, and this is the bit where you've really got to have the nerves. It's leaning backwards, and that's one thing I think that all of us, as you probably completely think that's the worst thing you want to be doing, is almost, well, you have your backside scraping along the ground, but it's the only way, of course, of keeping these bikes pointing in the right direction. You need to be helping your driver pull it around to the left-hander so they can keep it tight on the apex, and these guys all doing a great job. Of course, the passengers as important as the drivers.
Absolutely, but you see the drivers as well, they're always hanging off and leaning to one side as well, so both these guys using all their weight to get from one side to the other. Perfect example here, you can see both Adrian and Claire Ems just shifting their body weight. Obviously the driver, there's only so much body weight they can shift because they have to hold on to the controls, but you can see how much the passenger hangs off, and it's an incredible sight to watch, and these guys really have to be hanging on to have a look at this. But these guys just going side by side into the first corner. That's Vince Bailey trying to get up underneath Adrian M. So Vince Bailey trying to put that outfit underneath the orange and black outfit of Adrian and Claire Ems. Jason Greenstreet also looking really menacing in the background there. Hopefully we won't see any more takeout moves from him.
No, absolutely, but that was a great run there from Vince Bailey, and the door was closed firmly in his face by Adrian and Claire Ems, and Adrian doing a good job of keeping that bike all in the right places, and it's the eternal battle of whether we call them riders or drivers in this one, but it is...
I have no idea.
No,
honestly.
I don't either.
What
so
if
you know at home, let us know. Get in touch with us. It's always great. We'd love to know more about these mini F1 sidecars, but down the back straight. Here comes Vince Bailey getting down the inside. Now, we saw Adrian Ems making this exact move yesterday, and this time around, it's going to be him on the receiving end as he drops down off the podium. That was the fight for third place. So Adrian and Claire Ems now having to fight to get back onto P3. John Hosker is pretty happily in second position. Once again, however, your reigning champions, Mick Williams, Michael Elms, fastest lap, leading this one by 10 seconds. However, the battle behind still going on. Three-way fight now because the Green Streets are starting to get themselves involved in this battle for the podium.
Yes, we've got a 3-3, and up the inside goes Adrian and Claire Ems. A brilliant move from them. Just as we were looking at the Green Streets, they get really, really racy here, as now they look down at the inside but can't quite make a move stick on the Adrian Ems. But it's Vince Bailey trying everything he can to try and get a move stuck on Adrian. It's still Mick Williams leading out front, setting fastest lap after fastest lap. But it's all about this battle for third. John Hosker in a lonely second place at the moment. But between these guys it is. They come across the line one more time, just 2 more laps to go after this one. He has a look up the inside, can't quite make a move stick there. Really brilliant defensive riding / driving from Adrian Ems there.
Very bold defending for Adrian, just purely in one instinct to the fact that he was hoping that Vince Bailey would pull out of that move. But Vince looking very racy back in 4th position. Adrian and Claire Ems really well defending their lines through every single corner. But that 369 of Vince Bailey is looking as though it's got some serious big slide there on exit of turn 3 as they go down the hill towards the second sector, as they go around the sweeping bends. A little bit of lap traffic there. Is that
John Hosker?
It looks like it is. The 127 John Hosker. An issue for that bike. It's a bike that's had so many problems. They're trying to get it, looks as though trying to get it restarted. It's cruising down the back straight, and it doesn't sound very healthy at all as it comes past the commentary box. So John Hosker dropping off the podium. That's going to promote Adrian Ems and Vince Bailey now up into P2 and P3. Mick Williams and Michael Elms going on to their final lap one more time around this circuit, and they're about to go 5-4-5 in the Mini F1 sidecars.
Yeah, absolutely dominant performance from these guys. Again, of course, your 2020 Mini F1 sidecar champions. Heading down into the final corner for the final time. It will be Mick Williams and Michael Elms that take the flag once again and take victory here in race 2 for the Mini F1 sidecars. Who's going to be that's going to take that second place though? Adrian Ems and Vince Bailey battling it out a little bit further back. A long wait before we see them come and cross the line, of course, from that dominant performance from Mick Williams and Michael Elms. And a couple of riders on the side of the track. Is that Vince Bailey and their partner? I think it is. That's Vince Bailey at the side of the track. So it looks as if it's going to be Adrian Ems that's going to be picking up that second place, and that's going to promote Jason Greenstreet up into third as well. And it does. And it's Adrian Ems that takes second, Jason Greenstreet and Leo Greenstreet in third. Brilliant ride from them. Really unfortunate for Vince Bailey. Mark Parker comes across the line in fourth on the number 230. And that is your race.
Great to see the Green Streets coming across the line, 0.2 of a second split, second and third. The Green Streets coming back strong after a couple of bike issues, but disaster for Vince Bailey after running well in the podium for so long, and unfortunately dropping out that one equally, John Hosker. So it's the curse of second place as both John Hosker and Vince Bailey fell away from it. But it is Mick Williams and Michael Elms on that 26 machine. Once again, your race winners in this Mini F1 sidecar race. Dave and Iona Glover came home in 5th place, the top 5 result for them, and unfortunately Vince Bailey and John Hosker, I'm sure, will have to get a lift back to the paddock with that bike, unfortunately screeching to a halt on the exit of the first sector down the rear end of the circuit. But it is once again Mick Williams, Michael Elms, another blistering race there, 4 seconds faster than anyone else on circuit.
Solid ride there from those guys, almost 30 seconds ahead of anyone else, and good pace from the Green Streets at the end there, just slightly quicker than Adrian and Claire Ems in second place, with equaling their best lap and just a good last lap pace towards the end as well. But we move from the Mini F1 sidecars to the Premier class here at the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships. This is a class that all the riders look up to, the MKGP 70s. They're going to go out there, have their sighting lap, and I believe 2 warm-up laps this time?
Yes, I believe so, as they're out there, and they had an extra 2 warm-up laps yesterday, which caught us unawares due to the fact that it all strapped on a set of new boots for round 2 after using, of course, them up in round 1. All thought they'd go for fresh tyres and went out there. So, yep, more time there on the circuit for these young riders. And, well, this time around, it's going to be on pole position a reverse from what we saw yesterday. It's Mason Foster from Filip Sorowiak and Ethan Sparks lining up from third. So Ethan, of course, who's taken multiple wins so far this weekend, he's got it all to do. He's got to come from row 2 if he's to get past Mason Foster. And Filip Sorowiak, who has been absolutely electric so far. A couple of, quite a few second place finishes, a third place after just losing out in that last race last night. Mason Foster, however, a couple of wins for him. He's doing well.
Yeah, Mason Foster flying in this one. Of course, the number 88 has missed out on a little bit of track time compared to the others due to having to shield due to his, I think it was his mother having COVID-19. So he just had to shield, wasn't able to go out and get the practice that he wanted to get. So doing a brilliant job considering he's lacking track time compared to some of the rest of the riders. Brilliant little rider is Mason on pole position. We saw him take a win yesterday. We saw him take a win here last year as well. So we know that he's good here in the MKGP 70s. Mason Foster is on pole. Filip Sorowiak doing a brilliant ride here as well this weekend. Really coming on strong in this 2021 season. We saw him improving towards the end of last year, but this year he's really coming on strong. Really coming to terms with the GP70 seems to suit him a lot more than the 50. Yeah,
and doing a really good job of it is Filip Sorowiak. Currently that's 75, a big fan base for the FS75. You saw the flags waving around the circuit yesterday, and his parents were absolutely made up for him, and so are we, because this rider's come from absolutely nowhere and is really putting in some serious work over the winter period, and it's clearly paying dividends. He now lines up alongside Mason Foster, and Mason, an absolutely solid rider in his own fashion. He lines up on pole position. Filip Sorowiak second, with Ethan Sparks in third. Ronnie Harris lining up in fourth place. Now watch out for that 66 on fourth place, because Ronnie's been getting quicker and quicker every single race.
Yeah, Ronnie's really starting to push the podium pace now. I mean, we do expect to see him nearing those podium positions as this year goes on. Equally, Henry McCartney had a couple of unlucky finishes, a couple of crashes yesterday, so he's going to want to try and weed that out and finish on another podium. Of course, he has already collected a podium so far this weekend, but it is Mason Foster on pole position ahead of Filip Sorowiak, the number 75 in second. Ethan Sparks, your championship leader, lines up in the number 62 in third, just ahead of 66 Ronnie Harris. Ollie Horner, he on the number 70, he lines up in fifth ahead of Henry McCartney on the 31. Ben Jolliffe, the number 125, he is fronting the fourth row of the grid in seventh ahead of Clayton Edmonds, your GP50 championship leader, on the number 146 in eighth. Number 44, Sullivan Mounsey, he lines up in ninth place on the grid. Of course, British Talent Cup rider with FAB-Racing over in the British Superbike paddock. The number 11, Harry Payne, sponsored by Glen Owen, in 10th place on this grid ahead of Charlie Huntingford, Blake Wilson, Cameron Sewell, Luke Schofield and Samuel Munson, rounding out your top 15. The number 2 of Josh Bannister down in 16th place, not where we're used to seeing him, but some bike problems for him, so his dad tells me. Number 19, Greg Marshall, he's 17th place on this grid ahead of flat track champion Ted Wilkinson down in 18th. Casey Sperry, he's 19th on this grid ahead of Paddy Moore, the number 145 in 20th and 21st place. And rounding out your grid on the 11th row of this packed GP70 grid is the number 87 of Felix Dorling.
Yeah, absolutely so. And the GP70s, they've had some absolutely electric races so far this weekend. Mason Foster, Filip Sorowiak and Ethan Sparks have been nose to tail all weekend long. What can Ethan do from third place? Now, he's made, of course, the move up from the MKGP 50s, where he was champion last season, and the AC40 Pros. Mason Foster, a two-time AC40 champion. Filip Sorowiak, the unknown quantity. What can we see from Ronnie Harris, of course, runner-up in the MKGP 50s last season? Ollie Horner, he's been on the podium. He's taken wins. Henry McCartney, an absolutely blisteringly fast racer on his day. Ben Jolliffe, Clayton Edmonds, this could go right down to the wire. Sullivan Mounsey, the 9th position. BTC, British Talent Cup. Harry Payne, first season on the 70s, in 10th position. It is all going to be an absolutely electric way to open up their account of the day. They all have one more race left to go this afternoon, and we're just waiting on the grid. A little bit of a delay before we kick this off, as you see Charlie Huntingford, last season's LC40 Elite runner-up, absolutely gutted, losing the championship with one 1 point on the final round as everyone else fills into their position. Sam Munson, the Munson burner. Greg Marshall, who's looking at making some moves this season, coming up from 17th position down, who can be making some moves forward. Ted Wilkinson, very, very quick indeed. He'll be coming from 18th place as well. What can he do on the 128? Probably my favourite livery bike this weekend, or if you like the Brawn GP F1 car. If you, oh no, it's 4 wheels and that's sacrilege, but it does look quite like it.
You can't mention that round here, Gareth. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I'll be cast out of Lydd. But yeah, well, let's have a look of a couple of replays from yesterday's action from the MKGP 70s. Ethan Sparks from pole position. Then we had Mason Foster, who swept into T2 and took an advantage. And it was really just a battle there down. Henry McCartney had a couple of issues there yesterday at T2. Went down at the same corner twice in 2 different races. So it's definitely a corner he's going to have to pay attention to today. But Mason Foster chasing down Ethan Sparks. Philip Soroviak got quicker and quicker and quicker and really started to impress later on in that race.
Yeah, just ahead of Sullivan Mounsey there, who was on the number 44 here, and that was the moment it all went wrong, with the number 62 Ethan Sparks crashed out of race 1. All the pressure was on him. Everyone expected him to go out there and do the business. Unfortunately, just a little bit too much pressure, but he did recover later in the weekend. Mason Foster was carving through the pack. Sullivan Mounsey was in there making moves with Ben Jolliffe as well. The battles all the way through the field. It was the last lap, and it was the number 88 of Mason Foster that took victory in race 1 for round 1 for the MK GP70s. Straight into race 2 for the GP70s. It was a good start from Ethan Sparks. He had a point to prove after crashing out of race 1, and he did prove it as he led the race early on in the race 2 for the MK GP70s. There was moves being made all the way through the field. There was the number 8 of Blake Wilson making moves. Not all riders managed to make it to the end of the race, unfortunately, but there was plenty of battles all the way through the field, with Henry McCartney defending that third place ahead of the number 44 Sullivan Mounsey. He had a point to prove after crashing out of race 1 as well. Philip Soroviak was doing an incredible job to keep on the back of the number 62 Ethan Sparks. Did a brilliant job, but it was Ethan Sparks that took victory in race 2 ahead of Philip Soroviak, standing up over the line. Incredible second place for him, and a brilliant battle there from Philip Soroviak, a rider that we're really seeing climbing up through the field. But race 2, it was down to Ethan Sparks, Mason Foster, Henry McCartney and Philip Soroviak once again, as they all looked eager across the line. Using all the track was the number 44 Sullivan Mounsey. Got a good line into turn 1. This was the final race for round 1 for the MKGP 70s. They all made it around the first corner in one piece somehow, but it was Ethan Sparks that led the way. Yeah, it was, and Ethan, Mason and Philip Soroviak, who absolutely sent it on Mason Foster in that one. We had the 87 of Felix Dorling going down and out of that one, but up at the front we had an absolutely stunning battle. Ronnie Harris was making moves as well in that race, but Ethan Sparks held off Philip Soroviak all the way to the end. Philip putting the pressure on lap after lap after lap, but your champion from the MKGP 50s and AC40 Pro class last season, Ethan Sparks, has opened up his account after that gutting crash out in race 1 of round 1. He's come back strong, he's picked up multiple wins, and he's exactly where we were expecting to see Ethan. Definitely a talent to watch out for in the future. Yeah, absolutely so. I mean, Philip Soroviak constantly improving this one, as well as many of these riders as they go on to complete another warm-up lap as they come round to form the grid once again. This should be now the race start, and we will be up and going for race 2 for the MKGP70s round 2 here at Lydd. Round 1 went the way of Ethan Sparks, crashing out of the first race but picking up 2 wins. Race 1 also went to Ethan Sparks. Mason Foster, the only other rider to pick up a win in the MKGP70, so he'll be looking to see if he can do that again. Of course, just making sure he can get all the track time in around here due to that lack of track time he had just before the season. He's going to be looking to the lights to see if he can get one ahead of Ethan Sparks. Philip Soroviak looking menacing there. He's going to be looking for his debut win, of course. Best achievement last year, 5th place in the GP50s. What can he do now in the GP70s as they look to the lights? Once again, it's race 2, round 2, and they are away. It's a brilliant start from Ethan Sparks from 3rd place on the grid into the lead. You can see Clayton Evans there also making up moves. Ben Jolliffe in there as well. Clayton Evans flying through this field, but it is Ethan Sparks who took the lead from 3rd place. Mason Foster in second and Filip Sorowiak now in third.
What a brilliant start from Ethan Sparks from second on the grid, from third to the lead in just a matter of metres. Clayton Edmonds, an absolute storming start from 8th on the grid to up to 4th into turn 1. But it is Ethan Sparks from Mason Foster, Filip Sorowiak, who's filtered into third position after losing that place to Ethan. But Mason Foster trying to come back at Ethan Sparks going down into the final corner. But once again, it is the top three that we've seen so much so far this weekend. Ethan Sparks, Mason Foster, Filip Sorowiak behind. We've got Clayton Edmonds trying to get involved in this party of three that we've seen so much so far this weekend. Ethan doing a great job so far, holding off Mason. Mason, a very, very confident young rider. Whenever we chat to him, he analyses everything about his race. He knows exactly where he needs to improve, where he needs to find time. Even when he was out setting decent laps in qualifying, he'd come in and tell us, I've still got time, I've still got tenths of a second left out on the circuit. And at the moment, he's got the perfect person in front of him to just test himself. That's Ethan Sparks.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ethan Sparks, a brilliant little rider. Equally so is Mason Foster as they go on to complete another lap in this MKGP70 race. Of course, this is the premier class here at the FAB-Racing Minibike British Championships. All the young riders will be looking up to this class before they launch themselves over into the British Talent Cup and over into the BSB paddock. But so it's all about who's going to take this illustrious GP70 title. Plenty of races left to go in the championship, but it's a front three breakaway at the front of this race. It's Ethan Sparks that leads over Mason Foster and Filip Sorowiak. Filip looking for his maiden victory. Mason Foster has already had wins in this category. He's a proven race winner. So is Ethan Sparks, of course, double champion. Sullivan Mounsey also in there. He's already made his way up to the British Talent Cup. He's back here in the GP70s showing what he can do. Brilliant ride here from Clayton Edmonds. We saw him take a win earlier on in the GP50s, and now he's up to 4th place in this race. 1.8 seconds behind your leader, but doing a brilliant job there just to cling on to this one in 4th place. Filip Sorowiak still in there in 3rd. Ronnie Harris now currently 7th place in this race. So we've seen him a bit higher up earlier in the weekend, but just learning his way around this GP70 machine. Of course, his first weekend on the GP70cc machinery. Ben Jolliffe in there, a rider we saw from last year, the number 125. He's in 5th place in this race, just defending from Ollie Horner on the yellow bike. Change of livery for him this year on the number 70. You seem to like that livery from earlier on, Gareth.
Yes, I did. And yeah, but it's good to see Ollie the Hornet Horner currently in 6th position, having a good run, but he's got to close in on Ben Jolliffe in 5th position, who's around about 2 seconds up the road. Up in the front, Ethan Sparks had the fastest lap. This has now gone the way of Filip Sorowiak. The gap between the leading three is 0.2 of a second, and it is absolutely minuscule in points of the gap time in their last lap times. It is absolutely nothing. There is nothing to say who's going to take this victory. They've got a breakaway now of 1.6 seconds over Clayton Edmonds, and Clayton doing a great job of holding on to 4th place. Of course, we've seen Clayton have a very strong run in the 70s last season as well. He definitely wants to push himself up towards that top 3 this season, and well, what he needs to do is just follow what the likes of Filip Sorowiak, there we go, has done in 3rd place, and Mason Foster, who's trying to close in on Ethan Sparks his last time around. Ethan Sparks trading fastest laps now are the top 3. It's now Ethan Sparks of 41.862, which is fractionally faster than Mason Foster's. Mason Foster only 14 thousandths of a second slower last time around. These three are just pushing their way forwards.
Yeah, they are. They've broken away from the rest of the field, and now it's down between these three. Who's going to take it? Will it be Sparks, Foster or Sorowiak? But these guys now battling it out for 5th place a little bit further down. They're just reeling in Clayton Edmonds there, the 11-year-old from Uxbridge on the number 146. Of course, your championship leader over in the GP50s as well. They're just reeling him a little bit. 6th place in the GP70s last year. He's going to be looking to improve on that, of course, this year. 4th place in this race. And just about a second he has over the battle for 5th between Jolliffe, Ronnie Harris, Ollie Horner, Sullivan Mounsey also in there as well, and Henry McCartney trying to get himself in there in a top 5 finish as well. But looks as if Ethan Sparks, a little bit of breathing space for him now. Mason Foster still in the hunt definitely, and closes, just just as I say that, Mason Foster closes in round the final corner. Brilliant lines there from Mason, and a brilliant corner speed as well. Filip Sorowiak as well on the back of this group, just studying these guys in front, seeing if he can find out a way past these guys. 7 laps into this race, still a bit of time to go for these guys to swap some positions.
Yeah, Filip Sorowiak takes back the fastest lap of the race in 3rd position. They're now coming up to some lap traffic up ahead, so will that play into the hands, of course, of Ethan Sparks, who used it to absolute perfection yesterday? Got a bike in between himself and the chasing pack. It allowed him to breathe a little bit, but Mason Foster, however, has got the run on exit. Can he get the inside line going into the final corner? He does, but Ethan's going to come back underneath him. What a double trade of moves there. Ethan Sparks going into turn 1. The door's open for Filip Sorowiak, but he can't quite get the inside line on Mason Foster, so all positions are held, but Mason Foster and Ethan Sparks just briefly changing that lead. Well, this is going to go right down to the end. We've got 4 laps left to go. So we've got the 1-2-8 there of Ted Wilkins, I think that's pulled off to the side of the circuit, just getting the bike restarted. But Ethan Sparks leading from Mason Foster, from Filip Sorowiak, as they're all just filtering around their way and just trying to work out where that chink in the armour is, where they can make that attack. Mason, he's made that move into the final corner. Does he realise now that Ethan might have to cover it off and go a little bit more defensive? That will open him up to ascend down into T1.
This is where they need to be really careful now, because any mistake, any move that's going to lose them time will cost them big time in the race. And it looks as if Ethan Sparks had a little bit of a wobble on the exit of turn 1 there, but it doesn't affect him too much. He's still leading this race. Mason Foster all over the rear wheel, couldn't quite capitalise on that mistake from Ethan Sparks, so it hasn't hindered him too much. Filip Sorowiak still in there, all taking very different lines through the back section, and Ethan Sparks a little bit stronger through that section of the track. But you see Mason Foster really strong in the final corner, and makes up all the positions, all the time in that final corner. We saw him make a move there earlier on. Could he make a move there on the final lap? Is he getting his eye in? Just trying to figure out where he can make this move on Ethan and take a win away from him, because of course it is between these guys for the championship at this point in time. Filip Sorowiak in a good podium position at the moment, still looking for his debut win. Of course, 2 more laps to go for these guys. Ethan Sparks, it still leads ahead of Mason Foster, Filip Sorowiak. That battle for 5th place now is becoming a battle for 4th, as Ronnie Harris has caught up to Clayton Edmonds. So it's going to be between those guys for 4th place now. Yeah,
Clayton has now got Ronnie Harris, Ollie Horner and Sullivan Mounsey for company in that battle for 4th place. Mason Foster last time around got the fastest lap, and he's trying to make a move on Ethan Sparks. There's a little bit of traffic. Is this going to hurt Mason Foster? He's got past the 145 there, so he's got a bike in between himself and Ethan Sparks, and we're going on to the final lap of this one. Ethan Sparks with a gap between himself and Mason Foster. Filip Sorowiak is trying to make his way around it as well. Clayton Edmonds putting that bike in all the right places if he's to hold on to 4th position, as Ronnie Harris is really starting to pile on the pressure. But Ethan Sparks down the back straight, they've dropped Filip Sorowiak, who got caught up in that traffic. So it's going to be Mason Foster trying to make a move on Ethan Sparks. They're going to come down the back straight for the final time in this one. It's race 2 of round 2. Mason Foster, he's only got 1 more chance. He's not quite close enough. He's going to try and take an inside line and get a run to the line. Who's it going to be? It looks as though it's going to be Ethan Sparks, who's going to snatch it by a fraction of a second. Filip Sorowiak in 3rd. And then behind Clayton Edmonds, he's going to hold on to a brilliant 4th place. Holds off the challenge from Ronnie Harris, Ollie Horner, Henry McCartney and Sullivan Mounsey. What a result there. Ethan Sparks having to work hard for that one. A brilliant move there, seeing Mason Foster come down the inside into the final corner. Just had the composure just to come back out and just do the under and over. Again,
it was all down to who could navigate their way through the lap traffic the quickest, and it was Ethan Sparks. He led the whole race long. Mason Foster tried all he could to get ahead of the number 62, but in the end it was down to the sheer pace of the 62 and the way that he could get carved through that lapped traffic. That's just what lost Filip Sorowiak the chance of a win there as well. He just dropped off the back of them towards the end of the race, and that was down to just the 2 in front managing to put a few bikes in between them and Filip Sorowiak. So another brilliant podium for Filip, an excellent weekend for him. He put in the work over the winter and it's paying off. Ethan Sparks, though, a brilliant win for him, ahead of Mason Foster. Filip Sorowiak in 3rd. Clayton Edmonds did hold on to that 4th place on the number 146, just ahead of Ronnie Harris in 5th. Ollie Horner in 6th. Henry McCarthy McCartney finished in 7th place. Good result for him to be able to stay on the bike and pick up some solid points. Sullivan Mounsley, the British Talent Cup rider, in 8th ahead of Ben Jolliffe in 9th. Harry Payne rounded out your top 10 ahead of Blake Wilson, Charlie Hunterford, Samuel Munson, Cameron Sewell and Luke Schofield rounding out the points.
What a race. And that is exactly why the MKGP 70s is the premier class at FAB-Racing. They put on an absolute spectacle every time they hit the circuit. Ethan Sparks, Mason Foster, Philip Stroviak, definitely ones to watch for the future. Of course, both Mason and Ethan, multi-time champions here at FAB. And, well, they're going to be doing an absolute service if they continue this for the rest of the season. As we look to move on to the next category, and it looks as though the Moto team boys will be making their way out on circuit very, very shortly for their second race of the second round. And, well, it's a class that's been ruled by the battle between Jamie King and Jason Pugh. In this one, however, there's still stuff going on.
Yeah, plenty going on in this category. Of course, Jamie King coming in, having a little go in the Moto team category. It looks as if that is Bernie Hook riding Will Howard's bike in this one, so that's going to be interesting to see, because of course Bernie Hook also down as a rider in this category, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to come up as Will Howard. Think because he's riding Will Howard's bike, he will be registered as Will Howard on the grid, because of course it is a team category. Any rider can go and jump on the bike and score points for the bike. It's the bike that scores points. Essentially, the team is the original idea. The team is that scores points, not the rider. Moto team.
Yes. So it's a team race, yes.
It's a team, yeah.
It is a team race, yes. So,
did you get that?
Yes, I did. Well, hopefully. So if anyone likes Tristan or I to have a ride on one of theirs, we'll quite happily do an onboard commentated race.
We get Jamie King to come in commentary, then we can jump on one of the bikes.
Yeah, that's an open offer to Jamie King for the rest of the season. If you'd like someone to scratch up his bike, then feel free to let me have a go on it. But it's the Moto team that will be rolling into position. They will have their second race of their second round. There is Jamie King with his I think is that a new Lydd for this season? It looks very, very, very swish, doesn't it, Tristan?
Yeah, new set of leathers, new bikes, new lids. He's splashing the cash this year, is Jamie King, and rightfully so. Of course, Pit Bike 140 double champion, clearly monetizing his YouTube videos that he's been putting out there, and it's always been entertaining to watch. These guys warm up laps.
Well, let's hope so. But clearly, of course, Jamie King. We should mention it whilst you're here. You're co-host for the Superbike Show. Do you want to make a plug for that?
Yeah, of course. You can always catch the Superbike Show most Wednesdays from 8 till 10 p.m. when we can be bothered to get it out there. It is a brilliant little show. We've got Jamie King, of course, on there. Every now and then we have Michael Howarth, not Will Howarth, on the show with us as well as Christian Chamberlain. And, of course, our producer, Lester Forbes, always out there giving us a good little bit of entertainment. Just the caretaker, he says, always on the Superbike Show. It's always a brilliant little bit of fun, so be sure to check that out over on Motorsport Radio, also live on Facebook as well.
Yeah, of course, you can check that out by going to motorsport.radio, where, of course, you won't just be able to watch the Superbike Show. You can listen to the radio, which we will have live shows all throughout the weekend. Equally, plenty of news stories from all things, from two wheels to 3 wheels to 4 wheels, perhaps even 5 and 6 if you can find them. We'll be covering them, and even some esports occasionally. We know that it's a bit polarising, but it's the world that I've come from, so I'd like to give it out to the rest of them. But they're getting ready to kick off their race here for the Moto team, and we're looking for a good, decent start. And it's Jamie King, Jason Pugh, and Ian Jackson leading away. Looks as though they're all making their way through T1 pretty carefully, and Jamie King out there, he's going to circulate on this bike. He said that he's used to this bike, and he's enjoying it seems. He's taken a couple of wins so far.
Yeah, moving from the 140cc 4-stroke down to the 125cc. He is enjoying life on that one. It looks as if that's Will Howarth on Bernie Hook's bike as well, so just to confuse us even more, Bernie Hook is on Will Howarth's bike and Will Howarth is on Bernie Hook's bike, so brilliant to see, and confusing as ever for us, but of course it is a team race. So Jamie King, it is that leads ahead of Jason Pugh, Ian Jackson in third, Fraser Kinnaird in fourth. But these guys across the line, it was Jamie King with the fastest lap of the race from a standing start, of course, because he is leading the race. Jason Pugh actually with the fastest lap from a standing start. So good stuff from Jason. Just goes and proves me wrong as the timing screen changes.
No, he hasn't learned his colours between white and purple, as Jason Pugh takes the, as you say, takes the fastest lap on that one, a 48.8. But Jamie King, in fact, that's, I'm sure he will be wanting to take that one back. But he's starting to check out a little bit at the front. Jason Pugh can't quite stay with him. In fact, he's got Ian Jackson for company behind, and Ian, who just couldn't quite get past both Jamie King and Jason Pugh, as Jamie flashes past the commentary box and takes a quick glance behind him and realises that he's got maybe a bigger gap than he was expecting. It was 1 second across the line last time around. What is it this time? As he flashes to start, 7 laps left to go. Across the line is 1.9 seconds already for Jamie, so clearly he's woken up in a good mood. He's decided to get on with it. He realises that the Pit Bike 140 weekend so far for him hasn't gone to plan, but he can make up for it with a couple of decent results here in this Moto team class.
Yeah, and Bernie Hook up into fourth in this one, which we think that's the bike of... well, that's Bernie Hook's bike with Will Howarth on it, up into fourth place in this one. So just showing Bernie how it's done on his own bike. Jamie King, though, flying out the front, 1.9 second lead he has over Jason Pugh. He's going out there proving why he deserves to be a race winner in this Moto team category. Jason Pugh defending that second place now ahead of Ian Jackson. This is a battle we've seen a hell of a lot between the number 0 and the number 7, the number 8, sorry, and the number 7, Jason Pugh and Ian Jackson. They're always going at it. Last year they were always battling. This year now they are locked together. A bit of a rivalry brewing between those two then.
Yeah, and it's great to see, because these Moto team guys, they are in the paddock, they're always a laugh to be around. They're always quite happy just to have a quick chat and talk around what's happening and how the bike feels. Of course, Simon Clowes, last season's champion, not here this weekend, and he's always up for a quiet word about how the bike's feeling, and he's happy for us to promote Moto team as much as possible. They wanted their own race and they've been given their own race. Of course, the last season they were put in with the Pit Bike 140s, and it was absolute chaos, and it was a lot of fun. But here comes the 96. Is that Will Howarth making the move?
That's
there?
Bernie Hook on Will Howarth's
yes,
bike.
one of the two. It's well, if you're going to be an amalgamation of two, Bernie Hook and Will Howarth is a pretty strong pair.
Yeah, the two front runners from the senior mini motos. So yeah, like you say, a pretty strong pairing. But yeah, Bernie Hook on this bike, obviously Will Howarth's bike, is really flying. That just shows how strong this Metrokit GP50 is, as he tries to send it up the inside on the far end of the circuit. Can't make a move stick there. Ian Jackson going really wide in the background, trying to go around the outside now is Bernie Hook. You're really confident on Will Howarth's bike. Really good to see from the number 0 or the number 96 on track, the number 0 on the timing screens, as he goes down the back straight, has a look to the outside of Jason Pugh. Not going to quite make it there. He needs to start having a look to the inside rather than the outside if he's going to make a move stick. Having a look into turn 1 on the outside again. Can't make that work, but it is King out front, who's just annihilating the field. 4.8 seconds ahead of these guys. But what can Bernie Hook do about that? If he gets past this, will he be able to go and catch Jamie King?
Yeah, Jamie with a 4.8 second advantage up the lead, well, just extending it lap for lap now. Unfortunately, the 134 of Steve Briggs, that engine came past the commentary box sounding very sick.
Round the outside, Bernie Hook round the outside of Jason Pugh.
Sweeping around Jason Pugh, and that's not really, the outside around here is not the ideal line for these bikes. You've got to put in some real effort to get it done, but the 96 straight up into it.
He was persistent with him. I said that he needed to go to the inside, but he proved me wrong. He went to the outside, fastest lap of the race earlier on for him. So now, will he be able to go and catch Jamie King? It's a tall order, 5.6 seconds, and we're 6 laps into this race. Jamie King just flying out the front of this one, but what can Bernie Hook do? He came from a bit further back on the grid, had to carve his way through the field, had to get used to a new bike as well. Don't forget, of course, probably never ridden this bike before, and now he's going out there and challenging 4 podiums in the Moto team category. So a brilliant ride from Bernie Hook. Made his way up to second place in this race. Our graphics just not quite updated just yet, but we've got the timing screens here, and he is in second place with the fastest lap of the race earlier on. He's pulling away from Jason Pugh as well.
Yeah, 5.6 seconds is the gap between Jamie King and Bernie Hook / Will Howarth on this one. Jason Pugh now just under 0.7 of a second behind. We were talking to Jamie yesterday during the race with Chris Wells when he was on his bike for him. He was saying it's difficult for these riders to get on different bikes because they're set up differently and you're not used to that. I said, what is it like getting on a bike that is a completely alien setup to what you've been running elsewhere? You
definitely have to get used to it. I mean, you adapt your riding style to that bike. In general, anyway, in any bike, you adapt your riding style to the bike. But when it's not set up for you, for your weight, for your riding style in general, it's a bit of an alien feeling, and you do have to ride around some of the problems. I mean, most of the time, you're never going to get a bike that's perfect anyway. But obviously, you can get a bike that's a lot closer to the ideal setup.
That sounds like a man that's complaining about his bike, but
I haven't ridden my bike yet. It doesn't have any suspension in it.
But because of course you can see Tristan in the stock 600 in the BSB paddock this season. As up in the lead of this one is still Jamie King with 4 laps left to go. Bernie Hook / Will Howarth in second position. It is currently 6 seconds behind Bernie, but with the fastest lap of 45.148. Jason Pugh holding off Ian Jackson once again. As you said, Jason Pugh and Ian Jackson tied together by a very short piece of string over the last season and a half or so. Then you've got Fraser Kinnaird down in 6th position, Phil Mapplebeck in 7th, Vince Bailey in 8th, Phil Joyce 9th, Alistair Cannon rounding out the top 10, and Iona Glover in 11th position. Iona, the 18-year-old from Scunthorpe, who started riding on a quad when she was 3 years old, and she's been in FAB for 2 years and currently rides not only in the Moto team class but also gets involved in the pit bikes and as a passenger in the Mini F1 sidecars. So she has a busy day there.
Yeah, and Jamie King carving through the field on that 76, making light work of the back markers, and a brilliant ride from the number 76. Of course, that new livery, those new leathers, new helmet, new everything for Jamie King this year, and he's come out the same race-winning rider. Of course, last year's Pit Bike 140 champion as well. So definitely, and double Pit Bike 140 champion, don't forget. So can't take that away from him at all as he goes on to start the final lap of this race. He'll come through the first set of corners for the final time. Bernie Hook doing all he can to close in, but isn't quite enough. He's stretched that gap out to 6.4 seconds. Nice comfortable lead for Jamie King as he navigates his way around the back part of the section. Bernie Hook doing everything he can to try and challenge for that win, but it's just too much of a tall order as Jamie King is dominant out the front. He goes through this section for the final time. He'll head on to the back straight, and then just one more corner to go for Jamie King, and he will pick up another race win in the Moto team category as he heads down into the final corner. It is the final lap for Jamie King.
As we go on to the final lap for Jamie King and up to T1, Jamie King comes, and the Pit Bike Sonic, the blue blur of FAB-Racing, just one more tour of this one. Bernie Hook in second position still holds that fastest lap, but last time around 2 seconds off the back of Jamie King. Jason Pugh still on the podium in third place. Will Harris moved up past Ian Jackson now into fourth place. So Ian Jackson dropping down off the back end of Jason Pugh's bike. Fraser Kinnaird in sixth place, Phil Mapplebeck in seventh, Vince Bailey and Phil Joyce in 8th and 9th, as they're all about a second between themselves. But we've got Jamie King coming down the back straight, doesn't even need to have both hands on the handlebars. He can cruise to the flag, and Jamie King rounding the final corner to take another win here in Moto Team, waving to the paddock, waving to the cameras, and another easy win for him. Around the final corner will come second place Bernie Hook. He takes home another decent result here in this class and the fastest lap to his name as well. Jason Pugh will be looking at picking up some more solid championship points as he looks to recover. The man that definitely looked on for a decent championship run last season just seemed to fall away from him late on and went to Simon Clowes. But Jason Pugh pretty happy so far. But Jamie King, another win once again.
Soaking up the glory, doing another parade lap around this Lydd circuit, giving everyone a wave. He'll give us a wave on the commentary as he comes back around the final pit straight. So brilliant stuff from the number 76 of Jamie King, soaking in the glory, heading down into pit lane, giving all the fans a wave, all the guys at the side of the circuit. And he plays a big part in FAB-Racing, doing all the social media, handing out all the medals at the end of the day as well. So plays a big part here at FAB-Racing, and double champion and looking to pick up another championship in a new category for him.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Moto teams that have been putting on a lot of fun so far this weekend, they've clearly enjoyed being back and opening their season here at FAB. And well, they'll be back out for one final race this weekend later on today as they look to be the penultimate race of the day. You've got plenty of racing to sink your teeth into here for this sunny Sunday afternoon at Lydd, so watch out for that. But we've got some mini bike racing coming up very, very shortly, and well, the AC40s will be out, the pros, the rookies. We've got the seniors. Bernie Hook will be moving back over to a smaller bike and fitting himself on that mini bike frame. However, as we've got Jack, the cameraman, making himself known, but here comes the AC40 pros, and Archie O'Brien perhaps wanting to get back into the groove after making that mistake earlier on today. Of course, probably the first time we've seen a chink in his armour.
Yeah, unfortunately crashing out of the race earlier on in the mini motor class earlier on, but managed to get back on and still finish third. So that's the only time he hasn't won a race so far this season. He was still on the podium, so still yet to finish off the podium for Archie O'Brien. He's going to go out there and try and re-get a win and just make up for the mistake he made earlier on.
Yeah. And as Callum Maxwell, as you can see there on the 111, he'll be riding Chloe Sewell's bike for this one. So you can see the orange lid on the pink bike. So the 111, Callum, who's not had the rub of the green, unfortunately for the poor guy, he's unfortunately just found that bike. Every time he's tried to get going, it's not worked for him. So luckily Chloe has passed over her bike to him for this one. And well, it's good to see Callum's going to get a bit of a run out on there, because it's something he's deserved this week, and it's not quite gone right for him. Yeah, and so it's a lovely sporting mentality in this paddock. They're all out there to help each other out, and that's brilliant to see. So you know, Callum Maxwell being onto that new bike for him, and hopefully he'll be able to make it to the end of the race this time and score some good points here in this race 3 for the AC40 Pros, the final race here at Lydd in 2021 for the AC40 Pros. The final chance for Archie O'Brien to take another win here on the air-cooled bikes, and he's looking strong to be able to do it. He's on pole position, and he's going to be looking to utilise that pole position and take the victory. Plenty of names in this category, all going to be going out there. Loads of rookies as well, stepping up from the AC40 rookies last year up into the pros this year. We saw them fighting for wins last year in the rookies. They're going to be looking to keep improving and get closer and closer to the two Archies out the front. We're thinking of the names such as Travis Shaw, turning 8 years old today, Byron Johnson, Austin Johnson, Finley Polehill, Harrison Day, we've seen pick up a few podiums this weekend, Lewis Hull, Sam Gardner, Callum Maxwell finally now back on the grid on hopefully a working machine. Chloe Sewell also out there. All these guys going to be looking to try and stick it to the two Archies out the front. Yeah, absolutely so. And yeah, just to go back, as you say, Travis Shaw, happy birthday goes out to Travis Shaw on the number 4, his birthday today. And so just to remind you guys, if you're listening and we've got any birthdays you'd like us to point out, then quite happily get in touch with us by going, of course, you go to at GT2_driving for myself, at Spagbog58 for Tristan, or of course find us on Facebook. Gareth Hall and Tristan Finocchiaro covering this one. It is the final round of the weekend for the AC40 Pros. They begin their race 3 with Archie O'Brien versus Archie Gibbs. Once again, watch out for row 2, Harrison Day, Byron Johnson. Byron Johnson's had some storming starts so far this weekend. Travis Shaw, Finley Polehill. What can they do as they get ready to look to the lights to start their final race of the weekend? It's another brilliant start. It's Harrison Day taking the lead into T1. What a result there. What a start for Harrison Day. Absolutely storming into the lead. But here comes Archie O'Brien. Can he come back at him going into the second chicane? No, it's Harrison. Oh, it gets a bit of a wobble. That's going to take him offline. Should open the door. In fact, it's going to go side by side. That's Byron Johnson trying to challenge for the lead. And that's Archie O'Brien now up into the lead. Byron Johnson all over the rear wheel of Harrison Day. Brilliant start from Harrison Day. Pretty average start for the two Archies, both falling back. Archie Gibbs falling back quite a few positions as well. So not quite as on it at the start of this race as we're used to seeing from them. But now Archie O'Brien, he's already got a bit of breathing space down into the infield section for the first time. He now leads ahead of Harrison Day in second. And Byron Johnson in third. Archie Gibbs dropped down to 4th place. He's going to try and recover from that. You're going to have to think that he's going to try and have a little bit of a move on Harrison Day and Byron Johnson just ahead of him. Lewis Hull in there battling it out with number 58 of Marco Holt. Marco making a really nice little tight little line around the final corner. Byron Johnson, it still is in third.
Look at Archie Gibbs. He's looking really strong in fourth. He's trying to line up a move. Can't make it stick just yet, but he's looking really menacing behind the number 37 of Byron Johnson with the black helmet there. Archie Gibbs with the St. George's Cross on the top of the helmet has a little look. Not quite close enough there. Archie O'Brien already checked out at the front, and it is Harrison Day who is defending these riders just behind him.
Yeah, and Harrison doing a great job. Byron Johnson, once again, brilliant start for the young rider from Charlie Bassett in Oxfordshire, and he's keeping Archie Gibbs behind him, but Archie looking very racy. As you were saying, he's having a look to the inside, but Byron covers off that apex, and in fact closes in, goes a little bit wide, and that's going to compromise him through the next complex of corners. Will Archie Gibbs be able to get the run? He's going to get a bit of a launch compared to Byron, but Byron doing a good job of holding him off and holds on the inside. But here comes Archie Gibbs sweeping around the final corner, taking third position. Good move there from Archie. Noticed that Byron Johnson was offline into the final corner and took advantage of it. So Archie Gibbs, after falling back off the start from second down to fourth, now makes his way back up to third. So now next target is Harrison Day, and Harrison, who started like a man on fire, got to the lead, has now dropped down to second, but is holding his own at the moment. Archie Gibbs a little bit of work to do.
Really impressive ride here from Harrison Day, really coming into his own on this 14mm AC 40 Pro bike. Really enjoying life with a little bit of extra power. Enjoying it out there. You can see he's really smooth with his irons. Looks like a really good little rider, and he's going to be improving all through this season. So expect to see him challenging for wins as we go into the back end of this season. But right now, it is the beginning of the season, and he is in second place, currently defending from Archie Gibbs. Of course, Archie Gibbs getting his maiden win in 2021. Earlier on, he has a little look to the inside. Can't make a move stick there. Really brilliant lines there from Harrison Day. Really nice smooth lines, but still a little bit defensive. So exactly what he needs to be doing. Archie O'Brien out the front, setting the fastest lap of the race earlier on and setting really consistent lap times within a tenth of each other. So brilliant stuff from the number 91 out front, but it's about this battle for second. Archie Gibbs was getting really close. Did he manage to make a move? No, not quite, not just yet. He's eyeing it up. You're going to have to think he gets a good drive out of there. They go side by side as they go down to the next corner. Can't make a move stick there. You can see Harrison Day really defensive. Archie Gibbs trying every single line. He's trying every little inch of this circuit to try and get past.
Yeah, and here comes Archie Gibbs to the inside line, cut off at the last moment there by Harrison Day. Really nice defensive riding for Harrison Day, but Archie Gibbs takes the tighter line through the next two hairpins, and that's going to get him a run into the final corner. Will he shape him up and take the inside line like we saw against Byron Johnson just a few laps ago?
Oh, he's down!
Between the pair of them, Archie Gibbs goes down in the final corner, just clipped the rear tyre of Harrison Day, and Archie Gibbs is down, and he's falling down the order. It looks as though the bike is still running. He can get back up in the race, so a lot of work for Archie Gibbs to do. Unfortunately, just tried that move, but it just didn't work. Harrison had covered off the inside lines. Archie Gibbs back in the race. That promotes Byron Johnson and Austin Johnson now up into third and fourth position. So they're now fighting over a podium position between themselves.
It's a classic, little bit too much front brake, trying to do a little bit too much mid-corner, just locked up the front, a little bit of a bubble, and unfortunately that landed him a crash. Luckily, not too much damage to the bike. Nice, easy little crash, and he was able to just get straight back on and straight back into this race. But it's the two Johnsons fighting for that final podium position, as Harrison Day now in a lonely second place. And that is now a mistake from both Archies that we've seen now. They've both been pretty consistent at the front, but now both of them making one mistake each. Of course, Archie O'Brien crashing out earlier on, and now it's Archie Gibbs who has crashed out and has rejoined this race a little bit further down. So really unfortunate for Archie Gibbs, but these two Johnsons going at it. Sibling rivalry for the final place on the podium, 5 laps into this race, and these guys have got plenty of time to have a couple of moves on each other. But it is Austin who is just behind Byron Johnson. Of course, Byron on that final podium position at the moment, and they've got a little bit of a gap to Harrison Day in front, who looks quite safe in this second position at the moment.
And how much easier is it for Austin at the moment? He's on the offensive, Byron on the defensive. Austin can just look at where Byron's racing, where he's putting that bike, and how much easier is it to go on the offensive rather than just trying to pay attention to the guy behind you?
It's always easier to follow. It's always easier to be the one behind us. He just has a little look there. I'm not sure if you made that move stick, but it is always easier to be the one behind us. Obviously, the one in front is there hitting their markers. You can just copy what they're doing, do what they're doing, and do a little bit more as well. So it's always easier to be the one behind and not have that clear space in front of you. Some people do prefer it, in all fairness, but I've always thought that it is easier to be the one following and have that reference in front of you. And now Austin is just making the most of that. This is another battle a little bit further back between 5th place birthday boy Travis Shaw and the number 58 Marco Holt, front runner over in the GP50. GP50s, and really quick over on that GP50 machine, really taking to the gearbox bike, much better than obviously he's very, very quick, of course, in the AC40 Pros as well, but really taking to the gearbox bike and seems to suit him a bit more.
Yeah, and doing a great job here. We can see behind a chance for an overtake there that's Finley Polehill. Looks as though he's just managed to sweep around the inside, but behind, no, sorry, Finley Polehill, that is Marco Holt and Travis Shaw, sorry, just as they battle.
They all wear the same leathers.
I know, it's the same guys, so many bright colours. But yeah, up ahead you can see the battle still going on between the Johnsons as they fight over the podium. However, with 2 laps left to go, it's still Archie O'Brien leading this one by a country mile, 7.2 seconds away from Harrison Day. Harrison, who's had a brilliant ride so far in this one, got to the front, and even when he was under attack from Archie Gibbs, but with a lap and a half left to go, Archie O'Brien, with the fastest lap, is currently leading, looking at making up for that slight area early on where he cost himself some time. Didn't manage to come home and pick up a win, but was been probably his worst part. And as we said, is the only point so far this weekend where he's dropped any points, and he'll be looking at picking up another win and making it so that car, like we said yesterday, will be a little bit heavier with medals and trophies come the end of this weekend.
I thought you were calling his bike a car then. I thought that's even worse than calling them drivers. But no, yeah, absolutely, his car will be a little bit heavier on the way back with all that silverware as he just comes up to lap. Callum Maxwell riding Chloe Sewell's bike there. So good to see Callum Maxwell back out and in this race. But it's Archie O'Brien who is flying out the front of this one. Fastest lap of the race earlier on, just controlling the pace at the front beautifully. Plenty of talent on that number 91 machine, but half a lap to go and he will take another win here this weekend at Lydd. Heads down into this section for the final time. Really nice lines through here. He's just been so strong at this Lydd kart circuit. Archie Gibbs will want to see the back of it and see if he can have a go at him at Clandau at the next round. But it is Archie Gibbs Archie O'Brien coming through the infield section for the final time, down to the final corner for one more time for Archie Gibbs on the AC40 Pros. He will take yet again another win for Archie Gibbs. A plethora of wins for Archie goes. It's easy for him. Look at him, relaxed over the line, and it's going to be Harrison Day that's going to come across the line very shortly to pick up that second place. Brilliant result there from Harrison Day. Debut second place for him. Brilliant stuff from Harrison Day. Austin Johnson in third, just gets the better of Byron at the end, so Austin just managed to get ahead of the number 37. Travis Shaw fends off Finley Polehill for fifth. Finley in sixth. Marco Holt, it looks, who's dropped down a couple of places, so we're going to have to wait and see what happened there.
Yeah, as Marco, as you say, dropping down to 7th place. Travis Shaw getting a top 5 on his birthday. Finley Polehill on 6th. Marco Holt dropping down the order, and that's him off to the side of the circuit. So it is on the last lap. Marco Holt's 58 bike gives up on him, and that's going to promote Lewis Hull up to 7th place and Sam Gardner up to 8th. Callum Maxwell's come across the line already in 10th position, a lap down, but Marco stranded at the side of the circuit and quite a long way back from the pit lane as well, so it's a bit of a stroll back over to pit road. But Archie O'Brien, what can you say, another absolutely stellar race for the young man. Harrison Day, I'm sure will be happy with that. Austin Johnson has deserved this one. He's had a really good weekend, just maybe hasn't had the rubber green compared to his brother Byron, and if you want to beat anyone to get on the podium, your brother's probably the best bet.
Yeah, definitely sibling rivalry going on between the two of them. Of course, Austin, the older of the two brothers, Austin and Byron Johnson. Definitely. I mean, if you're going to want to beat anyone, it's going to be your brother, and to be getting a medal as well at the same time is a brilliant result for Austin. Byron been very quick as well over in the AC40 rookies and in the AC40 pros. And speaking of the rookies, that is what we have up next. Oliver Hall has been the dominant force in this one for round one, but it's been Finley Bardell that's taken 2 wins from 2 in round 2. Oliver Hall, is he going to be able to capitalise on his pole position and regain his authority in the category, or will it go the way of the number 99 Finley Bardell?
Yeah, Oliver Hall, of course, that bike issue in race 1 today. We'll see if that's been rectified. He's going to have to come back stronger, I'm sure. And if we know Oliver, and we've spoken to him before, he is very, very driven. But Finley Bardell, a stunning debut weekend here on the 99 bike. Rex Austin, a couple of podiums for Rex Austin. You've got to think he's definitely be one to watch in the coming months in this AC40 rookies class. And Speed Pennegar on the 134, really getting himself up the sharp end this season, which is great to see after that season in the rookies last year and his debut season on these AC40 air-cooled 40cc bikes. Bethany Ashby and Chloe Gleeson in 5th and 6th position. What can they do? Ollie O'Gorman. Ollie had a really strong run in race 2 earlier on today. He lines up on row 4 in 7th position with Matthew Thomas just behind him. But Ollie, well, we'll see what we can do. 7th position. He made a really good start earlier on today. Made some moves forward, got on that podium. What can he do from 7th?
Well, it'll be interesting to see for sure. Of course, Ollie O'Gorman, brother of Casey O'Gorman, he'll be looking to pick up another podium and have had that taste of almost victory, podium victory for Ollie O'Gorman, and we'll be looking to have a little bit more of it in this one. But one rider who's definitely going to be looking for a taste of victory is going to be Oliver Hall. He needs to get that race win if he's going to stamp his authority on this championship. He dominated round 1, but round 2 has gone the way of Finley Bardell. So now it's between those two at the front. The rest of the field slightly not quite as strong at the front as Oliver Hall and Finley Bardell. Two standout riders seem to break away from the rest of the field, but that doesn't mean at all that these guys won't be able to stick with them, because of course we see these guys improving all the time, and they've had plenty of track time this weekend. Yeah, and this is the perfect opportunity, and just because they aren't at the front, that doesn't mean they won't be come the end of the season. The AC40 Rookies is the perfect place for you to come if you're learning your trade and learning your craft on motorcycles, wanting to be that next British racing star on 2 wheels. And these AC40 Rookies will be looking up to those that have made that move up into as we've got a bike coming. Zach Pennegar.
I'm just having a look to see. We've got someone down in the infield, or someone that's come to a halt at the infield section trying to get that bike restarted.
I think that is Zach Speed Pennegar. Unfortunately, your 4th place man on the grid. There it is, confirmed. He's back started. Looks like he's going to rejoin the grid. So no problems there.
Yeah, so just getting that bike restarted, sweeping around the final bend, and he'll be coming back into starting on 4th place on this grid as he comes into his grid slot, as he just about manages to get it slowed down. Clean in a rush was Zach. You can see frustrated there. This is where you don't want to let it get to you, because you've had an issue on the outlap. You just want to let yourself cool down. Of course, that gets that bike restarted, and this is what these young riders need to learn at this stage. It's just keeping it cool, keeping yourself collected.
It's not an easy thing to do, especially when things are going wrong and you're out there, you've worked hard, you want it. It can get really frustrating, but it looks as if he's back up and running, so he's going to need to just, like you say, keep a cool, calm and collected head and just focus on the task in hand, focus on the race, and just put everything else behind him going into this race. But it looks as if we're going to get underway very shortly here as they look to the lights for race 3 for the AC40 Rookies, their final race here at Lydd in 2021, and it's another good start from Finley Bardell. It looks as if Oliver Hall was looking to the side. Bad start from him. He did have a problem earlier on, and that's a big crash. That's Zach Pennegar, unfortunately, that's Taylor Riley that's gone down. A bit of a collision there.
Yeah, Taylor Riley, it looks as though he's gone down off the line, just lost the bike on the first phase of the start, but up ahead it looks as though everyone's starting to pull away well. But up at the front, it was a really strong start for Finley Bardell and Zach Speed Pennegar. And Speed, after that error on the outlap, really brought it into a decent start. And so we'll see if we follow him through the first sector, if he's managing to hold on to it. As Finley Bardell, a fantastic start, leading this one away, as you say, been the one to beat in this second round of the season. Oliver Hall making a move on Speed Pennegar down into the infield section. So Oliver, after starting on pole position, drops down to 3rd place, now getting back in the groove and can start chasing down Finley Bardell. Speed Pennegar down to 3rd. He's now got an attack on from behind, but you can see these 3 all fighting over position. And that Speed going back past Oliver.
Yeah, Speed really showing what he can do and really sticking it to Oliver Hall there. Of course, Oliver there on the TiVo chassis, the Team Evolution Engineering bike. It just looks as if I'm correct, that he's not on his, because he had a problem with his bike earlier on. And I'm pretty sure he's on a Blatter now. That's not the bike he usually runs. So just getting used to that different bike is Oliver Hall. If I've spotted that, then I do hope that is what it is. From here, it's hard to tell, but it does look like he's on a different bike out there as Oliver Hall, so that's possibly why we're not seeing the pace that we're used to seeing from him, but battling it out with Speed Panagar and Rex Austin just behind, doing a brilliant job to stick with these guys as well.
Yeah, Rex Austin, who's come into this weekend as a new name and really impressed, really starting to, every single race we've seen more and more pace from him, and he's now starting, as you say, to push up towards the back of Speed Panagar. Here comes Oliver once again. Oliver Hall down the inside into the infield section. Same move we saw last time around on Speed Panagar. Now, can he keep the drive and the momentum through the second part of the hairpin? And Rex Austin fighting over a podium now. In fact, he's got a good run. Can he get past? But Speed Panagar once again having a look to the outside line. He's going to turn it to the inside line. These two having a cracking battle.
What a battle there between these two. Zach Panagar just had to shut off the throttle there to give space to Oliver Hall, and he's just lost a little bit of time out from that one, so he's just going to have to regroup and see if he can get back on to the back of the number 3, Oliver Hall. Meanwhile, Finlay Bardell out the front, setting fastest lap after fastest lap, 1:05.3, a solid good few seconds quicker than anyone else. 7.6 seconds is his lead over the rest of the field. In fact, 7.7 seconds it is over the rest of the field. So Finlay Bardell at the front, he's gone and he is away with it. Only 2 laps into this race. So 99, the leader, Finlay Bardell, absolutely flying, but it's between these guys for that final podium position now, because it's just Speed Panagar and Rex Austin who's battling out. They've just lost out to Oliver Hall. He's just managed to pull away from these guys. He's just got a bit of breathing space now, so he's going to be focused to see if he can close down that mammoth gap to Finlay Bardell. But it's a change for third place as Rex Austin goes up the inside of Speed Panagar. Will Speed be able to bring it back?
Yeah, Speed taking a little bit, we went too deep into the first hairpin, and that's cost him a little bit of time. He just didn't quite have that apex speed, but up at the front, Finlay Bardell leading this one across the line. What's it going to be? Last time around, it was almost at 8 seconds. Oliver Hall, now he's been set free. Can he close in? It's 9.1 seconds. Finlay Bardell has been let loose so far on this Sunday and really, really impressing in this AC40 rookie class. He's got the fastest lap and almost, just over a 9-second advantage. Rex Austin making his way up past Speed Panagar into third position. Beth Ashby is in 5th place with Matt Thomas in 6th. Ollie O'Gorman has held place off the line in 7th with Chloe Gleason 8th. Bradley Curtis in 9th with Jensen Bishop 10th with Seth Mason Hayward in 11th. Annabelle McCarthy, Aidan Belton, and unfortunately Taylor Riley after that incident off the line down in 14th position.
Really smooth, impressive lines. I've just been watching Finlay Bardell all the way through that section. Really nice, mature lines from Finlay. I mean, it must be tough at this age to have a good concept of lines and where you're meant to be going, but he looks really impressive out there. You can tell he's been told all the right things. He's really smooth, considering this is his first ever race weekend as well. He's got really solid little lines out there on the number 99 bike. So yeah, really flying around this circuit. It looks really comfortable, really smooth, and that's exactly how it looks, really relaxed as well. So it's brilliant to see from Finlay Bardell. Of course, Oliver Hall trying to bring that gap back in, but just struggling to do that. 9.4 seconds is now the lead that Finlay Bardell has over Oliver Hall. Rex Austin still there in 3rd place. He's got a little bit of a lead now over Zach Speed Panagar. And then just after them is going to be Matthew Thomas, Bethany Ashby and Ollie O'Gorman all battling out as well. And this is the battle we are looking at on track. This is the battle between Matthew Thomas and Bethany Ashby.
Yeah, Beth trying to close in on Matthew Thomas, the 128 for 5th position. And that would be a lovely result for Beth. She can take home a top 5 to finish off their weekend here at Lydd. We've got 3.5 laps left to go, and it's Finlay Bardell from Oliver Hall. Rex Austin, who's getting encouragement every time he sweeps down the back straight and into the infield section. He's starting to build an advantage over Speed Panagar in 4th position now. So Rex in a comfortable 3rd place, the 991, doing a great job. Beth Ashby and Matt Thomas really closing up, and in fact they're now bringing Ollie O'Gorman into that party as well, as we've got a rider down on the exit of the fast turn 6 towards the back straight, and we'll see who it is as they come past the commentary box, if they can get restarted. And but it is still Finlay Bardell from Oliver Hall. Rex Austin, Zach Panagar, Matt Thomas and Bethany Ashby are your top 6 as they sweep around to start 2.5 laps left to go for Finlay Bardell, who is cruising to victory, 9.3 seconds in front.
Yeah, Finley Bardell so strong at the front of this one. Like I say, 9.3 seconds quicker than anyone else. And that's someone off on the side of the circuit. Can't quite make the number out there. I think that's the number 25 of Chloe Gleason, who's gone out. Really unfortunate for her. Debut weekend here. Yeah, it is just dropping down the timing screen. So really unfortunate for the number 25 Chloe Gleason. That's not the way you want to end your weekend here at the Lydd kart circuit, but it's been a good weekend for her up until this point on her debut weekend in motorcycle racing. Looking back at that's Speed Pendergast just dropping back a little bit now, just falling into the clutches of Matthew Thomas and Bethany Ashby, just struggling, perhaps a little bit of frustration still haunting him a little bit from that incident that he had at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, and into the infield section once again, a little bit deep, a couple of mistakes, and you can see another wobble on the bike there, possibly just not quite happy with how that bike's feeling after that issue on the outlap, which saw it come to a halt, and it's going to open the door. Here comes the 128 down the inside. Will we see a change of position? Matt Thomas not quite, as Matthew Thomas tries to get that move up into a top 4 result. We're on the penultimate lap, and it's Finley Bardell in the 99, Oliver Hall in the 3, and Rex Austin the 991, your current podium. But behind, the fight is for 4th place between Zach Speed Pendergast, Matthew Thomas and Bethany Ashby. Bethany's still involved in this. We've got a fight from 4th through to 6th. But at the moment, it's looking as though Matthew Thomas has got the bit between his teeth, and there is Chloe Gleason once again, another issue with that bike as she's pulled off to the side of the circuit on the start-finish line, just on the runoff area. So the yellow flags will be out at the final corner, but we've got just over a lap left to go for Finley Bardell. In fact, he's about to cross the line and take the last lap board. So one more tour of this Lydd circuit for Finley Bardell to pick up another win and start off his career in bike racing in sensational fashion, ending round 2 with another victory to take the fight to Oliver Hall this season in this championship. Of course, the rookies, a championship this season. It's going to be looking as though Oliver Hall and Finley Bardell are going to have an absolutely stellar battle between themselves all season long. Finley Bardell sweeping around the back end of the circuit. Just a few more corners left to go for the young man. And Oliver Hall in second position. He's reeled him in by about a second and a half, but it's not been enough. Of course, as you say, Oliver didn't have the greatest of starts, but Finley just cruising down the back straight now. Just a few more corners left to go for the 99. He's got the fastest lap. He's got the lead. He's just got 3 more corners left to go, and he can just take them at his own leisurely pace. He doesn't need to push too hard and make any silly mistakes, because it's just 1 more corner left to go for Finley Bardell. He's coming around to take the final win of the weekend in the AC40 Rookies. Finley Bardell is your winner in the AC40 Rookies Round 2, Race 3. Oliver Hall is coming around to take second position, and it's going to be Rex Austin, if all things go to plan, in third position. Rex Austin with an absolutely mega race, got past that Speed Pendergast. In fact, Speed Pendergast is just holding on to 4th in that battle between himself and Matt Thomas. They're coming around the final corner now. Who's going to hold on to it? It looks as though Speed Pendergast might just hold on to the 4th place. They're going to go side by side across the line. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Speed Pendergast, just holds on to it against Matt Thomas. Bethany Ashby just comes home in 6th place, half a second behind that battle. But what a result there. Finley Bardell, another win for the young man.
And an awesome recovery from the number 3 of Oliver Hall there, just recovering from his mistake. It wasn't even a mistake, sorry, from his technical difficulties earlier on. Comes back strong, gets that second place, all points for the championship. But it looks like round 2 goes all the way for Finley Bardell. Brilliant result from him, brilliant result from Oliver Hall, and another brilliant podium there for the number 991 of Rex Austin. Good to see him up onto the podium in his debut weekend in motorcycle racing. Zach Pendergast, big improvements we're seeing from him from last year into this year, which is brilliant stuff. And you can just see getting congratulated there. Finley Bardell just chatting to a few of his friends there and getting congratulated at the end of this race, and deservedly so, because he has dominated round 2. Brilliant stuff. He just gives Oliver Hall the thumbs up. Oliver Hall wants to get back. He's enjoyed a good weekend, good few wins, and a good few second places.
Yep, and Oliver, ever the professional as he goes past, gives the thumbs up equally to his compatriots. You can see all these young riders, even though there are young guys, young men and women, all in their early career. They're all here to support each other, help each other, and they're out there to have a good time on circuit, learning the craft, learning the trade, and having a lot of fun on the job. As you can see, Finley Bardell making his way back into the paddock. Next up, senior mini moto action, as we've got the seniors coming out for their final race of the weekend. It's going to be Bernie Hook, Will Howarth, will he be there? Matt and Josh Birkin, will they be able to get involved in this one? Bernie Hook, however, He's going to be riding on. He's going to be looking for a decent result in this one. He's had a pretty decent weekend so far. Perhaps the two that we haven't seen fighting towards the front that we've been expecting are the two Birkins, Matt and Josh. They've been there or thereabouts, but maybe not fighting towards the wins like we've seen so far in the last few seasons.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they've been there or thereabouts. They've been pushing towards the front. They've been finishing on the podium. They've been doing what they need to do. But Bernie Hook has just been so strong in this one, and it's brilliant to see because. Because obviously he is the 2020 Senior Minimoto champion, and he comes back here and comes back really strong. Towards the tail end of last year, he was struggling at a few of the tracks, and Matt Birkin's what a save from Matt Birkin! He's dropped from Josh Birkin. Sorry, he's dropped something there. Is that a knee slider or something? Possibly, knee sliders come off there. But Marquez-like save there, and that's Nick Bennett towards the side of the circuit as well. So not the start to that. It wasn't even a warm-up lap. It was a formation lap, and he's already doing Marquez-style saves.
Yeah, we often said this last season when we were covering the two Birkins, is that they spend the majority of the race on their backside, but they somehow seem to save it and get back up and not lose any time.
There's more rider than bike.
Yeah, exactly. But they're all making their way around to the grid. I'm sure that will give them a few giggles when they get back to the paddock, as they saw Josh, unfortunately, just sliding off towards the wood chips. I'm sure he'll come over and complain that we've been saying that he's not been putting in the races that we've been expecting. He goes out there on the out lap and unfortunately just comes back with maybe a bruised bum. But
you jinxed him.
Well, I'm sure I'll do that many times this season, so they'll all have to get used to it. But Bernie Hook will line up on pole position with Matt Birkin meant to be in second place, but I haven't seen him out on the out lap. Josh Birkin will line up in third with Will Howarth in fourth. Andy Whedon in fifth with Craig Ashall sixth. Adam Ambrose and Holly Harris seventh and eighth with Simon Huntingford, who had a really good run earlier on today, in ninth, with Mark Payne in 10th place, where they all get ready to kick off their final race of the weekend in the Senior Mini Motos. And yet it is no Matt Birkin in this one, so no attack from him. And we're just having a quick glance out to see if he's in the pit lane. No, he's not. So I can't see Matt on the grid whatsoever. So Bernie Hook will should have a clean run down to turn one on that gold number 0 bike. We will find out. Josh Birkin will be able to follow him down in through the first chicane. But Bernie Hook, he's had a really stellar weekend so far on these seniors. That 96 though, that's looking menacing. Will Howarth, he of course took a very strong victory earlier on today. What can he do? He's got a clean track ahead of him, but it's going to be, you can see Bernie Hook bouncing up and down, ready for this one. In fact, he takes the start. It's a good getaway for your reigning champion Bernie Hook from Will Howarth. Josh Birkin in third position. Great getaway for Bernie.
Really solid start from Will Howarth as well, right on the rear wheel of Bernie Hook. You can see he looked determined off the start. He set up the bike, he pointed it right in the direction he wanted, got that better start compared to Josh Birkin, just because obviously they were side by side on the line, and just managed to out-drag him to the first corner. And now he's right on the rear wheel of Bernie Hook, looking all the way through this field. Holly Harris further back here in this race. Of course, last year's first ever female FAB-Racing Mini Moto race winner. And now going down into the infield section is Bernie Hook that still leads. Having a quick look to the inside is Will Howarth, but not quite able to make it stick just yet.
Yeah, we'll see if Will Howarth can chase down Bernie Hook. He was looking mighty close in that first lap. Can he make a move around the final corner? In fact, he's going to go down the inside and takes the lead. Great move there from Will Howarth, taking the lead past Bernie Hook into the final corner. He sweeps into the first chicane, leading this one. Josh Birkin just trying to stay on the back of the lead duo, and he's bringing along Andy Whedon for good measure. Adam Ambrose. Simon Huntingford is once again making moves up the field. Started in 9th. He's now found himself up in 6th position, ahead of Craig Ashall and Holly Harris. So Simon having a really good run in this second round of the season of the Mini Motos for the seniors. But it's Will Howarth, a 57.7 was the fastest lap last time around. 8 laps left to go. He's at the front. Can he check out?
He already is checking out a little bit. Bernie Hook doing everything he can to try and take. You see him trying to be as aerodynamic as possible down that, and he's just closed in on the brakes in the infield section. So really strong sector for Bernie Hook. He's been so strong around this Lydd kart circuit, and you can't help but think that these front two are going to break away, because they have been in a league of their own so far this weekend. It is race 3 for the Senior Mini Motos, the final race at Lydd for 2021 for these guys. Who's it going to be? He is now right on his rear wheel. He's not letting him go anywhere, is he? Bernie Hook really wants this final win of the weekend. Will Howarth has come in, guns blazing. He's trying to get this final win, but so is Bernie Hook. Josh Birkin now in a lonely third. There's a bit of a bubble. Was that a crash for Josh Birkin in the background? After no, it was just a big moment, just another big Marquez save for him.
As Josh, as you say, still in this one, but up ahead, Bernie Hook. You always look, if you watch him when he's on the bike and he's chasing someone down, he looks so menacing. He's so ready to wait for any single flaw. He tucks in, he's got really nice technique. Of course, this is a big guy on a small bike, and of course it does look, and if you've just tuned in for the first time, these are seniors on mini motos, and he does it to absolute perfection. They make it look like an art going around the circuit. They carry so much momentum, and Will Howarth, who's there's Holly Harris, another issue there for that bike. Once again, it's really not been Holly's day. She had an issue in race 2 earlier on this morning, and she's rolling her way back to pit road now. But if you look at the likes of Will Howarth and Bernie Hook, their technique on these mini motos is so good.
Yeah, it is incredible, like you say. I mean, you can see that how much they try and reduce aero drag down the straights. You can see contrasting styles as well. Bernie Hook very much with the classic mini moto, both legs spewing out the side of the bike, whereas Will Howarth keeps his legs tucked in, always one leg underneath one of the arms for Will Howarth. Two very different styles, but you do see those different styles going all the way through the grid. Of course, for the bigger riders, you tend to see the legs splayed out a lot more compared to the minis, the younger riders, where they're able to tuck those legs in underneath their arms. But Will Howarth is able to do it, and it really works for him. He's able to reduce the drag, get that slipstream down the back straight, and be, but down all the straights, and be really small on the bike. And that's exactly what he needs to be doing. Also helps him transfer weight across as well.
Yeah, 100%. And behind, one man that's also doing a great job of that is Simon Huntingford in 6th position, chasing down Adam Ambrose, looking for another top 5 result. Is Simon, of course, dad of Charlie Huntingford, last season's runner-up in the LC40 Elite, and Simon currently in that 6th position. He's got Craig Ashall not too far behind. Equally behind them, Mark Payne and Ashley Thompson are having a fight over 8th and 9th and 10th position, but it's Will Howarth leading this one away. 1.9 seconds across the line last time around, with the fastest lap of 55.053 is the best lap so far of this race for Will Howarth. Bernie Hook, a little bit of work to do, because at the moment Josh Birkin is 2.8 seconds behind, so he's a little bit of no man's land, which is not really where you want to be. I say that as Josh Birkin closes right up to the back of Bernie Hook on this lap. I was looking at my time screen, straight back down, and Bernie Hook has now dropped right into the clutches of a chasing Josh Birkin.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that happened there, actually, because, he's right on him now, and Will Howarth is cleared off by 4.7 seconds, so there must have been some sort of problem there for Bernie Hook. He's just made his way through on Josh Birkin, and Josh Birkin trying to get back through on Bernie Hook, so something that we must have missed there, because he's dropped back quite some time. His lap time was a few seconds slower than what he normally does, but not massively off. But he is getting past these guys, and he is he's making a break from these guys now as Andy Whedon makes his way in front of Josh Birkin.
Yeah, as Andy Whedon uses the Bernie Hook overtake and sweeps down the inside of that downhill crest left or right-hander, and now he can chase down Bernie Hook, and Bernie perhaps being caught out by some lap traffic. Of course, it's great to see a load of these mini bikes on the circuit, and what it's doing is bringing traffic into play, which is something we haven't often seen in the last season throughout 2020. But you can see a three-way fight now for second position. Bernie Hook, reigning champion, Andy Whedon and Josh Birkin all battling over this second place. Will Howarth is currently 6.2 seconds up in the lead with 2.5 laps left to go in this one, and the 96 is really enjoying himself now. He's been able to make a return to FAB. Here comes Andy Whedon. Can he get down the inside of Bernie Hook? Not quite. Well, that opened the door for Josh Birkin to sweep around. Josh deciding better of it. There's a little bit of traffic up ahead. Will Bernie use that to his advantage? Puts a bike in between himself and the chasing pair, and you can see Bernie Hook chasing down Andy Whedon. So Andy Whedon now up into second place ahead of Bernie Hook, so a change of position there.
Yeah, and it's brilliant to see all these guys battling it out for this second place. Now Andy Whedon on that Team Evolution Engineering bike just ahead of Bernie Hook. Of course, Andy Whedon makes all these chassis himself, which is really interesting. Makes parts for this, they call it the TiVo chassis that he'll be running, and also has a few junior riders in there. But that is, just as I sing his praises, some sort of problem there for Andy Whedon, as now Josh Birkin manages to get past both of them. That unsettled Bernie Hook, unsettled the number 7 of Andy Whedon, and Josh Birkin took full advantage of Bernie Hook round the outside. What a move from the number 0.
Yeah, Bernie Hook chasing down, and it seems as though no one wants second position in this one. They keep on trading it. It looks though perhaps we've got an issue for Andy Whedon. He's falling off the back of the pack of Bernie Hook and Josh Birkin as they go onto the back straight towards the infield section. Bernie, who's allowing Josh Birkin through, it seems, just put the arm up, and will Josh Birkin, he does go up ahead of Bernie Hook, up into second position.
I think that's a problem for Andy Whedon or something, because he's really slowing up now. That was Simon Huntingford that made his way underneath him. You can visibly see he's pulling up to the side of the circuit now. He's bringing that bike back to pit lane, but now it's between these two guys. It is the final lap of the race, and they're side by side through the first corner. Who's it going to be? Who's going to take this second place? It's Will Howarth, who's 11.2 seconds up the road, but now it is down to these guys. Who's it going to be? Bernie Hook is really pulling away from Josh Birkin now.
But it's the 96 Will Howarth leading this one by quite a margin, 11.2 seconds as he's making his way around the last lap. He's coming into the infield section now for the final time, and Will Howarth, he's making his return to FAB, and he's exactly where he's returning exactly where he left off last time we saw him, and that is leading it at the front. He's coming around the final corner, and the blonde bombshell himself, Will Howarth, crosses the line, the winner for the senior mini motos, and he takes home another win here in category. Josh Birkin and Bernie Hook, where will they come out? It's going to come up to the line. It's going to be anyone's guess. It's Bernie Hook that's going to take it ahead of Josh Birkin. They traded positions a couple of times across the line. There's a bit of a shake of a head there for Simon Huntingford as he came across the line, perhaps thought that he could have got involved in that battle up to the front with Bernie Hook and Josh Birkin. However, it's a fourth place finish once again for Simon. Craig Ashall, 5th place, Adam Ambrose, 6th. And then a whole heap of riders all still battling out down the back end of the field. In fact, we've got a three-way fight as they come down towards the infield section for the final time down the order, and that's down between 13th position with Neil Skinner holding off Paul Nichols and Alberto Vanteo as there is one of the bikes.
Mark Payne, I think, at the side of the track,
rolling off to the side, up to the line. We've still got fights going on. There's one being wheeled to the line, almost a Ricky Bobby style.
That's Andy Whedon.
Yeah, trying to finish his race there on one leg and 2 wheels.
Fair play to him.
As he crosses, comes up to the line very, very shortly, and it's always good to finish as he coming up to the line on that 7 bike, and at least he comes across and will be classified. There we go, number 7 Andy Whedon classified in this one as a finisher, and
18th place for
using
Andy
it as
Whedon.
a scooter.
Yeah, still beat a few of these riders, so brilliant stuff from Andy Whedon. Just didn't want to give up right at the end. He was in the podium contention, ends up in 18th, but we all commend him for that one. Didn't want to give up, like you say, using it as a scooter, and just comes back into pit lane. But Will Howarth it was that took a commanding victory, 11.1 seconds ahead of anyone else here. Absolute domination from the number 96, ahead of not just anyone, your 2020 Senior Mini Moto champion, just ahead of Josh Birkin, who rounds out your podium. Simon Huntingford looked disappointed with that 4th place ahead of Craig Ashall, Adam Ambrose, Nick Bennett, Ashley Thompson, and the rest.
Yeah, and, but next up we have going back over to the younger generation. It is the LC40 Elite class, and the Elites will be out on circuit for their final race of the weekend, and it will be Archie O'Brien once again on pole position ahead of Archie Gibbs in 2nd. Luke Fitchett, who scored a decent result earlier on today, will come home in 3rd, or will start in 3rd, sorry. I'm sure he'll be looking to come home perhaps even better than 3rd. Austin Johnson in 4th with Harrison Day 5th. Marco Holt, who of course will be back out on the bigger bikes later on, in 6th position. Ollie Sims in 7th with Byron Johnson in 8th. Travis Shaw in 9th position with Finney Polehill 10th. Bailey Lawrence in 11th with Sam Gardner 12th. Noah Guillory in 13th with Callum Maxwell, who'll be running, I believe, Bernie Hook's bike in this one. So that's a bike we wouldn't mind to be riding in this one. So Callum Maxwell on the 111, out there possibly on the Zero Gold bike. We will find out very shortly. And Josh Williams slated to start, but we're not sure if he will be appearing at the back end of this one.
Well, that bike's just been absolutely ragged by Bernie Hook, so I don't know if it's a bike you'd want to be on, but it's definitely a competitive bike. Of course, a championship winning bike in the Senior Mini Motos as well, so it will be more than good enough for the LC40 Elites, and Callum Maxwell will be enjoying that one, as he was having tons of bike problems earlier on in the weekend. but we'll be able to run Bernie Hook's bike in this one.
As they all start to make their way onto the grid for the final race of the weekend for the LC40 Elite class. It's the class that Archie O'Brien has been very much the head of for the majority of the weekend. What can Archie Gibbs do? Of course, Archie will be looking, after having that fall in the AC40 Pros, will be looking at coming back strong in this one. But the 3 on the second position will be looking at sending it into T1 ahead of his rival on the 91, Archie O'Brien, as they get ready to look to the lights and kick off their final race, the third race of round 2 here at Lydd, before we head off for round 3 in a few weeks' time. Off the line, who's going to get the start? It looks as though it's a good start from Archie O'Brien. Archie Gibbs into second position. Luke Fitchett holds on to third as everyone holds position. Going into the first chicane in turn 1, it's Archie O'Brien from Archie Gibbs, Luke Fitchett and Austin Johnson.
Yeah, Archie O'Brien already just trying to run away with it at the front, got the perfect start. Archie Gibbs, a much better start than we saw from him in the AC40 Pros earlier on, of course. Fresh off his victory in the LC40 Elites earlier on today. Travis Shaw still pushing on there. You can see him a little bit further back just behind Ollie Sims, but number 91, Archie O'Brien, comes down into the infield section for the first time in this race 3 for the Junior LC40 Elites. This is the last chance for Archie O'Brien to pick up another victory this weekend. He's been so dominant this weekend, both in this class and in the AC40 Pros. So what will he be able to do here? Harrison Day's in there as well. He's enjoyed plenty of podiums this weekend as Ollie Sims goes up the inside of Byron Johnson at the final corner. Brilliant move there from the number 73 of Ollie Sims. He's going to be looking to see if he can get up onto the back of Harrison Day, of course, rookie in this category, his first year in the LC40 Elite and already picking up podiums. So brilliant to see from Harrison Day as all these guys make their way through this circuit, filtering around the tight, twisty sections at the back of this Lydd kart circuit. Number 4, Travis Shaw, his birthday today, just defending that 9th position ahead of someone else. Finley Polehill.
Finley Polehill, of course, making his return to FAB after that injury last season. Took him out for the end of the season. It's great to see Finley back. He's been really racy in his return. It's great to see him moving up, not only to the AC40 Pros, but the LC40 Elites. But up at the front, Archie O'Brien does not have it all his own way. Archie Gibbs is very much going with him with this one. And equally, Luke Fitchett, who takes the fastest lap. In fact, Luke Fitchett and Archie Gibbs share the fastest lap of the race of 55.776 for both the second and third place runners. 2 people on a purple lap. That's the worst case scenario for Archie O'Brien. Yeah,
we need an extra digit for that, so we know who's slightly quicker. But yeah, Archie O'Brien only slightly quicker than Archie Gibbs and Luke, only slightly slower rather than Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett. But all these guys pushing so hard to see if they can stick with Archie O'Brien. Luke Fitchett, the dark horse in this one. We haven't seen him be able to match the pace of Archie O'Brien and Archie Gibbs in the past, but he's sticking with them in this one. Only a second behind Archie O'Brien, as Archie Gibbs is only 0.4 behind Archie O'Brien. Of course, Archie dominating so far this weekend as we see Harrison Day attacking the back of Austin Johnson. This is the battle further back for 4th place. Austin Johnson and Harrison Day, both AC40 rookie riders from last year and this year, trying their mettle out in the AC40 Pros and in the Junior LC40 Elite, both on air-cooled and liquid-cooled machinery, enjoying their time here in the FAB-Racing paddock and bagging some good results. Of course, Harrison Day and Austin Johnson both enjoying podiums this weekend.
Yeah, a solid weekend for both Austin, Byron and Harrison. They've all really enjoyed this Lydd circuit and picked up, as you say, a couple of podiums each. But up at the front, Archie O'Brien, Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett. Luke is really starting to hassle the back end of Archie Gibbs as they come around this time around. And just to mention, we said that the 2, Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett, were the same time. Well, the last lap, they were split by 1/1000th of a second. That's how close they've been in the last few laps. Only a 1 second's distance between the last 2.5 laps of Luke Fitchett and Archie Gibbs. This time around, the fastest lap goes to Archie O'Brien of 54.952, the only rider that's dipped into the 54s on this LC40 Elites. And behind Archie Gibbs, now 1.1 seconds off the back of Archie O'Brien. So clearly now Archie He's had the gear, the hurry up from the side, as you can see flashes past the pit lane. You can see now that Archie Gibbs is getting involved in that battle with Luke Fitchett, and that's only going to help Archie O'Brien extend this gap.
Now Luke Fitchett's found something that he hasn't had in the other races, because he is really flying in this race. You can see Archie O'Brien slightly further up the road, and that's Travis Shaw on his birthday that's down and out of the race. He's trying to get restarted, and he will get restarted into this race. He was in that battle for 8th place with Finley Polehill, so he's going to rejoin a little bit further down the order. Really unfortunate for the number 4, but it's between these guys for 2nd place, Archie Gibbs and Luke Fitchett. Fitchett all over the rear wheel of Archie Gibbs now, trying to find a way through to see if he can snatch that 2nd place away from Archie Gibbs. Archie has been so consistently on the podium, 2nd places, and even a win he picked up earlier on in the weekend as well. But Luke Fitchett is trying to take this 2nd place away from the number 3. Luke Fitchett, he really must have found something in this race, because he hasn't been this close to these guys all weekend long, and now he's right on the rear wheel of Archie Gibbs. 2 seconds up the road is Archie O'Brien dominating the field as he just comes round to get past Callum Maxwell, but he looks to the inside, and that's Luke Fitchett up into 2nd place. A brilliant move there from the number 7, so that demotes the number 3 down into 3rd place. Number 3, Archie Gibbs, is going to try and see if he can get back past him. They're coming up to a back marker now. They both get through it nice and smoothly, nice and easily done for both of these guys, but it is now down to Archie Gibbs. What can he do about the number 7, Luke Fitchett?
Yeah, unfortunately for Archie Gibbs, he just hit a bit of a bobble when he tried to stand the bike up a little bit on exit of that corner. It's cost him the opportunity, because of course Luke Fitchett would have been slow catching Callum Maxwell at the wrong part of that corner, right on the apex of the final corner. So Archie Gibbs has lost himself around about about 2 or 3 tenths of a second, which is going to put him just out of range of another attack unless he can close in on this one. But Archie O'Brien is now 2.9 seconds leading this battle between Luke Fitchett and Archie Gibbs. But Luke Fitchett, as you say, really coming alive in this final race of the weekend for the LC40 Elites. But it is down the order. We've got Ollie Sims on the 73. He has got a mega battle between himself and Byron Johnson. Across the line, they were split by 0.02 of a second. Finley Polehill only half a second behind them, as the 3 of them all fight over 5th, 6th and 7th. It looks as though Byron has now made his way up past, and so is Finley. So Ollie Sims dropping from 6th to 8th in 1 lap, and Finley Polehill is starting to put the pressure on Byron Johnson.
This is an incredible battle between these guys. These guys have been swapping positions all race long for the full 7 laps that we've had here around this Lydd kart circuit. They have been swapping paintwork and swapping positions, but look how defensive Byron Johnson's going into turn 1. All these guys really want that 5th place, 6th place rather, with Byron Johnson still leading that ahead of Finley Polehill and Ollie Sims. Of course, Ollie Sims also a rider over in the GP50s. We've seen him in the LC40 Elites last year as well, and in the on the GP50 grid. So a rider well versed around these kart tracks on these mini Moto machines. As he gets a good drive out of the top bend, has a look down into the right-hander. Can he make a move stick? The door is slightly open, but Finley Polehill has his sights firmly set on Austin Johnson just in front. They come down the back straight one more time. The battle at the front is still Archie O'Brien with a 3.8 second lead over Luke Fitchett. Luke Fitchett trying to fend off Archie Gibbs now, and has a 1.3 gap over Archie Gibbs. So brilliant stuff from Luke Fitchett. Archie Gibbs is struggling here on the final lap of the race. Number 3 is just dropping back.
Nope, Archie O'Brien on the 91 coming around for the final time this weekend. He is on circuit coming down towards the infield section, and here comes Archie O'Brien to finish off his weekend in style here from Lydd in a absolutely deserved fashion. He has been the man to beat, barely a scratch wrong with his weekend. And Archie O'Brien round the final corner. He's going to hit it for 6. Archie O'Brien, LC40 Elite race winner. Round 2, race 3, another win for Archie O'Brien. What a result. Behind the battle for 6th position is still going on. Byron Johnson, Finley Polehill and Ollie Sims are going to fight tooth and down right down to the wire as here they come into the infield section. It looks as though it's Finley Polehill that's got ahead of Byron. Byron already frustrated. He's lost the position going into the final corner, and Byron Johnson is going to have to settle, it seems, for 7th position. Finley Polehill is going to take home 6th place ahead of Byron Johnson. In fact, Ollie Sims just jumps Byron on the line. Byron losing out by 0.03 of a second. It was Luke Fitchett that came home 2nd. Archie Gibbs had 3rd. Austin Johnson held off the battle of Harrison Day in 4th and 5th. Behind that battle that went all race long, Finley Polhill was the one that held off Ollie Sims and Byron Johnson. Byron will be absolutely fuming with that.
Have a race, Gareth. Take a breath, because that was an action-packed finish to that race. Of course, now Archie O'Brien really enjoying that elbow down to celebrate his plethora of victories. All victories apart from one third place. A perfect weekend for Archie O'Brien as he comes into the pits. A brilliant second place for Luke Fitcher. Really stuck it to Archie Gibbs in the closing stages of the race and really deserved that second place. Hopefully we'll be seeing him out on the GP50 grid later on as well. But it is Austin Johnson who finished 4th ahead of Harrison Day on the number 15 in 5th. A brilliant weekend for Harrison Day this weekend. He can go home smiling after picking up some podiums and a good top 5 finish now in the Junior LC40 Elites as well. Finley Polhill, he is the AC40 Rookies rider from last year that's making the step and making his debut in the LC40 Elite. So brilliant stuff from him as well. Hello and welcome if you are just joining us here. This is FAB-Racing, the Minibike British Championships. We are in the Lydd on the southeast coast of England. We are coming towards the end of round 2. We've had an action-packed weekend. Rounds 1 and 2 crammed into one weekend, and now it is round 2. We have just had race 3 for the LC40 Elites, and we're just waiting to get the rest of the race 3s done and out of the way so they can focus on the next round at Llandow in a few weeks' time.
Llandow, I'm sure the people of Wales will be devastated of you butchering their places and towns. But yeah, it will be absolutely, if it's anything like what has been a mega way to open this season. Tristan and I have been in this box for the last 2.5 days, covering through 2 rounds of action over what feels like 60 races plus we've had so far. It has been absolutely awesome. We've had beautiful weather here at Lydd, and we're set for a fantastic way to end this weekend very shortly. But plenty more racing left to come as we finish up the race 3. We will be back for the PB 140s. The pit bikes will have their 2 more races left to go for the pit bikes. Of course, they didn't have their 3rd race yesterday, so they will be out for 2 more races. They've got one coming up very shortly. Mini GP 50 action, Extreme 200 sidecars, and of course the Premier Class Mini GP 70s. The Metric kits will be out on circuit, and Moto team as well. So plenty more to join us after the lunch break. So do make sure you come back and join us on FAB-Racing's YouTube or Facebook page, motorsport.radio, where you can listen live or get live pictures from myself, Gareth Hall, and Tristan Finocchiaro. But we will see you very shortly.